agree together for many years, and it's been a long time since we've had a cast. We're in a new game now, but now we're about to see Team Solo Mid take on Curse Gaming.
And that's going to be a really, really interesting match. These are two American powerhouses. They met at the North American Regional, a narrow 2-1 victory for Team Solo Mid. But the funny thing is, that was the only time Curse had even taken a game off Solo Mid in like 6 months. So, you know, we'll see if they can kind of keep that pace going and make this match close and make that match their own. But the track record of major events is not looking too good for Elementz & Co.
Yeah, and Elementz & Co. also not doing too well at the World Esports Masters tournament in China. They were eliminated in 2 games, losing to Acer and the World Elite B team.
Yeah.
So a little bit hard, and they've been traveling for many, many days coming back from China. And Solo Mid also with a bit of a disadvantage, moving to San Francisco from New York, dodging the hurricane, fortunately
that's
for
good
them.
map awareness, though.
Good map awareness.
I was like, I'd call it to leave that game.
Well said.
Jana incoming. Peace out, West Coast. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, and they're here now, but maybe not with the best practice regimen under their belts coming in. So the teams might be a little rusty. We are into picks and bans now, as you guys can see, and we have quick bans coming out from Curse. Jace, Rengar, and Shen. No surprise there. Dyrus been playing a lot of Jace, Rengar, and Shen recently.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of target banning him, and it's interesting because they're not really targeting a lot of other places. You really don't see OddOne play, you know, non-tanky junglers so much. You know, Rengar a little bit out of his you know, major choices there. But the interesting thing is there's a lot of sort of contended picks. You know, Curse is a team that has kind of favorite champions. You know, Shyvana, Blitzcrank, Morgan, Orianna, Corki, and they're really not denying many of them there. I mean, they removed the Morgana and the Blitz, but they left everything else back up, and they rushed the Ezreal and said, you know what, everything else, go for it, it's fine. And it's just interesting to me because, you know, you wouldn't have thought, you'd have thought they kind of would have target banned a bit more, but I think they just wanted to remove Evelynn and kind of remove some of that snowball potential. And
looks like we're going to see Malphite. That's probably going to be going for saintvicious. Interesting that he's not playing Shyvana. That's typically a champion that you see banned out against Curse. And the Orianna-Shyvana combo is something they love. That Command Protect into the Shockwave coming in with the Dragon Force Shyvana. Same effect, though, with Unstoppable Force.
Well, yeah, and they could actually keep this sort of combination going as well, though. If they do go Malphite Orianna, there's a lot of other options still available. Alistar's still on the roster. They could go support Lulu, or if they just want to rely on that crowd control, they could even run a support Fiddlesticks and kind of pull in their damage elsewhere. I mean, you do typically pick something like Orianna for more her crowd control than her damage, and so you know, you might look to find damage in other sources. Now, Malphite does have some burst in himself, but you know, I kind of expect to see some high damage threats come in elsewhere from Curse. I wouldn't expect, you know, really supporty picks elsewhere so much, but you know, some damage to come through. TSM, though, I mean, they're looking strong. They've kind of picked everything they've wanted so far. You know, to recap, this is the Kha'Zix patch. This is the patch before the heavy Rengar nerfs, before the Ezreal and Sona nerfs. Skarner the same way, where Skarner is the same Skarner we saw at the World Championships. And so Team Solo Mid, they're picking up all of the who's who from the World Championships right now. Yeah, and just a lot of CC coming out already for TSM. That Impale combined with that Leona can really stun lock somebody in place and provide easy picks. And also what the Skarner pick does, you know, obviously in this case it doesn't look like they're doing a poke comp, but that hard engage really shuts down any kind of poke comp that might be coming into play. And Corki, no surprise there, Cop's favorite champion, might be going with Graves, actually. Be getting trolled a little bit here. But that would be a common pick for Cop. He usually excels on Corki. He can really carry the game if he gets going. Cop is a very streaky player. He either dominates his lane and just racks up double-digit kills, or he kind of feeds a bit. Yeah, and you know, that kind of just depends. But the thing here, though, is he's going to face stiff competition. Both Ezreal and Leona together really make for a difficult fight situation because, you know, she's going to jump onto you. You know, she's going to lock you down with crowd control. If you choose to stand and fight, that Essence Flux, again, we're still in a patch where it slows attack speed. So there's not a lot of trade opportunities here for Cop. And you're going to kind of wonder, is he just going to play in the far back, maybe get a Sona lane in there and try to play it really defensively and hold on that way? Or are they going to go all out? And they've actually finally grabbed that Taric pick. So with Blitz gone out, they said, okay, let's grab another tanky initiator. And so this bottom lane now, if they choose to actually keep it as a 2-on-2 instead of a lane swap, it's just kind of heavy initiators in the front line and then a lot of damage to back it up. You might see them kind of go at each other pretty frequently here. Yeah, and I love the Taric pick here because it really allows for a lot of burst damage coming down from that bot lane. So if they can trade effectively with burst and avoid kind of prolonged trades with the Essence Flux from Ezreal slowing down that attack speed, but that Phosphorus Bomb and the Shatter really can do a lot of damage if you can use
use it every 15 seconds or so.
And the cool thing is, as well, is they've got 2 armor shreds now on the team with the Shatter and with Corky's Gatling gun. I mean, they can really, really rip through the enemy line. But now here we've got the lineup, and it's one that I've seen TSM run before in their own invitational series, their online tournament groups. It's kind of the dunk team. So you start it off, and Leona's going to put a solar flare down right as Skarner runs in, and you either juke the solar flare and hit Skarner, or run into the solar flare, get stunned, and get hit by Skarner. And so no matter what, they're going to pull that first guy in, and that first guy, he's going to get dunked on by the rest of TSM. And with Katarina and Darius there, they're both going to get resets on their abilities. Katarina through her passive, Darius through his ultimate. That first champion is almost guaranteed to drop unless it's Olaf. And they just keep going, and it's a 4-on-5. All their cooldowns are back up, except for Skarner and Leona, and they just keep pushing forward, and they keep pushing forward, and they're going to try to continue to kill off every important champion they can. Now, the good thing for Curse, though, is they've got 3 pretty good interrupts for Reginald, and 3 pretty good lockdown abilities for that Skarner. And so, if they can stun the odd one right as he pulls someone, the rest of the team can still follow up and initiate and make that good overall.
I also like the Olaf in the last pick, just because of the Ragnarok is going to nullify a lot of the hard engage and hard CC coming out of TSM. So I think that's a really good call. Should be able to get into the back lines, and really he's probably going to be focusing on wailing on that Katarina, because Ezreal's a slippery little fish.
Oh, sure. And overall, I think it's going to work pretty well. I mean, there's an obvious frontline target here, which is going to be Reginald's Katarina. There's no really great supporters for her, so it's definitely possible they can pick her down. Curse has their own burst combo here.
That's right. So we're going to go to commercial, and when we get back, it'll be game 1 between Team Solo Mid and Curse Gaming. Welcome back to the MLG Fall Championship. This is game 1 of Team Solo Mid versus Curse Gaming. I'm MonteCristo, and joining me is Phreak.
Hello, everybody. And, we are here at a live event, of course, and whenever we're at a live event, I like to gauge the crowd reactions. So if you guys are ready to cheer for your favorite teams, let's get this going. So if you guys here in Dallas with us want to see Curse take out game 1, let me hear you cheer for Team Curse. You are, however, a fan of the boys now from the West Coast. If you want to see Team Solo Mid, let me hear you for TSM. And there's the chant, of course, of course, of course. That's why we pick them last, because it's always a chant and it overrides everyone else. But here we go. Reginald taking a bit of punishment from saintvicious. The ball coming out as well. But it's a full jungle invade happening here. This is a very risky thing. And looks like they're going to get complete control over the golem.
And something we missed during the commercial countdown was actually saintvicious picking up Olaf and trading Malphite to Westrice for that bottom lane. A couple weeks ago, I was casting an MLG prize fight between Curse and CLG North America, and they ran this same Orianna-Olaf combo, and the dissonance actually allowed saintvicious to kind of hit warp speed to get right back to the carries. And you'll notice that he's running Flash on Olaf, which is a bit unusual. Typically you see Ghost, and because he actually will build that Shurelya's Reverie and have the dissonance to get the same effect as Ghost while still having the repositioning abilities of Flash.
Yeah, and it also allows him to pull on like Flash shockwaves, things like that. So there's a lot of utility there. You know, you wouldn't normally expect Flash, but here actually Curse, again with the invade, they're completely controlling the Golem once more, and OddOne's not in a good place.
No, he's not, and here comes the ball. Command attack going in. Are they going to catch Xpecial out? We see the undertow, and here he comes. More undertows going down. Exhaust now on saintvicious. Another undertow. He won't get it. Flashes over the wall. OddOne getting low. Westrice chasing up. Nyjacky coming in. Will they get the kill? OddOne goes down for first blood for Curse.
It looks like Reginald's just not able to chase that one down. So right away, oh, actually Nyjacky getting pushed away. Reginald forcing the Flash out. He's still moving in on this. But they've got teammates nearby. There's almost no way Reginald keeps fighting here.
No, saintvicious will actually go back to pick up his jungle. Elementz roaming around in mid lane. Nyjacky actually relatively low. He's already popped a couple potions, so he won't have the same kind of sustain in lane. That'll give Reginald an advantage. Reginald also running a ton of magic resist runes here in this middle lane to stay alive early.
Oh, that's going to be pretty common overall, and good thing about Katarina as well is without needing mana, you can run extra mastery points in defense. As a melee champion, she gets magic resist per level as well, so it's going to be hard for Nyjacky to harass Reginald out. I mean, he's got basic attacks that'll do some pretty good damage because he's got some physical damage there, but as far as just pure ability spam, yeah, Reggie's not going to lose health too quickly in this lane.
So, Phreak, what do you think about the quirky Darius lane that we're seeing top? Because Elementz is actually walking around helping saintvicious jungle right now.
I think it's really, really smart because it's worked so far for him. You know, actually, if you really go back in the day, AD carries used to solo top lane or mid or whatever, but you know, it's the kind of thing that you've seen before from teams back in the day, especially American teams where, you know, they were kind of the first tournament winners. You know, Americans really started out on top.
Oh, here comes the Dazzle onto Reginald. He's going to force the Shunpo out.
Yeah, that's really good. And that sort of roam Taric play is actually really, really smart. It's the kind of thing we saw Dignitas try to do at the World Championship. Unfortunately, it didn't work too well for them in the group stage, but these plays from Elementz have given them both golem buffs. It's given them a lot of pressure all around the lanes. It's given them first blood. I like these moves. It's working for them.
Great, and Elementz is going to sit there in mid and soak up some of that extra experience. You think he's going to actually go for some sort of heavy roam for a while, picking up boots and mobility first, perhaps?
It's going to completely depend on how well Cop does up against Dyrus. You can look at the minion kill difference, and it's honestly basically identical. It's 27 to 26. So as long as Cop's doing fine here, I don't think they need to have Taric babysit him. You know, they're free to give Corki extra levels and make him, you know, just make him more powerful over time. The difficulty, though, is that they've kind of forced Westrice into a pretty bad 1v2, and he's 12 to 35 in minions as a result. So if you can't keep the pressure on, they're going to have to get him somewhere.
So we noticed that Nyjacky just came back with that Chalice of Harmony as the first item, but no potions. So he's got to be a little bit careful there in that mid lane because any trades will actually result in a potential kill and gank. Elementz now finally rejoining Cop up in that top lane.
And it's going to put some pressure on Dyrus. You're going to see him take a bit of burst, although they're not going to engage too hard on the minions because, again, he has the chance to pull Corki in and put some damage out with Decimate. So they're going to try to zone Dyrus away from minions, but that's going to be pretty much their strategy here is try to kind of equalize those minion kills because right now Westrice is really lacking and they need to kind of put Dyrus down.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Cop now shoving this lane, actually. It's going to be sitting under turret soon, so we're going to have a mirror across the map of the lane freezes from top to bottom for each team. Westrice is having a bit of trouble. Looks like he is going to be leveling Ground Slam first to do some AoE damage to those minions as they repeatedly get shoved underneath his turret. Yeah,
it's interesting because they're not pushing all that hard. They're still trying to last hit and zone, and in that kind of situation, you'd expect to see Seismic Shard leveled for the extra last hit power. Although, you know, Westrice going Ground Slam means he wants to keep his turret alive, and he wants to also be more productive if he gets turret dove, because basic attacks are going to be the largest source of damage output right here, and so the attack speed slow will help him survive those kind of situations. And we saw something very similar, honestly, in CLG versus Sword, where they pushed that top lane, or sorry, that bottom lane, they pushed HotShot to his turret, and they dove in with a jungler. And this is the kind of thing I would expect to see OddOne show up and kind of replicate that sort of success.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's check out the items so far. Skarner looks like he's going to go for the early Philosopher's Stone, so no Boots of defensive ability first on either jungler, so that tends to indicate that we're going to be going to a more jungling or counter-jungling play as opposed to a gank-heavy game.
And in fact, that's exactly what it is, because here comes saintvicious and Elementz once more up at that golem buff, and it's going to be really hard for the OddOne to do anything. He's got no ward coverage. That's been smited away. saintvicious is now level 5, and it's very, very easy. They've let Tarek stay at the top lane if he does stay in lane, or simply roam around, and he's got full control.
You know, what I love about this, too, is that Skarner is a very blue-dependent jungler, so it really actually has slowed the OddOne down. The multiple taking of those buffs. In the meantime, saintvicious just returns to his his own jungle there, clears out his Wraith camp, and heads on his merry way up to golems. No real action yet here at the 8-minute mark, but a 600 gold difference and an early lead for Curse.
And the other thing about all this counter jungling, it's kind of the main point about how this game is being different, you know, and how Curse is going to win this, is there's a lot of things that hurts the OddOne here. So for example, you know, you can see the later Philosopher's Stone because, you know, the early jungling did not go his way, and so Saint's going to be richer than him. But also, OddOne needs gold for Australia's Reverie. It's kind of the big core item on Skarner to make him really what he is, allows him to initiate a fight and pull someone in. But the longer they delay Philosopher's Stone, the more they deny minions, the later that comes in, and the later TSM's real strategy actually comes into effect. And the cool thing about this for Curse is that because he's going to need so much gold, and he's going to need so much help taking his own wraiths and things like that, Reginald doesn't get to take wraiths nearly as much himself, and so they can actually slow down Reginald by hurting OddOne because he'll need wraiths.
Right, and we see Reginald going ahead and pushing this mid lane right here. We haven't seen any kind of roaming from here, which is a bit unusual given his typical playstyle. He's been quite passive and happy to farm in the early part of this game.
Well, he roamed around and did as much damage as he could early on, but yeah, you know, this mid lane is a bit of a farm lane. Reginald's not going to be able to put down a lot of pressure on Orianna because she's going to trade too well. Because the thing is, Reginald's maxing Sinister Steel. It's a melee range ability. It's really obvious when Reggie's going to get into range to cast this, and with Nyjacky having a fast Chalice, she'll always have mana for the shield, and she'll always have magic resist from the ball and from the Chalice as well. So Reggie's never going to poke through that shield, and he'll just take counterattack damage.
Yeah, and he's pushing up the lane again, but still staying put. Nyjacky just up 1 CS onto Katarina. So what do you think about Katarina's potential late game if she doesn't get these early game kills?
I think she'll still be okay because she's farming reasonably well, is keeping up with Jackie and minions. And once Skarner kind of gets under his, you know, gets on his 6 legs and is okay, then she'll start taking wraiths away. She can maybe start taking wolves as well. And that's how OddOne plays. He lets his solos get farmed. He runs around and gets his gold through ganks, not so much his own jungle. And being a champion who's going to get, you know, Philosopher's Stone, maybe a Heart of Gold later on, he can kind of sustain his gold income with his items. And you can see, just like right now, Reginald's actually going for his own Wraith camp as OddOne takes red. So you'll see him get his farm up. You'll see Reginald still reach that late game status.
Looks like they're converging on their blue right now. Westrice is going to go ahead and start it because, wow, and here comes the gank onto Reginald. There goes the shockwave. They're bursting him down. Exhaust has been hit, and will they get the kill? Nyjacky will finish it off, and that'll be 2-0 kills for Curse.
That's a really, really good roam. They're going to miss some minions at the top lane, but it's totally fine right there. They're just going to simply take the dragon for themselves. No big deal. And watch, you look at that. Westrice teleports to the top lane to clean that up. Doesn't even give away minion kills as a result. And so Curse has been really playing this early game extremely well orchestrated.
And here comes the fight. They are going to try and go in onto Elementz. Are they going to be able to steal the dragon? It's still up, and TSM takes it. They will get the first dragon of the game, and maybe some kills as well. saintvicious very low. OddOne flashing over, tagging him with the red buff, and that is a dead Viking.
And that's unfortunate. The double kill. Westrice also being pushed around. Dyrus with a 2-level lead on him as well. Yeah, that's just an amazingly good fight. The smites not being used on time. Really, OddOne was down the whole time. That was purely on saintvicious to not smite that too early because he didn't have a chance of that getting stolen from him. They simply, miscommunicated that battle. It's really unfortunate because, that's all they really needed. Is just get the smite, take the experience, and get out. And they weren't able to because they sat around like, who's going to do what on Dragon, and they stutter step, like someone didn't make a call, and you can't have that happen. You can't be confused and slow in a fight like that. It gave TSM the gold lead. Yeah,
not only that, but it was sitting with just a sliver, like one auto attack of health for a good couple seconds there without anybody taking the initiative.
Oh, man. So we're seeing the lanes reset now. Westrice, he's going to be 1-on-1 up against Dyrus in the top lane. Looks like the reign of Roam Tarek is starting to get kind of slowed down right now. They're still about to be, 4 for 4 on Golem buff so far for Curse, but, they've kind of stopped crushing the OddOne now. He's got 2 assists. He's got his double gold pretend. He's actually ahead of saintvicious in gold pretends now. You can see the Heart of Gold finish on one side, not on the other. So just that fight was all it took to turn it around, and TSM, I mean, everything they need is winning. They've got more kills more minion kills than their AD carry. They've got more minion kills in their top laning. They've got more gold, or at least more gold potential on their jungler. And Reginald still having a good time despite being, you know, one of the early kills of the game.
Well, even though TSM is up a little bit early, this is what I would expect with their team comp. You know, their goal with this team comp really has to be to get an early advantage, because this synergy coming out with the kind of AoE ultimates and how strong Olaf can get in terms of killing carries into the late game. I have to say that Curse has a very good opportunity to win this game, even if they get a little further behind than they already are, just in that late game due to their team composition.
It's going to be interesting, though, because it depends on what they can pull, what OddOne can flash grab, and what OddOne can Shirelias away with. Because while there is an amazing team fight potential for Curse, right, it's a bunch of area of effect. Olaf's going to be a terror. Oh, actually, saintvicious, though, not in the best of places.
Yeah, he's actually going to get apprehended there by Dyrus. Here comes the dunk, and the passive looked like it finished him off. That or the ignite, one of the two.
That's the kill pickup. I mean, that's yeah, you're right. There's a lot of mid-game power, though, on this TSM squad. This early mid-game you talk about, you know, they do need to win it, and they're doing a very good job of it. That's really where Dyrus is really, Dyrus on Darius, his power really comes from, is he's going to constantly just mess with people and really set up a lot of situations just for himself. And he's going to keep doing that. And thing is, Curse needs an answer here because Westrice didn't have the best lane, so he can't even square off one-on-one.
Right, and I think that really saintvicious was looking to, you know, he was getting some, trying to get some more counter jungling in there, but he got caught out by the ward. But really, without, you know, the way Dyrus is pushing right now, without the escapes on Darius as a champion, it actually is quite easy to gank him, and they probably could run him down with the combination of Olaf and Malphite damage.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing is that, you know, the last fight right there was basically a series of 2 one-on-ones. Westrice popped his ult, but it was, you know, kind of too late. saintvicious the same way. The armor and magic resist gained by Ragnarok was not enough to keep him alive against the bleed. And so they do have to go in actually as a dedicated unit. You know, whether they pull the Roam Taric back in or something, they absolutely could team out on Dyrus. They really, really could. But they've left him alone almost the entire game so far.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier about that that Malphite teleport up top to try and save that tower, and that was really the undoing of that dragon fight as well. It was an easy dragon without it, and a bit of an unnecessary port. It was a play that could have worked out okay.
Well, it should have worked because they had already gotten that kill onto Reginald. They had, by all rights, a 4-on-3 just waiting for them, and they managed to lose out on that fight because, you know, TSM showed up at the right time. They burned their cooldowns appropriately. They let the dragon do all the damage it needed, and they cleaned up. It should have been theirs, though. It was an honest just 4-on-3.
And, you know, that's really the power of TSM. You see their ability to call targets in team fights. They can win team fights against some of the best teams in the world, considering they're also one of the best teams in the world. But really, you know, that's their strength. Their laning can go so-so from time to time, but really it's that late game and the coordination that sets them apart from many other teams.
Oh, absolutely. It's always what separates a lot of these top teams. OddOne, a nice attempt at the bottom lane. Takes a stun, though, from Taric, and he gets himself out. But that was a bit of a risky spot. You saw the solar flare come out just then as well. And yeah, this is really, as you just said, the team fight potential. I think that's really what separates the very, very best teams from the great teams that aren't just quite at the top of the world. Is, I mean, you saw that at the World Championship as well. The early games, you know, would go to either team, and that didn't matter so much. It was absolutely the team fighting that caused wins to go one way or the other, and that's always been TSM's power. You just saw that first comeback was because they could out team fight even in a 3-on-4.
And now we have the gank coming off from saintvicious up on the top lane. There's the undertow, but it was a little bit of a missed axe. He had to go and juke over to the side to pick it up again. They'll get some damage down. Apprehend into the turret, taking a few turret shots, and I think that Dyrus came out quite well on that one.
And that's the unfortunate thing because Westrice had such a bad lane. He's got just Ninja Tabby and 2 gold per 10 items. If he had a good time in lane, if he had, you know, maybe a kill or you know, 30 more minions, just like 50 like Dyrus has, he would have had like a Glacial Shroud or at least a Warden's Mail or something, and could have actually survived into that turret and just dove it and picked up the kill. So that early game is kind of resulting in a lack of aggression. Possibly.
Yeah, either that or he could have gone the build that we saw NAJIN Sword using last time with the Chalice of Harmony into haunting guys to do a lot of spam spells and everything like that. So the game continuing here, and
we're up on camera.
We're up on camera, apparently. So,
all right. Well, you know,
the game is still unfolding right here. So I will narrate the action. Looks like we're having a little bit of a dragon dance here into the dragon pit. The OddOne actually looking like he's going to be sitting in front of that pit. They do have a vision ward on it. Well, let's see. We have Curse coming in, trying to contest. Both teams are all there right now, and they are going to chase the split members of TSM.
All right, so we can see here that they've got a lot of ward coverage overall, and if you look at that, right, you've got, you know, TSM's got a bit of vision. Actually, they've got enough. They see him completely in the dragon or in the golem pit. They know exactly what's going on here. On the flip side, you've got again full vision from Curse. So really, in both these cases, they're completely able to sort of control out the dragon area. You've got this pink ward though. But the thing is, it doesn't see any of the relevant wards, so they're not able to completely sweep out from Curse. And so both these teams with full vision, neither team can start Dragon, because they'll just get counterattacked if that happens, really. So, you know, it's kind of a stopped aggression, though TSM's still waiting around. They feel safe with that ward. But again, Curse, they see him go in. They know exactly what's going on here from TSM. They're trying to wait in the Dragon Pit. And Chaox, though, he might get caught out here.
Oh yeah, it looks like we are going to see the flash over the wall, so Nyjacky avoids the TheOddOne. We're going in now. There comes the shockwave, but it stacks with the unstoppable force, and now it's just a mess in the middle. Elementz coming in. He's going to get killed by Dyrus. Dyrus picking up a triple kill. Reginald sealing the deal on Cop for the perfect ace.
Oh man, a 5 for nothing. That's exactly how that's exactly how they want that fight to go.
So.
Wow.
This is the classic blunder for Curse. They do this every time. They do these extended dances around Dragon. Usually it's the Baron dance. They manage to like psych themselves out of proper positioning, and then they just lose. They throw games like this. This is their curse. They have been, we've called it the curse in the past. They do the dance and they always lose. You don't tango with Curse.
Man, that's just unfortunate. I mean, they had all the right moves there. They got the great initiation. Everyone got incredibly low. You know, you saw all those champions get dropped in health so incredibly hard, and I just got to keep attributing it to you know, Curse gave Westrice a really bad lane. They gave him a 1 versus 2, and he had nowhere near the farm of Dyrus, and so he's not putting out that damage. When you look at the, you know, the MakNooN Malphite, where he was just churning out damage with a max magic penetration build and levels and everything else, he was crushing health bars. If they had a guy who had some damage, they would have, you know, instantly double killed or triple killed that initiation combo. When Malphite and Orianna came in, sure, they stacked their crowd controls a bit. Sure, that's not the best thing in the world, but that doesn't really matter that much when you've got a lot of damage potential. You can just carry it with that. Westrice now getting caught a little bit, not in the best place. Chaox still putting the damage. The flash might just keep him alive. He's bleeding profusely. Chaox is, almost hit it. That would have been the kill for sure.
What a dodge from Westrice. You could see him with that split-second reaction, seeing the true shot barrage come over the wall, just getting a little juke to miss that true shot. So, but in the meantime, we did see Dyrus, after picking up that triple, going ahead and backing to buy a pretty early Warmogs here on top of the items he already has. He's going to start stacking that up, and eventually he's just going to be unkillable.
And Jacky stole away almost all those wraiths right there. Excellent. But yeah, you're right. You know, Dyrus is getting really, really massive now. He had a good lane again. He was in a one-on-one with someone who wasn't pressuring him very hard. He's had, you know, now an amazing team fight with a triple kill. And you saw, you know, the earlier gank on, or sort of the counter gank on saintvicious that was not long ago. Dyrus has had just kind of his dream game here, where he's just getting gold from all these kinds of sources, and he's performing the main tank role, because TheOddOne, again, he's going to rush a Shirelius here. That's what that Ruby Crystal's for. He's going to be a little bit tanky, but really Dyrus is going to kind of just walk his manly chin up there and just start dunking people in team fights. That's his job, and he can rely on his base damages and those 2 Doran's blades to make that work. He's going to be completely happy here the entire time. The difficulty, though, is, you know, he can cause his own resets. He can keep killing people and controlling a battle himself. And now with that Warmogs, and with now, I'm going to guess a Sunfire Cape next up, there's nothing for Curse to kill that. Cop doesn't have enough gold yet to destroy Dyrus by himself.
Yeah, and also, you know, you're absolutely right. He's just not going to be able to get there. And if they get a Baron or anything like that, the amount of health regen combined with Warmog's armor is any damage that they do to him in terms of burst is just going to be immediately healed. And the siege potential is just going to go through the roof. And we also don't have a lot of damage coming out from Jacky yet. He went for the fast Fiend's Unholy Grail, so his burst isn't there just because his AP is still relatively low at 127. I also want to point out, you were talking about the damage that the 2v1 lanes did for Curse, and if you take a look, we have Dyrus up 50 CS over Westrice. That is so much money.
Yeah, the one thing that Westrice has done, though, is he went double gold per 10 there. He got the Heart of Gold and the Philosopher's Stone, and that was, you know, to try to bridge that gap. Now, he knew when he was back in the 1 versus 1 against Dyrus that he couldn't really exert himself there. You know, when they finally unswapped that lane and Elementz, you know, and and Cop went up against Chaox and Xpecial again. You know, they put themselves back in a 2-on-2. They put Westrice back in the 1-on-1. And he just said, okay, well, you know, I can't really fight you very much, but I'll just stack gold for 10, and then we'll be okay. And you saw that actually backfire just a little bit when saintvicious did come in for that gank. Again, if Westrice had items there, they could have dove that turret and started snowballing him ahead. Now he's just trying to play catch-up. And the difficulty, though, as well, is he's going full tank at this point. Because he didn't have a good early game, he can't rely on his burst damage to, like, crush TSM's lineup, so he's going frozen hard. He's going to go a lot more health afterwards. Sunfire might be the next buy afterwards. And so he's going to be, you know, this sort of low-threat, high-crowd control champion. But that's the same for Nyjacky here, where, yeah, he's got the Athene's Unholy Grail. You pick Orianna for her control, for her crowd control, and for her just sort of general map presence and helping her team out. But it's going to be until he finishes Death Cap. It's going to be another 2,000 gold before he also becomes a damage threat. And so there's, you know, a jungler who's, again, double gold for 10 and Aegis. Olaf not going to do that much damage. Cop just with the Trinity Force, again, not a whole lot of damage. So there's no one who's really in danger of dying here for Team Solo Mid.
So when we're talking about this low damage lineup, so I'm curious, is the tons of damage metric or English? So is it going to be grams of damage or ounces of damage?
Oh, it's going to be ounces.
Ounces of damage. Okay, good to know.
Yeah,
I'm glad we could clear up the
American.
standard. Okay.
I spell color
gotcha.
without a U.
Good man.
I'm sorry, Deman, but it's how you spell the word. Even though you invented English, it doesn't matter.
Going back, with the Aegis is really a strange pickup that we see right now. Of course, he's using it to stay in the game, but you were talking about how Westrice on Malphite had to kind of do the triage build so that he would stay alive. Well, we're seeing the same thing here from saintvicious. Now, the problem is that without the Kindle Gem and the Shurelya's, he can't do the true damage because the cooldown for Reckless Swing will be on a higher cooldown. And there we go, a little bit of damage, a little love tap there from Reginald onto saintvicious with that Sinister Steel.
Yeah, and that's going to be kind of what's happening here. Now, I don't really dislike gold per 10 Olaf, because as long as he gets levels, and by the time you're level 13, you'll have that maxed Reckless Swing. But the problem is you need to actually have a pretty good mid game. The difficulty here is, you know, he had to rush an Aegis, and he didn't have a great game. He's 0-3. They didn't get any dragons. They have no turret kills as well, and he's only participated in that 1 assist. So, you know, and you can't come into the game expecting to have an 0-3 game. So he came in expecting, yeah, I'll go gold per 10, but I'll get assists, and we'll get ganks, and it'll be fine. You've got to play confidently and play at the top level. The difficulty, though, is they haven't had a very good game, and so saintvicious, you know, his build is sort of stalled out. He needs 3 levels before his damage becomes hyper-relevant again.
And 3 members of Curse on the top of the map will mean an absolutely free dragon for TSM. That'll put them up another 1,000 gold and get them up to about an 8,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and that is TSM knowing that they have map control. I am a little bit surprised. This is interesting because when we watched NAJIN Sword against Counterlogic Gaming North America, as soon as they had this kind of lead, they were pushing constantly. They would, you know, catch Doublelift out farming bottom solo and then pushing in and picking up kills and everything like that. You know, they would repeatedly play aggressive. Team Solo Mid, they're not really doing that. They're kind of keeping back to their lanes. I mean, they're fighting pretty well, but they haven't pushed a lot up until now. Finally, right now they finally got their 3 turret kills. They've finally taken that second dragon, and now they're really going for moves. Yeah,
the difference though is that Sword is renowned as a diving team, and they play pick comps. And what we're seeing TSM right now is another pick comp. You have the Impale, you have the Apprehend, you have all the hard CC coming off from Sona, as well as the burst from Katarina. They could be picking, but they're not trying to catch somebody out in a lane. They're just trying to push these turrets. So I think it's a bit difference in philosophy, and NAJIN Sword, I think, understands how to play these comps maybe just a little bit better than TSM.
Yeah, I just kind of get the feeling, just because of how well Sword closed out the game compared to how well TSM is closing this one out. They're certainly playing phenomenally well. They've made no mistakes. No one's got caught out. They're still picking up advantages. They are now 4 turrets to 0, you know, and they've got their dragons as well. I just, you know, the pace is just that little bit slower than I would expect, though they're making great decisions when they do get into fights.
Yeah, so I think that this isn't a team comp that TSM has run for an extremely long time. You know, Darius is a relatively recent pickup for Dyrus, and Katarina is a relatively recent pickup for Reginald. Yeah. So it seems like they're still trying to learn how to use all of these champions together. It's certainly not as crisp as, say, their Nocturne Karthus, you know, kind of tower dives.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty brutal, and you know, it's cool because it's a strategy we've seen TSM run online, and it's interesting because that's kind of the M5 BenQ philosophy of strategies, is that they'll come up with things in scrimmages, and they'll come up with things as theorycraft, but they like try out their new strategies in online tournaments. because that's where they think they'll get their best practice, and then if they feel good about it, they'll actually bring it to a LAN environment. And so TSM, again, they've been running this online for a little while now, and they said, you know what, yes, we think this Darius, Katarina, Skarner combo is the kind of thing we want to run. And I mean, this is pretty much an exact comp we've seen them run before, and they feel confident with it, though. You know, that even though they are new champions, they've rehearsed this enough to say, yep, this is the kind of strat we want to run. You know, they're now moving for their 5th turret kill. It seems that they are finally grouping up and going for that pressure. Reginald now with that Guardian Angel, that Warmog's Frozen Mallet, it seems, is the pickup, now coming in for Dyrus as well.
Yeah, you know, I have to say I really like the Frozen Mallet pickup because of the hard engage coming out of Curse. You know, they have Elementz, they have Westrice with that unstoppable force, and the Frozen Mallet, what's great about this is that if Curse chooses to engage and Darius can get there, there's really going to be no chance for a disengage at all from Curse, and they'll be able to pick off anybody who actually goes into the mob.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Westrice and Nyjacky and Saint will all go in. The difficulty is they're not going to be likely to leave. I mean, Saint maybe can with his ultimate, but yeah, if Curse chooses an engage and it doesn't go well, it's going to be very, very brutal for them. Now, they do have the tools to win a fight. Again, they are a bursty team, and there are champions that can die overall. You know, even though Reginald has that Guardian Angel, they can still burst out Katarina and, you know, drop her health bar down and then pick her back up when it ends. And if they don't have a big damage threat there, if Reginald gets no abilities off, then yeah, you know, there won't be any dunks coming from Darius.
Here comes the teleport by Westrice into the middle of TSM. He immediately gets chunked for half-life. Reginald looking a little grow up in that top lane. And Dyrus, call him Kareem, because there's the dunk. They're coming in. Saintvicious now running out with that dissonance. Reginald goes down. GA Proxy will revive, but everybody on Curse looking low. Dyrus, another dunk. And there goes Nyjacky as well. So that Baron baiting out the likes of Curse. And now there's going to be a hard push onto this turret in mid lane. That'll be an inhibitor.
It's going to be theirs for sure. Now they're going to count out the death timers from Curse and decide if they want to go for Baron or if they want to leave and heal up and stop that potential. But, you know, honestly, with Chaox being at full health and Dyrus still very tanky, and they've got enough time, they could run for it if they really wanted to, or they could play very low risk, make sure they've all got health bars back up. You'll expect to see TheOddOne and Reginald, especially the ones to heal, or at least, you know, spell vamp or something, but try to keep their health bars in a decent place, and then make sure Curse can't go for a comeback Baron.
Yeah, so they're going to be up plenty of time to reach Baron by the time that the rest of Curse revives, so no counter Baroning here for Curse Gaming. Like you said, a very, very safe choice. Frozen Mallet now completed for Dyrus, and we have the Shirelias up along with Aegis of the Legion on TheOddOne. He'll be using that to full effect for his utility. Chaox now picking up that red buff before going back. Things are looking good for Team Solo Mid. 10,000 gold up at 30 minutes.
Yeah, there was one small window just 20 seconds ago where Reginald was still farming up top lane as Katarina, because they had just won that fight, but his Guardian Angel was down and he was at half health. I mean, and he's really the big playmaker, damage dealer on that team. I mean, yes, of course, you're seeing 6 kills on Dyrus, and of course, Chaox is plenty rich as well. But with Reginald at half health, their cooldowns were all back, basically. Westrice got killed before he got unstoppable force. Saintvicious' cooldowns are low. Nyjacky's cooldowns are low. They had everything up and available to fight again if they wanted to go back in. And their only times to go back in are when someone from TSM is unavailable. And that was Reginald for a short time. But they just kind of sat in mid lane. They didn't get much out of it. And now TSM, they've got full control of the Baron Pit, ward coverage everywhere, and Curse is not even looking to stop them.
Well, Saint down there in the bottom lane, getting hit a bunch by Reginald, taking some damage. He'll pop Shirelias, but that's going to be a free Baron for TSM as Reggie goes to make sure that that tower isn't pushed. 5-1 towers, Baron up now for TSM, and here comes the push.
And they're going to like this pretty much. There's pretty much no way that TSM wants to stop or delay this game any longer. You know, that late game is always a possibility. Corky's always going to have a good late game. He has great damage overall. Last Whisper almost completed, which will allow him to do a bit more damage to that front line. But really, TSM, they've got all the tools they need. They've got an 11,000 gold lead. They've got the Baron buff now, which is you know, worth just so much gold worth of stats as well. I think they're happy to just charge in and make their lives easy and close this game out.
Yeah, Chaox, by the way, leading the pack with 11,300 gold. The closest member on Curse is Nyjacky with 9,000, so he's well ahead. He's going to go ahead and finish up that GA soon, and with the double GA once Reggie's is back up, we're seeing some Moscow 5 style play with stacking GAs here.
It's a good build, and overall, you know, when you're an all-in sort of team, when you need to initiate with your faces, because half your, or really 4/5 of your comp is melee, you've got to be under some turrets sometimes. You know, Curse is a pretty well, you know, structured team. They're smart. They don't get too greedy. They're gonna, you know, generally speaking, try to defend underneath their turrets, especially against something like a Baron buff. And having a Guardian Angel gives you, you know, the armor you need to survive turret shots, and then even the revive itself allows them to keep walking forward and play aggressively. You saw in the last fight, Reginald knew he had Guardian Angel and walked forward knowing he would die because the rest of Curse sat there shooting him and allowed Dyrus to pick up 2 more kills.
And we didn't even mention it there, guys, but there was actually saintvicious just died straight up in a solo duel to Reginald in bottom lane, just pushing again down at the bottom like we saw when they were doing the Baron. It looks like he's channeling HotShot right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the way they're going to get through this one, is they need to buy time somehow, and one of their biggest carries, I mean, their number 2 carry here is going to be saintvicious with Olaf. Of course, yeah, they're going to rely on Corki a lot, but they've got to rely on Saint as well. And hey, he's back in time, you know. Again, it was still a Baron buff team solo mid. You don't want to defend an inhibitor turret when you're behind and against a Baron buff because they will just dive you on those.
Yeah, Apprehend going to do a little bit of damage to Westrice, but Dyrus going to take some more hits from the turret. And you got to like, actually, Curse's comp for turtling against these turrets. They can pretty much just dazzle anybody who gets in the mid lane or in front. They can put Westrice in front and with the Frozen Heart and the Ground Slam and really slow down any kind of auto attacks that are coming out of basically Dyrus, and if he wants to be diving into that turret.
Yeah, so you know, it's a good defensive team overall. The difficulty, though, is that everyone on TSM is going to be tanky, and Chaox will be in the back.
And that'll be a grab onto Nyjacky, and there's the dunk again. Elementz gonna be hit, and there goes Westrice's Malphite Curse saintvicious running back to that Slain inhibitor, and that'll be lights out for him. Dribble kill for Reginald.
And there it is, 17-2, team solo mid. And there's a surrender, TSM. They're gonna take game 1 against Curse here at the MLG Fall Championships.
So big congratulations for TSM for winning their first game there. So as we were saying, like perhaps they're a little bit unused to this kind of pick comp. They delayed this game pretty long, but they did also play it very safe, so they knew they would win, like you said, and we end up with an end score of 17-2 and 47 for TSM versus 217 and 4 for Curse. So we can say pretty convincingly that was a dominating victory by TSM.
Yeah, and it's really TSM having such amazing team fight mechanics over and over. You know, Curse had an amazing early game strategy. Yes, they had to sacrifice some of Westrice's power in order to set those kills up, but getting Nyjacky the first blood, stealing away the blues, slowing down the odd one, those were all absolutely great moves that if I were them, I would do again. I would you know, set up that early game pressure. The problem is they had that misstep team fight, and it all turned around from there. And when TSM gets a lead, they so rarely lose it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that dragon fight was really the critical moment of that game, and they just did an amazing job not only winning that fight, but also securing dragon for themselves when Curse's communication somehow broke down about who was going to, you know, if that smite was going to go off. Maybe saintvicious was more concerned at looking at the positioning of TSM than watching the dragon HP, and that ultimately kind of sealed their fate after they had an early lead.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's that one bad fight that Curse, as you mentioned, they just can't seem to win dragon fights to save their lives. Well, but, you know, they've got to save their lives here. They're down 0-1 in a best of 3. Now, it's double elimination. They'll come back tomorrow no matter what happens in this series, but they want to get themselves as guaranteed top 6. They want to go through above Team Solo Mid, get themselves on farther forward. We've already seen 2 Korean teams move on so far, but, you know, they want to be one of those North American teams to battle it out in the semifinals.
Yeah, I don't actually know if this has been said on the mainstream yet, but we did have AZUBU BLAZE and Team Dynamic playing on the side stream, and for those of you guys, or not a side stream, but there is no other side stream, excuse me, but playing off stage. And so what happened there was BLAZE went up 2-0 against Dynamic, even though Dynamic actually had some pretty interesting things going for them. The Entonso played mid gangplank with Tiamat.
And we've seen that again, you know, from these online tournaments. They try these new things, and sometimes it works out for them. And as well, you know, Dynamic actually came out leading both game 1 and 2. A lot of people kind of considered that like the one super hardcore stomp match of the tournament, and it ended up being really close.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but we'll be back with you with TSM versus Curse Game 2 in just a couple minutes, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the MLG Fall Championship here in sunny Dallas. It's a little dark
night.
now.
I don't think it's, yeah.
Has been sunny this whole weekend. 80
That's
degrees, lovely weather.
It's nice.
It is.
For those of you in Europe, it's 25-ish, 30-ish.
I don't know the conversions.
I didn't know the Celsius in my head. I'm sorry.
All right,
it's
guys.
warm.
So we're about to start game 2 versus TSM, from TSM versus Curse, but first, I think you got to talk about some giveaways for...
We got a giveaway, in fact. Yeah, so during MLG Dallas, iBuyPower is giving away one special edition Chimera 4 gaming system. This tower was signed by commentators and pros at this event. So if you want to win this, well, you got a chance. Find out how you can do that. Head over to ibuypower.com/MLG. Contest details, head on over, let you know what's going on. You can see all the wonderful silver Sharpie with that black and orange case. It's awesome, it's fast, and you've got like thousands of dollars worth of eBay signatures on it. So
I see saintvicious, I saw Nintendo, Zion Spartan. So lots of your favorite pros on there. So go on over, try and win it.
Yeah, do it up. I mean, come on. So, you know, and we're here coming into game 2. Now, Curse had a great start to that series. You know, they did. They came out 2-0. They had great amounts of steals. They did a lot of good things. And they just had a couple of misstep team fights. And then TSM, they kind of just grew their lead. They had a really mid-game-centric team where they could reset and keep crushing out in fights. And they did that over and over. But, you know, Curse had a good lineup. They had, of course, amazing players. And they had a good strategy to open it up. They just got to get those team fights going in their favor, and it's going to be fine. So I think they've got what it takes to take game 2.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree. And I really actually liked the roaming Taric initially. They were running something a little bit different. They were trying what we had seen a little bit of at the MLG, or at the Season 2 World Championship that Dignitas was running. But it worked initially, but it kind of fell apart in the long run. Once they set back to normal lanes, TSM just outlaned them and out-team fought them, and that was it.
Yeah, you know, and of course they sacrificed Westrice there because, you know, normally when you do a lane swap in a 2-on-1, okay, the solo laner is going to get starved, right? Malphite's going to get starved and Dyrus will get starved. But they didn't put a 2-on-1 on Dyrus, they put a 1-on-1, and so none of those lanes got hurt from TSM, but one of them, of course, did get hurt for Curse. What they did was they tried to hurt TheOddOne, right? That was the lane that got starved there by that strategy. And it worked out initially, but the Dragon in that one team fight completely reset all of that. That one team fight gave him those double gold per 10, and then they were fine.
So we are actually in picks and bans right now. If we can move over, first ban is down. Curse's blue team this time. We've got red team TSM. Rengar going to be the first ban. And what we've seen Curse do recently is they will ban out Rengar Eve because none of their players really play them, but they will leave Jace open, and I guarantee you if Jace is open, they will first pick Jace. He's one of their favorite top laners at the moment. And
oh, sure. But I think at the same time, you know, Team Solomid also knows that. TSM knows that Jace is so favored, and one thing I think that's actually pretty relevant is, you know, back at the World Championships in the North American Regional, Westrice was kind of hurt because he had a bit of a limited champion pool, that he was kind of stuck with the same 3 champions over and over, and it was kind of just crush him with those, you know, very sort of predictable picks. And I don't think that TSM is a team that's going to give away Jace because they want to put him in one of those predictable picks that have more counter options.
Well, definitely not going to give away Jace now. Even Jace banned. Skarner now going down. Interesting considering how badly they actually gimped TheOddOne last game. So to me, like I was saying early in the picks process, I do know that Curse has been practicing with poke comps. And so a Skarner ban could signify a poke comp coming in. And they're also banning Blitzcrank, which is another great counter to poke comps.
Yeah, so that actually makes a whole lot of sense because normally you think Elementz is one of those supports who is known for great Blitzcrank play. Now, Xpecial, of course, plays him as well, sure, but you know, it's always weird to see a team ban out one of their own favorite champions, and yeah, that really speaks to that poke comp, you know, possibility right there. And just like almost every game we've seen here, Ezreal, one of those first 3 picks in the game, Curse really considering it for their first pick here. You know, that's strong. You can't really go wrong with that. It can give away it can be a poke comp champion, but at the same time, you can play completely standard, just kind of like what TSM did. You know, there was no special reason, at this reset comp to pick Ezreal. They just picked Ezreal because he's really strong. Yeah,
and Ezreal in general, by the way, guys, if you have just tuned in, this is being played on the Kha'Zix patch, so this is before the Essence Flux nerfs that kind of took him down a notch. Still very strong, but very strong right now. And the other great thing about Ezreal is that he can work with pretty much any support. He's not very limited by the support choices he can have in lane, so you can build your support more to the team comp rather than the lane matchup, which is an interesting facet to Ezreal.
Yeah, so you know, overall, it's one of those great safe picks, and that happens sometimes when you've got you know, a champion that works in any situation. He just becomes a safe pick. It's why a lot of people like Shen early on, or why people you know, pick a lot of these laners that can go anywhere. NooNoo used to be really common for this as well, just because they could run as a solo or in the jungle or as a support and have multiple roles. It's what the AZUBU teams like to do, is play hide the Vladimir, because he can play solo top, solo mid, whatever, and they would just pick him early on, and then every pick that came out from the other team had to watch out for either of those options. And you're just kind of seeing TSM, really their extensive champion roster really playing into their advantage right now. It's like, great, you banned out the jungle Skarner. Well, guess what? OddOne ran and crushed everyone with it, MLG Providence. Well, that was...
going way back a year ago.
Going way back when they beat Epic, like 5-0 by picking up Maokai every single time.
That was, you know, and of course, TheOddOne, the quintessential jungle Maokai. Nobody had seen jungle Maokai before that. Whips it out in the finals of the tournament and just rolls Epic Gamer.
Yeah, and Dan, I think, still has nightmares about that. Because he got camped pretty hard in mid lane.
Yeah, he did. Well, and so we have Dyrus now coming out with the Karthus, so maybe we're going to see a more common TSM comp that we've seen in the past, a classic, a TSM classic, as it were.
Yeah, it's a team fight comp. It's interesting because this is the sort of strategies that they're picking here. Is you look back at game one, and it was very much a team fight comp where they would come in, someone would initiate, and they would get resets and keep going and keep rolling in that fight. When you grab champions like Maokai and Karthus, I mean, Karthus has presence around the map at all times, and he can help all the ganks. But when you come down to it, that is a champion you want to team fight with, and Maokai is a champion you want to team fight with. And so they're going to keep having these types of champions. Now, what I kind of feel like I'm going to see here from Curse is that Darius pick, because that true damage will completely pull through the Twisted Maelstrom from Maokai, and when you've got unmitigated damage like that, and you're kind of relying on that ultimate, you can really chop through the enemy team much faster.
Yeah, and also yes, exactly. And we see now the picks coming out for Nyjacky and saintvicious, and this is looking like it could be developing into some sort of poke comp here. We do have the command attack and the cleavers coming out of Mundo, as well as the poke from Ezreal as well. So and if you're going to be facing a team comp and we have the Skarner down, Maokai's always a great choice because he can lock somebody in place while they're trying to poke and maybe disengage with the Shrelia's Reverie. They have to leave a man behind with that Twisted Advance. Yeah,
and you mentioned Shrelia's Reverie, but hey, why have it as an item? But you can have it as an ability. They insta-locked Sivir there in that comp. So right away, they're a team that wants to team fight, but now has two great initiation abilities.
I think TSM knows exactly what Curse is doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, with the Leona there as well, I was going to predict a Malphite, but you've got pretty much a very similar ability here. If you do grab one of those long-range initiation stuns, it's going to be hard for Curse, for all of them to dodge that Solar Flare, and then TSM can walk right back into the Twisted Advance with the Wall of Pain, with everything else, and they're going to have a really good chance. If this is a long-range poke comp, TSM can jump right in on this.
So in terms of top lane, you did say a Darius pick, perhaps, and we do know that Westrice plays that champion quite a lot. And of course, as we've said in the past, Darius, the natural counter to Maokai because he's got an axe.
Yeah, exactly. It's a hard counter. I mean, you might pick Lumberjack Scion as well. It's always an option. Maybe Zyra for some plant-on-plant action. Who knows? But there's a lot of options, of course, available. What are the other favorite top laners there? Rumble, really good for fighting it in team fights. I really don't think though that they want to sort of out team fight this. I think TSM has the complete mobility advantage when they've got Karthus with Wall of Pain, when they don't want people to sit in that Maokai ultimate, when they don't, when they've got Sivir running around with hers as well. I don't really like Curse's idea of fighting fire with more fire. I think that's a bit of a mistake here.
Yeah, and the Jax pickup interesting as well. It can be a dangerous pick if Jax doesn't get fed, because they're going to try and use Jax to kind of kill Karthus, and Dyrus may be playing Singed.
I think we saw Singed versus Jax back in the World Championship from Shy, I think. I was trying to remember what he pulled Singed against. Well, it's going to be Olaf, doesn't really matter too much. And that actually kind of troubled me because, any kind of lineup that picks Jax tends to rely on Jax. They're relying on him for the extra damage output. And when you consider, a low damage support like Sona, a low damage mid like Orianna, you're going to kind of pick a high damage champion somewhere, and that is going to be Jax. But they picked Jax blind. TSM left their top laner for that very last pick and said, all right, we're going to counterlane whatever you grab. And Olaf versus Jax, I got to say, looks really good for Olaf.
Yeah, and it really is because he doesn't rely on the auto attack, so the counter strike doesn't hurt him as much because he can still trade very heavily with Reckless Swing. So that's, that definitely goes in favor of Olaf if he can get in, get a quick Reckless Swing, and get out.
Yeah, it's going to be strong overall. So we're going to see what these teams are going to be up to. We're going to be right back after this commercial break with Game 2 of Team Solo Mid versus Team Curse.
game 2 of Team Solo Mid versus Curse in this first round of the MLG Fall Championship in Dallas. I'm MonteCristo, and with me is Phreak.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
It's a good night to be here in Dallas, seeing some great games already, and another one coming up right away. Looks like we've got the line of scrimmage going down for both teams, just playing defensive, and we got some early saplings from the TheOddOne's Maokai, just probing around, figuring out where saintvicious is, giving that little extra vision. Xpecial will drop a ward at those wraiths, so they'll know what Saint is up to right away.
And this is the kind of situation where I'd expect Curse to actually make some aggressive moves early on. The level 1 team from Team Solo Mid, not all that good. Maokai usually very prone to invades. Yeah, Karthus and Sivir and Olaf will do pretty well overall, but they've got a teleport from Westrice plus his counterstrike, so not only can he initiate the fight really well, but if it drags on for a long time, he can always teleport back up and get a farm advantage. And so this is the kind of situation where I'd expect to see Curse make some pretty big moves early on. And also, if you look around the minimap, you can see TSM are already setting up for a lane swap as well. And this makes a lot of sense. You've got Olaf, who can survive 1v2s really, really well with Undertow, and you're fighting against a Jax, who just needs farm really heavily. So, this looks very difficult here for Curse overall if it goes the way this looks.
And yeah, and an unfarmed Olaf with no kills does very poorly against Karthus because he's just not going to be able to get into Karthus and survive the amount of damage that he has to take from Defile in order to get a kill there. So that'll really play into TSM's favor if they can keep Westrice down in that top lane.
And I think it's just very, very likely overall. So you're seeing both junglers kind of clear through their camps. It turns out no invades quite happened here. Westrice in a bit of a 1 versus 2, not in the best shape of his life, but he's surviving so far. We'll see if that ends up being more pressure than he can handle. And you are going to see some decent zoning here against Dyrus. Now, one good thing that goes well for them, though, is saintvicious right now is starting his Lizard buff, and he's going to be level 3 very, very soon. And if they want to push to turret, they can set up a total 3-on-1 dive against Dyrus. They can set it up before he even hits level 2. And being that he only has Ghost, they can lock him up the entire time, and using Lizard buff and Cleavers can actually keep him slowed more than his base move speed.
Yeah, there is the fact that TSM does have that ward there, so they know exactly where saintvicious is, and it looks like he's going to be heading up into the upper jungle, clearing out his wolves. There is a ping now on his wolves, so it looks like TSM knows exactly what he's up to.
Yeah, so it turns out, that early ward coverage, and again, that's actually part of the strategy here, is TSM knows they're going for a 1 versus 2, and they know that when that happens, that a tower dive is very, very likely, around that 3-minute mark when both buffs are done and the jungler can show up and tower dive here. And so they put the early wards down already watching for that kind of move, and that kind of just shows you the level of excellence here from Team Solo Mid. They know their strategy, and they know the basic counter to their strategy as well. And
TSM also has done a much better job of advantageously freezing the lane. We do see a blue ping now down on TSM, so Curse looking like they're going to come up and try and clear this out. But they have frozen the lane better. Westrice being completely zoned out, whereas Olaf has at least been able to get some CS under the safety of his turret using that Undertow.
Well, yeah, and you can see as well that, Saint expects the tower dive here. He's waiting in that Tri-Brush near the lane because he expects the dive to happen, whether it's from the TheOddOne or just from the 2 right there. If they try to zone Westrice at his turret, he'll be fine here with the defense from Mundo.
And meanwhile, the first blood goes down as Elementz just flashes in with that Hymn of Valor. The poke too strong in Curse's bottom lane, whittling Olaf down.
And I'm extremely impressed by that. Here comes actually a 2-on-3. Westrice going in for the stun, but here comes TheOddOne as here comes saintvicious. The exhaust is on, but Westrice suddenly more than he'd bargained for. Leap strike and flash. That's actually going to be enough for him to get out.
Yeah, very well played there to turn that around by TSM, but also Westrice doing a great job of reading that situation, instantly reacting and getting out.
Yeah, it's really good, and of course the counter-strike being used as well, the stun, giving him a bit more time to survive that encounter. And of course he's got Summoner Teleport, so you can walk right back into one of those lanes at full health, get some new items, and just walk out happily. But I got to hand it to Curse overall. That was a really, really well-played job killing off Dyrus there. He went with Boots 3 potions. Cop spent his entire time at the turret just poking at Dyrus. And that's really one of the things that happens if you push to a turret. You force your opponents to be in range of you if they want a last hit.
And look, we have Elementz actually coming up in top and getting caught by TheOddOne as they are going to dive under the turret. Cop following up. Will they be able to get a kill out of this? TheOddOne is very low. Here he goes. Autos will take him down. There's the Mystic shot. Xpecial coming in as well. They sent 3 top, so Westrice is up there too. And there's the double kill for Cop. Chaox running through his life through Curse's jungle. Looks like he will fall in just a matter of seconds as Nyjacky loops around. They miss the Mystic shot. He's gonna get hit by that Essence Flux, and that'll be a kill for Westrice. And now a good lead, 4-1 for Curse.
Would you look at that? Those early game plays, so amazing. And I completely chalked it up. I said that 2v1 was going to be better for solo mid. Turns out completely incorrect. I love that move that OddOne made, camping in that tri-brush, knowing the lane swap was going to come on back, knowing that they had pushed that turret so low that they could dive right afterwards. But all of Curse was ready for it anyway. Amazing play by them to turn that one around.
I mean, really, OddOne made the right call there. He couldn't have known that the AD carry support and Jax would be coming up into that top lane. It was a weird call by Curse, and Curse actually catching them out. And those mind games just doing work and getting them in the lead.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal play overall. And even though they're up in kills, they've only got a 700 gold lead because that mid lane and that top lane just completely out farming here for solo mid.
Yeah, Westrice now returning to that bottom lane, but now we see TSM pulling the same trick. They do still want to go with this 2v1 situation, even though Westrice did manage to get a kill. He does have significantly less farm than Olaf, so the bad side about taking that those all 3 champions up top was it allowed a significant period of free farm for Olaf.
Yeah, and that's going to be really the big key here for solo mid is minion kills right now. These 2v1s are still going to be, kills aside. As far as the matchup's concerned, it's still better for team solo mid. Dyrus has ranged farming tools, and Westrice just simply does not. And so in every one of these situations, it'll be better for solo mid to be in these situations.
Yeah, and I really have to say that this has also slowed down the early game presence for TSM. You're talking about a team fight presence, but also with Maokai and Karthus, you have a great diving presence. But now that they're a bit behind in kills, it's going to be harder for them to get those picks under turrets.
Yeah, all they can really dive here is Westrice, and the thing is, they're sending Westrice right now up to that top lane, and Westrice without a turret is going to be very, very easy to dive. He's still got a little bit of time before his flash comes back up. And, he's waiting there for like one last ward. There we go. Finally comes out and leaves the fountain with that. And that ward's going to keep him alive because he's got to spot the OddOne coming in. But the thing is, good luck running from an Olaf who's going to undertow you, catch the axe, and keep running at you. It's going to be very hard for Westrice to survive these situations. 2 levels down, 30 minions down. That 1 champion kill is not going to be enough to turn that around.
And the multiple switches that we've actually seen from TSM going into the 2v1 lanes, moving the AD support into bottom lane, it actually has allowed Dyrus to farm up even further ahead. He's now 51 to 21, 30 CS up on Westrice. So the constant swapping actually, in terms of CS, definitely working out in TSM's favor. And they're just chipping away at that gold lead. With that tower, even though they're down 3 kills, it's only a 600 gold lead for Curse.
And that's the champion comps. You've got Olaf, who's going to undertow and pick the axe back up. You've got Leona Sivir, who's going to throw out Zenith Blade with Boomerang Blade and completely wave clear. And that's the way to do it. When you're going for lane swaps, you want to just clear out the minion waves completely. And that way, when you recall, they finally all come back to lane and you've missed out almost nothing. And it's just so easy for them to keep doing that over and over and over again that until Cop has finally hit level 6 and uses the True Shot Barrage, they don't have that same wave clearing potential. So yeah, these swaps always work for TSM.
I also like the way that we have Dyrus building here with the early Heart of Gold. Now we see Westrice using his very limited amount of money to get Doran's Blades. So not only does Dyrus have the CS advantage, but he's building in a way that will maximize his damage into the late game, while Westrice is using these Doran's Blades just to sit up top and farm. So he's not really gaining an advantage in terms of trades or anything aggressive that you might normally see with an early double Doran's build.
I think he's going to start now, though, now that they've actually finally stopped lane swapping and they went back to that one-on-one. You've seen Westrice completely catch back up in minions, and being a level 7 Jax, actually tying levels with Dyrus here and having that double Doran's Blade, he can actually push Dyrus around a little bit. Their gold's close enough, and he can actually start being really useful here in this matchup.
So we see Nyjacky, a little bit of a trade going on in mid lane. It's been very passive since that early excitement, and Curse now pulling ahead a little bit more with a lead up to about 1,100 gold. And as you were saying, that was the advantage that we saw with Curse Westrice catching back up a little bit to Dyrus.
Yeah, so that's going to be a huge deal, though. Again, anytime you run a team composition with a Jax there, as long as you didn't, just lose champion select automatically, you're relying on Jax to be a big factor of your team. And why the heck not? You've got a great team to support that. You've got, Ezreal on your team, whose Essence Flux gives you bonus attack speed. You've got Orianna on there with with all the moves the ball does, whether it's the Command Protect or the Shockwave and Dissonance. You've got Sona in there for Crescendo. This team could easily be Protect the Jax with Cop playing kind of the secondary carry here. And if Westrice has a good game, he'll completely win the game by himself. I mean, I say by himself, but of course supporting cast will be a huge factor. But that's a huge deal right here. They're relying on him for the damage output. And as long as he keeps having a good lane, as long as he keeps up in farm, he'll be on track.
Yeah, saintvicious looking to do some early game ward clearing. If he ends up into that North River, he will find a couple wards from TSM, and that'll give Curse a temporary kind of sight advantage here on this map. Elementz going to go ahead and plop down a ward near Dragon. Both teams still looking at that. We have a duel going down in top lane. Westrice actually doing quite a bit of damage to Dyrus. Dyrus having to back out, but he will get back to his turret with some safety. Counter-Strike's already been used, so no more stuns from that.
Yeah, that's going to keep being the situation over and over again, that, you know, Heart of Gold Ninja Tabby, they don't protect all that well against Jax's damage. I mean, health is nice, of course, but you're not buying it for the stats, you're buying it for the gold generation, and Jax does so much magic damage, especially when you max Empower first, that the Ninja Tabby won't even defend that either. So just, you know, once again, Westrice is going to have a really good time in that lane, and it is his job to keep bullying out Dyrus. I would expect to see him pull closer and closer in minions as time goes on.
And look at this tower will go down immediately in this bottom lane. Curse Cop slowly poking it down very safely, using a lot of that minion damage to make sure it got down while he did not take any kind of trade damage whatsoever. So he's going to go back now, and that'll again increase Curse's lead to a little over 2K.
And that's just huge, huge, huge. And they're going to go, again, Westrice with a nice bait right there, just getting, again, free damage on the Dyrus, waiting in the brush. Look at that, dropping him to half health the second he walks back in a lane. Now, Dyrus will still have an easy time last hitting, and he's got a Philosopher's Stone, but these kind of moves will be continually happening for Westrice. Yeah,
Westrice, unfortunately, with no mana, so those trades are going to be a little bit harder from this point out, but Curse having a nearly full HP turret down in this bottom lane. Chaox going to get a little bit of free farm while Cop heads back to pick up some items. Looks like he'll be going for a Phage into BF Sword, and he's already picked up a dagger as well, not building those Berserker's Greaves, so it seems to me he'll be farming for a little bit, not too worried about getting caught out anywhere or dealing with the lessened move speed in team fights.
Yeah, so one thing that actually just happened off camera there was Westrice actually teleported to that ward in the brush and tried to stun Xpecial with Counter-Strike. Xpecial had to burn Flash to get away from that one. So Westrice already feeling very confident on the map. You know, 76 minion kills, has a Phage, going to be rushing that Trinity Force. And he'll be really effective overall, but you know, he's starting to really exert himself on the map.
Dyrus taking a little bit of damage in return for getting that ward down. Saint will know it's there now, his team calling that ward, I'm sure. Saint's in the meantime just trying to farm up in top lane and popping his ult. Now we're going to have a Dragon fight here, TSM at Dragon. They're going to zone him out with Wall of Pain. Westrice having to get back, dodge those layways, jump to a ward, but this will be, looks like a free Dragon. Wait, there it goes, the combo with Shockwave and True Shot Barrage, but it won't be enough to kill the OddOne. TSM picks up the Dragon, and we're back down to 1,000 gold lead for Curse.
Yep, OddOne low on health. Jack's not in the best place, really. Still getting completely zoned out by Reginald. And I got to give props to Reginald. He just straight up dueled the top laner and made him completely run away, which really stopped, you know, Curse's chance at pinching or pincing, you know, into that one. But however, by sending the jungler away, they've built themselves a really nice advantage here in the mid lane. Look at that, Reginald immediately blowing up, and they've now found more damage for themselves. Xpecial not in the best place, but will it be enough? No one's going to drop from the Requiem. Would you look at that? A kill for nothing. They stopped the turret pressure, which is nice, but Cop got a free golem buff.
So the thing about Elementz, a lot of players may not remember, but Elementz used to be known really, really well for his Sona play, and that was just a beautiful crescendo and coordination under turret right there to pick up that kill on Reginald. And you know, people tend to think of him as a Blitzcrank or a NuNu player these days, but man, he's always been an expert at Sona as well.
And the really good thing that he does here as well is he loves rushing that, or not rushing necessarily, but grabbing Chalice of Harmony in order to keep spamming out all of his abilities. And heck, he's against a lot of magic damage. He's fighting a Karthus. He's going to be in the fray at some point, so the magic resist helps, but it's really there to just spam his abilities out as much as possible. And off the back of him getting the first blood early on, him getting the gold pretends early on, he's got a gold lead over Xpecial despite being down a dragon. You know, he's able to kind of facilitate buying those items and then transitioning into the rest of that build.
Yeah, and the great thing about Sona too with the Chalice of Harmony is it not only can keep your team up and healed, but those pokes actually hurt quite a bit, even without any AP. You can see Hymn of Valor right now doing 200 damage, and so if you have a prolonged siege with an Orianna and a Sona constantly putting out that poke damage, it can really wear you down.
Oh, absolutely, and that's going to be kind of their game plan here is to kind of force TSM to go in on them, because TSM has one strong initiation tool, and that is the ultimate from Leona. And as long as Curse is well positioned here and they don't get caught out by that too much, they're going to be in great shape. You know, I don't think Cop's going to get caught. Westrice is highly mobile, and if he whiffs Leap Strike against Solar Flare, that's him being sleepy or something, because he should be able to do that at any time really. And Nyjacky should be too far away, and saintvicious is on Dr. Mundo, so no one's going to really tank Solar Flare and care about it. So you know, it's going to be hard for TSM to start the fights the way they want to. They've got to kind of barrel in and hope that they can get everyone stuck in inside of Karthus' Defile. And the thing is, Curse has a huge amount of crowd control. They can stop this.
And we actually see Chaox having to pop his ult there, and here comes saintvicious running after him, hitting him with Cleaver after Cleaver. There's the Mystic Shot, and the Cleaver will finish him off. Curse, saintvicious takes down Chaox's Sivir.
And that's just going to be more and more of a lead. Look at that. Let's look at Ezreal compared to Sivir here. So 3-0-3, of course, a huge score. More minions as well, but he's got finished Berserker's Greaves, finished Bloodthirster, and a Phage. And Chaox hasn't even finished Bloodthirster yet. So this is a huge, huge difference in items here that's going to really set Curse apart. And this is much better than last time, where before it was Nyjacky getting fed with a couple of kills, and it allowed him to finish the Chalice of Harmony and then finish out the Athenes and Holy Grail. But that doesn't make him a carry, it just makes him useful. Well, here you've got a fed AD carry. Cop has a boatload of gold. He's going to keep putting the pressure here. And Curse, they've got an aggressive team. Saint can face tank turrets. Cop and Elementz and Nyjacky from the back can keep putting out damage. And Westrice is going to keep growing as a result of being in this game. I really like Curse's chances here.
Oh, and here comes actually Xpecial going in on Nyjacky, and that crescendo, he's going to have to flash out in order to miss it. And there's the shockwave just going to blow up Xpecial. Reginald now getting caught out. Elementz doing a lot of damage. Nyjacky getting pinned inside the Defile. Here comes Requiem. Will it be enough? The answer is no. Nyjacky lives.
Oh, man, would you look at that great play overall. And I just want to point out, Elementz low on mana. That Chalice helping him win that fight. It was absolutely the heal coming in, making things good. Now Dyrus running in, completely 1-on-5. He will kill Nyjacky, and he might even get away with it. Would you believe that? Dyrus, full on 1v5. 1v4, I don't know if Ezreal's actually there, but...
That's the power of Ragnarok, man.
Yeah.
The end of days, it's coming for you.
It is. Nyjacky ran. Actually, he missed his flash as well. I think he tried to flash the wall and whiffed it and stayed in place. And that was, I mean, that's yeah, Ghost, Ragnarok, Ignite, just chops him down. Why not? Pick up free gold. It's just a cooldown.
So one thing that you were talking about earlier was that there are limited ways for TSM to engage with this team fight lineup.
Yeah.
And sometimes I want to point out that Curse really wants, you know, we've seen Crescendo and Shockwave used very offensively in these last couple picks that Curse has done in mid lane, but really in the team fight sense, with some comps, you want to use Crescendo to engage, you want to use Shockwave to engage, but in this sense, it's almost better to actually just throw the Protect onto like Mundo and wait for them to come at you and use the Crescendo to keep them off your carries so that nobody can get into that back line. Same thing with Crescendo. It's going to be used for that counter engage so that they can continue to kite backwards while killing the champions from TSM.
That's ultimately what Curse would like to have happen. They would love if TSM ran at them and they got amazing shockwaves and dissonances, and Mundo was completely terrifying, and then they couldn't ever touch Cop or Westrice. The thing is, that's very unlikely. TSM is not a team that's going to try to run into fights because they know they're behind. They know, yeah, their farm is really good, but like even Nyjacky got ahead of Reginald's Karthus, and they know they're behind in turrets. They know they're behind in kills. So solo mid, they're not likely to pick fights that aren't going to go their way. So you're not likely to get that counter engage really available for Curse. So Curse going to have to make their own sort of funky, you know, initiations, and there's going to be saintvicious ulting and hoping they can land a shockwave. Otherwise, TSM are going to be happy to sort of let this game stall out. They've got Olaf on a solo lane. He's going to get farmed. They've got a Karthus, and they've got a Sivir. They're all going to scale amazingly throughout this game. TSM is happy to play a 45-minute game. Curse must keep making moves here.
Yeah, great point, Phreak. And, you know, as you're saying, Olaf and Karthus very, very strong into that late game. It's just the sheer amount of damage they can put out late. They need to get Chaox back in this game. He is slowly kind of crawling out of the hole that he fell into, picking up his CS, not too far down right now. compared to Cops Ezreal. A bit of a goal difference, though, mostly from global objectives right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Dragon's being picked up now. I think it's 1-for-1 though on that. But yeah, it's the +1 turret, and it's all their kills, making it quite a bit of a lead here. The difficulty, I guess, is Curse doesn't have the best ways of creating action. All their initiations are very readable. I think everyone's played against Orianna enough, especially players like Team Solo Mid, that they know when the ball's coming and they know what's going to happen. And the only easy shockwave targets are on melee range champions that have to kind of walk at you. I mean, Westrice can maybe leap strike flash, but that's a bit difficult. And saintvicious doesn't even have flash. He's going to just simply walk at you, and he's going to tank a wall of pain to the face and not get to initiate very much. So all of Curse's initiations are very, very readable. And so TSM, I mean, if they make no mistakes, they can really kind of keep themselves from being jumped on. But what I see Curse doing most successfully is completely sweeping out every ward on the map and starting to pressure red and blue buff and starting to pressure Dragon, as they have been, and maybe pull even a CLG versus Team WE where they kill 80 wards and start a Baron buff.
Yeah, that's a great point. And saintvicious actually had an early Oracle and has been doing a wonderful job of sweeping the map and keeping that map presence and map vision up for Curse this entire game. They do have one ward, TSM. Oh, wow, there's the initiation. Solar Flare going to airball it, so nothing there. Now, Westrice going to leap strike over the wall onto OddOne. There it is. He flashed over. Now the leak strike coming out. OddOne gets exhausted. That will be the end of Maokai. saintvicious now rolling back out, and here comes the ult from Karthus. He went down there, and looks like we have Nyjacky and Elementz dead, and Dyrus now chasing Westrice down. Leap strikes out of the way. Undertow picks him up. Couldn't quite dodge that one, but Saint looks like he will get out scot-free. Now 3-2 in favor of TSM in that team fight, and they're starting to come back, Phreak.
They are, but at the same time, that was a full-on 4v5 where they lost the first 2 kills, and then Chaox played cleanup mode. But Cop, I wouldn't say it was necessarily the best call for Curse, but he did get a free turret out of it and a lot of farm. So he is still going to be a huge threat, but the difficulty was he was just nowhere to be seen in that battle. If that was a 5-on-5, you would have seen Curse win that team fight 4-0 with no issues, because there's no way that Chaox could sit there diving Jacky and diving Elementz without Comp having something to say about it. Now, I don't think that was the best option really for Curse to trade -1 kill for a turret. It's still an advantage, but those kills went to Chaox and Dyrus. You don't want to give kills to the carries that you've shut down early on just to get a turret out of it. So I think Curse really kind of wants to fight 5-on-5s a bit more.
Yeah, and we actually see Randuin's Omen now being picked up for Dyrus, trying to slow down the attack speed of that Jax jumping into the lines. Unlikely he's going to be able to hit Cops Ezreal with it, but definitely for use on Jax and a little bit on Mundo.
I think he's still going to... I would think that he would still try to dive Cop, make him run away. He's got enough armor that he can simply run at it, because if he sits there swinging on Westrice is going to just try to ignore him and still try to kill a really important target like Chaox or Reginald and then move on from there. If Cop gets to sit there and attack Reginald for free from the back lines, like Dyrus has to sit there and face tank Mystic shots or Reginald dies immediately. And they can't let Reginald die immediately. They need him to survive the first few seconds of the fight and get more Defile out and get a couple more lay waits, because that's really where I think most of their damage is still going to come from him just right now.
So Curse saintvicious going to make a circle around the Baron pit. He is going to find the ward that TSM has there, so it'll be lights out on Baron for TSM. Element's going to go ahead, and we might see the Curse Baron dance starting somewhat soon. They're going to look to try and take down this turret. There it'll go down. So a pretty comfortable 6,000 gold lead here in the middle of the 23rd minute.
Yeah, this is going really, really well. Curse is making the right moves. Just like the last game, I feel like, they don't quite have that NAJIN sword like kill move where they just kind of close the game out in 21 minutes, with like a 15-1 score. But they're absolutely making, generally speaking, very, very good plays. They are putting the pressure on. They are up that 5,000 gold. They do still have that 5-kill lead, and they are really crushing the turrets down 4-1. So they're making a lot of good moves, but I just fear for them because that late game, again, there's just so much potential there with Olaf, Sivert, and Karthus that just, for any of the Curse fans out there, you really want them to put more pressure on very, very soon.
Yeah, Xpecial actually has run out of wards. Oh, there's the last one coming down right now, and that'll be easily cleared out. saintvicious knows it's there. Got to be safely taken out by Cop. They have a vision ward, interestingly, on Baron as well. So there comes the Undertow checking that Baron from Dyrus. He's not going to be able to get anything. They keep warding up here in this Tribe Rush. They're trying to keep this vision, but Saint so far has cleared like 6 or 7 wards in the last couple minutes.
Oh yeah, it's really, really good for him. And now TSM making a great move, pushing down that mid lane. Nyjacky almost getting caught by that stun. The shockwave comes out. Can he put any more damage on a Reginald? Is anyone going to get caught here?
No, it doesn't look like it. And here comes the port from Westrice into mid lane. Bit of extra poke going down on Chaox. He's just going to back out and run away. What is going to happen here? They're going to clear out the ward.
TSM's got no health.
TSM has no health. And are they going to force a Baron more and more? Look how many wards Curse has on the side of the map by Baron. It's like 5. So they do have tons of vision. Dyrus checking in with Undertow again. This is the deadly curse dance. Like, this is where they can lose games, like we saw them last time with Dragon. They've had a lot of vision. They poked down a lot of TSM's champions, and they probably could have made a strong attempt on Baron already.
Yeah, Xpecial's ultimate's coming up before too terribly long. He's only got 24 seconds to wait till Solar Flare's back up. That'll be in time for that team fight. Jacky's grabbing Golem buff, and that's all well and fine. But all the cooldown's going to be back. TSM now back with full health. Everyone's just there and ready to fight again. That really was a chance for Curse to just make a move there.
Even if they didn't have to finish Baron, they could have at least baited it and picked up a couple kills.
Absolutely. They're a little bit afraid here. It looked a lot like that Dragon fight in game 1 where, you know, they kind of stopped killing it, and Westrice was like, well, I've got to defend this top turret, and they didn't just sort of say, no, you know what, 5 men strong, let's just kill Dragon, and if someone shows up, just jump on him. And they're not doing that. You know, they had a full 5-on-4 with no Solar Flare even remotely available. You know, they could have trusted saintvicious' smite. He's 3 levels up. His smite's going to do more damage. His ability to burst that down is going to be higher. There's a million forms of crowd control here on Curse, especially as a counter-initiate. It would have been great for him.
Yeah, they are going to pick up that Dragon. Meanwhile, we see some trades going down. It was Westrice will get the better end of that deal up in top lane. Dyrus having to roll back down his own lane, but it looks like we have Chaox just going to go ahead and farm. Cop soloing Dragon, picking that up, and that's going to increase the lead even further, about 7K now for Curse. Xpecial now setting up wards in their own jungle again, and we're going to have to see the same kind of behavior. And it looks like we have some action going down. They're going to try and kill Dyrus. Dyrus has busted Ragnarok. He's getting chased, though, but they're going to be dissuaded by Requiem, and now we see TSM coming in. Xpecial chasing saintvicious down the lane. Oracle goes down. saintvicious is dead. Chaox now chasing Elementz, flashes the wall, and he'll get out along with, oh wow, looks like Cop is getting zoned out. Nyjacky and Cop have come in, but here comes Reginald flashing on top. Shockwave pulling him back, and Nyjacky will escape that defile now. Curse, Cop, and Westrice doing work on Chaox and OddOne, going to pick up 2 kills there. Really nice work by Westrice to loop back around and secure those kills for Curse.
And that was him showing up that made that fight happen. You've got to give props to Westrice being in the right place at the right time, because, oh man, did Curse get caught out there. It was another example of Cop and Nyjacky not being anywhere near the team. TSM already ready to collapse in that one, making it a 5-on-3. But everyone else did show up in time. Cop with good Spidey sense, jumping over the Baron pit, running straight down, getting the call over to Westrice to say, dude, I need you, make this 2-on-2 happen. And that is Fed Cop being Fed Cop. He completely outdueled Sivir there.
Yeah, Fat Cop getting big in this game.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to rely on here. I mean, Westrice now is ahead of Dyrus on minion kills. He's got that Trinity Force done. He's working on his Guardian Angel next, so Westrice is exactly where he wants to be. The game has worked out in his favor overall, though the level 1 was a bit risky for him. He's now gotten where he needs to be. Cop's exactly where he wants to be as well, and Jacky's had a pretty decent game for himself. So, you know, it's weird because I feel like I'm harping on Curse for not closing the game out, but they've made consistently good moves. They've every single time, you know, we'll pick up a Dragon, we'll pick up a kill, we'll win this fight, we'll pick up a turret. They are consistently growing their lead this game without any major missteps. I just know it's you know, Curse is a team that occasionally makes that one misstep. They've got to make sure they keep doing this.
Yeah, Westrice now catching out Reginald, having to have Chaos come in. Did blow the exhaust on Westrice, but Westrice going to have to flash to get out of that one. Looks like Reginald quite low is going to have to blue pill and head back to base. This may be the window that Curse needs to make something happen. We do have Requiem down for a little bit longer, so he's got no presence right now back from base. Dyrus is going to keep on farming up in that top lane. In the meantime, we do have Elementz, Nyjacky, and Cop putting some pressure onto mid, trying to get some damage with that Ezreal with Trinity Force and Bloodthirst. They're going to be able to chunk down that turret quite quickly.
And this is actually interesting because this is Curse playing a very, I would say, very safe game, that they're not trying to get into these crazy 5-on-5s where they could get the game turned around. They're using that teleport Jax to split push off to the side while the rest of their team pushes elsewhere. And you know, as long as they're making the calls right and they're ready to run together, just like that last fight where they finally collapsed as 5, Curse can keep this game going. Only Maokai and Leona can stop Jax from teleporting away. And plus, if Jax just turns on that Counter-Strike, he can kind of keep himself from dying as well. Now here with his teleport almost up, they'll see if they can pull this fight together. Reginald has Requiem though.
And here it comes, Requiem just being used to push a Curse off of Baron. So that's the bait, but it may not be the bait they wanted, as TSM looks like they're going to be going in right now. Maybe they'll try a counter Baron now that we've got all the members of Curse at about 50% HP. And Westrice in bottom lane, his teleport is up, so this split push is viable. Yeah, and
they've got Chalice Sona. This is the perfect play for Curse. They're making really, really good tactical decisions here. And you even saw like Nyjacky put the shield onto saintvicious because you know, they knew that, you know, he could just tank it out. You know, the shield would kind of block everything. You know, Elementz heals himself every time he uses Aria of Perseverance, so they don't need to shield him for damage if he won't die, because he'll get back to full health anyway with that Chalice. He's perfectly fine here like this.
Also, the Boots of Lucidity doing work with the spam as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's got pretty much max cooldown reduction here, especially once he finishes the Shirelia's Reverie here. He's going to have you know, a really good time of this. And he's going to keep healing his team up, and they're going to keep being very, very happy with all this, and Jax will keep split pushing. And when his teleport is up, Reginald must join his team. They can't just phone in with Requiem. They've got to make it a 5-on-5.
And there's the finished Guardian Angel for Westrice. Curse now in a very commanding position. Jax just going to continue to be doing work on the team of solo mid. So we'll see how this plays out now, if they're going to continue just this Baron zoning and the constant ward killing. After the Oracle went down on saintvicious, Elementz picked one up himself and has been slowly sweeping up near Baron. The only team that has vision of Baron right now is TSM. No wards up there, but Elementz just picked up 8 more wards after going back.
Yeah, and that's going to be really that gameplay, right? They've got to make sure that, you know, I think both teams know really that Baron is the major objective here on the map. Curse did an amazing job of killing all the secondary turrets here. You know, I still counted it a misplay, but, you know, Cop got that secondary right-hand turret way back when they had that sort of 4-on-5 team fight, you know, 15 minutes ago or so. They got the middle turret when they had Westrice split pushing the bottom lane. Now the difficulty though is they can't split push top while tempting Baron. There's no way that any team's gonna, you know, get outmaneuvered there like that. So that top turret's gonna be hard to kill. But Reginald getting caught out on the right-hand side of the map. Westrice in a full 1-on-3 though. Xpecial and OddOne are here trying to put the damage out. The Requiem as well, but the rest of TSM not ready to stop this Baron attempt. And Westrice just teleports back into it.
And here they are. They're committed to this Baron right now. We have the members of TSM slowly making a train back up to the pit, but it's too late. Baron has died. Here comes Dyrus. And even though he ults and the crescendo misses, now we have the command dissonance speeding up Curse. Will they be able to make anything happen? No, looks like they're going to be too far behind, but here comes the pressure. And, you know, Phreak constantly having Westrice split push that bottom lane was such a thorn in TSM's side. They eventually had to do something about it. If you were watching that last play, you saw that we Cop and Nyjacky were pushing mid lane. You saw saintvicious top and Westrice in bottom lane just creating immense map pressure through pushing these lanes because they couldn't go anywhere. Meanwhile, Elementz was just slowly sweeping out wards in the Baron pit in between and in the river in between top and mid lane. So really great map control there by Curse to make that happen and set it up.
Yep, that star, I mean, honestly, I got to give star player here to Westrice because he's the guy who gets to be the playmaker here for Curse. He is strong enough that he is out-dueling anyone on Team Solo Mid. You've seen him fight Dyrus like 5 times now and win every single time. You just saw Reginald get decked by him in a 1-on-1 and pull 2 teammates over to defend that. And that was, I mean, immediate free Baron as a result, and then Westrice just simply teleported after the team to make sure it wasn't, you know, a silly 4-on-4 where they got caught out and someone died. So it's Westrice. Honestly, he got the situations he wanted. That double Doran's Blade, you know, he got that solo lane as he wanted it, was able to out-duel Dyrus from minute 5, basically, and grow himself in this game. And Cop had a better lane. than Chaox and grow himself as well. None of these solos, none of the carries really from Team Solo Mid were ever able to outduel their counterparts. And when you run a team with teleport, all you want to do is outduel your counterparts.
Yeah, and now we're going to be seeing what Curse's plan is. They're going to sweep the jungle for buffs. Blue buff is up on TSM's side of the map, so that'll be quickly given to Jacky's Orianna. And looks like we're going to see a push down at bottom here after they've already taken out that central inhibitor.
Yeah, that's going to be the best play for them. They've already killed that top one a little while ago, or sorry, the top secondary turret a little while ago. So this is really their big move here. And again, it's going to be difficult to completely start the fight. Well, they are up 13,000 gold. They might even just tower dive just because they've got enough durability to do it, but that's a risky play if they go for it.
Yeah, you can see a great wall of pain there, kind of zoning them out. Looks like Curse Cop is going to be hit by it, get his MR shredded a bit, but it won't really matter as that turret is going to go down quite quickly. They're on to the inhibitor, and there's going to be nobody from TSM to stop them. Chaox has picked up GA as well, in addition to the Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer, but I don't think he's going to be coming up again. Cop also with the GA at this point.
Yeah, but he's up a Last Whisper and a Trinity Force instead of a Phantom Dancer. So Cop's is going to be doing a lot more damage in these fights overall. That Last Whisper especially really helping him cut through Dyrus's Randuin's Omen plus Ninja Tabby. He's going to be, he's really going to be the biggest damage threat here. And again, Curse can simply just rush in, whether it's Dr. Mundo or Jax. They've both got over, 100-something armor. You've got 193 on Jax, 259 on Dr. Mundo. Any of them can dive forward.
And there comes the Solar Flare. That's really just to dissuade them. Doesn't do much. Now the Leonos is down. What a shockwave onto Reginald. He will just melt. Westrice jumping in, trying to take out Xpecial. There, Xpecial goes down. Double kill for Nyjacky as the team rushes on. Requiem doing not much. Westrice getting low, but the command protect will go on to him, and now the heals from Sona get him out, and that'll be game. Curse and TSM tied 1-1 after the surrender.
That is amazing, amazing play by Team Curse. All of them really performing to their maximum potential this whole game. We've seen now both games in this series, really cool, really clever early game strategies here. They've started out each game in the lead here, making just amazingly good plays. That Elementz first blood was awesome. You're seeing him on your screen right here. Really happy, chatting it up with his team, smiling. We were worried about him a little bit. He came into this a bit sick. He had slept 15 hours last night, trying to recover from the trip to China they had just a week ago. And it seems like with a smile on his face and that game under their belt. I mean, this is the second time Curse has beaten Solo Mid in a game in 6 months on land. So, you're seeing them honestly at the top of their game right here.
Yeah, looking really good. And, frankly, Phreak, I thought that with the team comp that TSM was running, that TSM had straight up outpicked Curse. But Curse really played that poke nicely. They got those plays in, like you were saying, and just made very intelligent decisions about how to stall out the game and continue to hold it in their advantage.
Yeah, and they had all the champions they needed to kind of have a good late game overall. But it was individual star power. That's what I got to give it to. It was individual star power. It was, yeah, both these lanes have 2-on-1s, but Curse outplayed it. Hey, you've got now a 1-on-1, Jax vs. Olaf, and Curse outplayed it. You had Nyjacky actually beating out Reginald and minions by mid-game. You had, the amazing sort of, I wouldn't say comeback necessarily from Westrice, but he got himself to be the most farmed top laner. He kept pulling people over, his individual play style. And it's funny because this is kind of the event where people are like, this is like Westrice's do or die event. Curse just picked up Voyboy. Everyone kind of assumes that means Westrice is going to be on the bench, but if he keeps putting on games like this, I don't know, man. Maybe you keep him in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go back to, really the turning point of this game was that early point where we had, you were talking about them outplaying, but they were also outthinking. We saw them send Westrice, Elementz, and Cop all the way back up into that top lane. It was like they had a sixth sense that TheOddOne was going to be camping that lane, and they just turned it right around. TSM thinking they were so clever, having OddOne just camp that lane. Sure, they lost Elementz for it, but they cleaned up the rest of TSM. That was really critical to how the rest of the lanes kind of unfolded, giving the Jax a couple early kills.
Yeah, I don't even. That's just. You're right. That's just pure Spidey sense because he didn't use teleport. He used teleport to get to the bottom lane, Westrice. I understand Elementz and Cop and everyone else showing up like that, but really it was just like, Westrice, what are you doing here? And how would TSM expect that either? Right? It was a really clever dive. Like you said, it was the right play for the TheOddOne. But something was a stun they weren't expecting under the turret, and it just exactly 3 for 1. It was great.
All right, guys, so we're going to go to a quick commercial break before we hit up TSM versus Curse Game 3. This match will decide who goes on in the winner's bracket, losers into the losers bracket for the rest of the tournament. We'll be back with you in a couple minutes. It's a lovely night here in Dallas at the MLG Fall Championship.
Is it sunny?
It's not sunny
it's
anymore.
It's not sunny.
Well, okay. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen the sky in several hours, so.
Came in at like noon, right?
So we're going to be heading into Game 3 right now between TSM and Curse. Again, I'm MonteCristo, and of course with me is David Phreak Turley.
I like Teemo.
You like Teemo?
I like Teemo.
What do you like most about Teemo?
His like adorable Teemo face. Like I don't like fighting him. I'm actually really terrible at playing him too. I like want to like playing Teemo, and I'm not good at it. But he's like so adorable that it doesn't matter. And he has the best skins.
He does have some of the best skins. Yes. I don't know. I think Kog'Maw gives him a run for his money for good skins.
I mean, Kog'Maw has like the Silent Knight Sona / Reindeer Kog'Maw duo, which is pretty amazing. There's very few that can kind of combat with that when you've got like skin synergy. I just thought of that now, by the way. It's hilarious. You should use it as well. But I don't know. I mean, like laying explosive eggs is probably one of the most satisfying things. Like seeing the rage in your teammates' faces is amazing. But I'm bad at him, so I don't know. Like I would love to be good at Teemo.
Well, it's a path that you'll have to train long and hard on.
I would like a Rocky montage right now, just gonna fly now, playing eggs everywhere.
I would love to see that as well.
I'll cut that video together.
Riot, please.
Riot, please. Teach me the ways of Teemo. Rayman, where are you at?
All right, guys, so we're sitting in the lobby right now for this third game. So what do you think we have to see from either of these teams to come back and take it? I think that both teams have played relatively cautiously, and each of the games so far have been pretty one-sided in either direction.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I expect to see, you know, bans on a lot of the really important picks. You know, with Team Solo Mid getting first pick here, though, they don't have to worry about the same types of champions, right? They don't have to worry about like that first pick Ezreal where Cop dominated. You know, the interesting thing is like the 2-on-1s. I feel like they've all worked in Curse's favor every single time. You know, even though Jax got shut down, like they got the first blood on the Dyrus. You know, the early so like 1-on-1 / 2-on-2, they really did shut down the TheOddOne and give themselves a really big leg up there. So if I'm TSM, I don't go for lane swaps. You know, I might even ban out some of like the big lane swap champions. And actually, you know, they're again banning out Morgana. You know, they're again banning out Evelynn. Maybe they deny Orianna here as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. We actually, even though Morgana, Nyjacky is known for his Morgana play, we haven't seen that Morgana ban yet, nor have we seen it up. So interesting that they're choosing now to ban it out. I'm wondering what that means for their team comp. Evelynn and Blitzcrank going down again as well. Ezreal now being pulled out as well. So very, very interesting. For me at least, the Ezreal might signify that maybe Curse wants to do a 2v2 lane just because Ezreal has that very strong trading presence with the Essence Flux, considering that hasn't been nerfed yet in this patch.
Yeah, I mean, and really TSM is really, I think everyone kind of considers their bottom lane one of the strongest in the world. You know, people tend to consider like North American bottom lanes are like among the best bottom lanes, or like Western bottom lanes, right?
Yeah,
and like whereas like, you know, over in Korea and in Asia in general, like their top laners are all amazing. You've got people like Stanley and MakNooN who just crush everyone all the time. Yeah, and Shy, right? And you're seeing a lot of these names here. And you know, TSM are one of those big name bot lane teams. Yeah. And you know, when you've got that kind of thing now, not to clown on Elementz and Cop at all, but like Chaox and Xpecial have so much more experience. And again, TSM's got that track record. Like if TSM played like full on standard, like just as generic as possible, like I think they have a great chance at this.
So TSM picking up that Shen pick. That's a champion that they're very comfortable with Dyrus playing up at that top lane. Yeah. Westrice and saintvicious. I haven't actually seen a lot of Skarner on saintvicious. He's been playing. You know, he's been playing some newer champions recently, like Jungle Olaf, like we saw in Game 1. He's also been playing some Maokai. He's been playing some Cho'Gath, but Skarner, that's an unusual pick for Saint.
But it's the kind of champion you've got to pick, right? Like they do so well when they get to initiate fights on their terms. You know, like the full-on like 5-on-5 by dragons, those don't seem to go too well for them. But if you can like fight battles on your terms and just like go in hardcore and like make things happen, that's always worked well for Curse, right? When they created the action, when they caused these lopsided situations, when they cause action, Curse does really, really well. And so grabbing Orianna Skarner is one of the best ways to cause action. That dissonance, you know, and if he casts it at the right time, he'll get it on the way out and the way back, because he'll pass through the field, then it'll still be on. As he pulls the guy back into his team, he'll get that speed buff again, and then no one on the other team is able to defend against it, right? They've got to run through that dissonance again and get slowed down.
So all right, so we actually do have the Turtle Beach team chat up. Let's listen in.
They really want to shake us,
because we already know their top lane.
You sure you went Graves? They have like a lot of like Alistar, you want Alistar?
I don't want to pick my support. I mean, they already have their top lane picked. I think we should pick our top lane.
Like this
top lane right now? No, I think you should get support right now.
They already have their top lane picked. You already know what you're going against.
Oh, that's true.
This is the safest pick right now.
If anything, just give me
Dyrus
Jax.
or Cho'Gath?
Just click on Jax right now. But don't lock in.
Jax?
Yeah, just get Jax. Get Jax. Get Jax.
Jax is good. You just take TP versus Jax.
Yeah, it's good no matter. Yeah, it's good no matter what.
Really carries right now. It's Sivir. It's Sivir and it's Fortune.
I think Janakog would have been beast here.
All right, so a little bit of early confusion there. Didn't seem like they knew even which position they quite wanted to pick, but they're going to go with the Jax again. Very successful for them last game. Westrice looked very strong, so.
And I think it's got a better lane against Shen than it does against Olaf as well. The difficulty, though, is Shen is a little bit better to gank for. That Shadow Dash really sets up a lot of things. But you know, even with that, like Siobhan is not the world's best ganker, and Jack can put up the stun and then just kind of leap strike away. So, you know, I see Westrice having a pretty good lane. Again, if they just go for the dedicated one-on-one there, you know, I think it's pretty strong there. They've got, you know, Jax is going to get a pretty good time of farming. You know, they were a little bit uncertain about that Graves pick. Right, so you know it's a pretty melee-heavy team. They've got actually, you know, with the Taric picked up, they might actually just 2v1 anyway. But you've got a really good short-range team: Shen, Shyvana, Corki, Karthus. They're all going to make Corki's life a bit difficult. Or sorry, not Corki, but Graves' life a bit difficult.
And we might be seeing Elementz' famous supportal sticks here, and that's a matchup they also like to use in 2v1 lanes because the fear underneath the turret, it makes dives extremely easy.
Oh yeah, it's really good. And if you did see a lane swap here. You know, as much as Jax doesn't like 1v2s because he has no ranged farming tools, at the same time, they can still shut down Dyrus, and Jax can still survive like dives. So, you know, I actually like these lane picks a lot for Curse. We saw Orianna versus Karthus last time, and it went pretty well for Nyjacky. On top of that, really, if he gets like a good dissonance, saintvicious is going to land that slow bomb onto Reginald, and Reggie will be forced to flash away.
It's unfortunately we're not going to get our wish. The last second switch over to Sona, so probably just going to see a pretty standard 2v2 lane in this game. A lot of burst coming out on TSM with the P-bomb shatter combo, but a lot of poke too coming out of Cop. If he can get in range for some good buckshots combined with him and Valor, they also have I think a bit more staying power in lane. Yeah,
honestly, like if I'm Curse right here, I want a completely standard 1-1-2 setup because I like that Graves Sona fighting Corki Taric. This is again the Kha'Zix patch, so Sona's still got that base health and armor, and she can probably just survive whatever Taric throws at her. And Cop has Summoner Heal, so even if she does get focused on, she's going to get that little burst of health back on the top of it anyway. And they've just got infinite poke here. They're going to be dealing a lot of damage to Chaox Xpecial. The heals aren't that great from Taric. These lanes just straight up are really good for Curse.
That's right. So we're going to go to a quick commercial and game 3 when we're back. And we have just started Game 3 of TSM versus Curse here at the MLG Fall Championship. Teams are lining up. Doesn't look like we're going to see any early game shenanigans. Some quick wards going down by both teams over at Curse's Wraiths. So they're trying to suss out which path and keep an eye on saintvicious on this Skarner. Meanwhile, Reginald going to go ahead and camp his own Wraiths. And not a lot of early action, Phreak.
Yeah, the funny thing here, though, is TSM's level 1 is ludicrously strong. they've got just ridiculous power everywhere. Dyrus can initiate, OddOne's going to have really good damage, can start at any buff in the game and still jungle effectively. Reginald can check brush, so can Chaox. Xpecial's got a point stun, he's got exhaust in there as well. And just like we saw in Curse versus TSM Game 1, they were able to deny Skarner quite a bit and shut down TheOddOne. So, I'm a little bit surprised to see TSM not invade, but on the same side, TSM are the favorites coming into this one. And hey, if we're the favorites, we should win outright. Why risk it on a level 1 fight?
Yeah, TSM Reginald actually going to go for those early wraiths, but they do have a ward on there, so Jacky's going to just zone him out a little bit. He's still going in with those late waves, but he's not going to pick up Curse's wraiths.
It's a nice move, though. It's a good attempt, of course, but that ward coming down on the Lizard buff will watch for almost any invade that OddOne tries. So it's ultimately a very safe jungle here for saintvicious. I would be surprised to see any invades work very well against him.
Yeah, and a very smart move of Curse there to ward their own race to prevent against any kind of early game invades. Of course, Shyvana very dangerous over at that race and red buff early if you're going to do some level 1 counter jungling.
And actually, Saint's doing something really clever there. He ran around the back of his mid lane and immediately ran for the double golems because he doesn't want to get caught out doing wraiths by Shyvana at level 2. He completely bypassed this ward that TSM put at the wraith camp, and he's going to get himself, level 3 and start his Lizard buff, pretty safely without almost any risk of getting counter jungled. It's really, really smart play. And again, he's just trying to be defensive. He knows Skarner's going to have a hard time early on.
Yeah, everything else going pretty much up to standard play here in this game. 2v2 in bot, 1v1 in top. So no lane swaps as of yet, and as we were saying in Champion Select, a little unlikely to occur, we think.
Yeah, and it's just a straight on 2-on-2. Normally when you see a Taric picked up, you kind of want to swap that as TSM, but turns out they didn't want to go for anything of the sort, and they're just going on a dedicated 2-on-2, which again I think just works in Curse's favor a little bit. Now right here, you've actually got that bottom lane completely pushed up, so it's how well can Curse or how well can Curse just sort of keep that minion wave right there on the turret and not lose any gold to the turret shots.
Yeah, of course, on the buckshot, they're going to help him farm out under that and clear those waves in that bot lane, so not too much of a farming risk there for Kopp. He should be able to still do a pretty good job. You can see him farming up now under that turret. Westrice just hanging out, waiting to trade, getting some trades down, hanging out in the brush, trying to bait Dyrus in with Counter-Strike and Leap Strike.
Yeah, well, he's losing in minions right now, but part of that is because Dyrus is pushing out a little bit. This seems to be the sort of typical TSM strategy here. When they've got a Shyvana, all the lanes are pushing so that all the players of that team are free to leave and go help in the jungle and help OddOne counter jungle. Whereas if like Kopp and Elementz would leave right here, right, they would lose so many minions to their turret. And the same for Westrice. That entire wave would push to his turret, and he'd miss out on like 15 minions worth of farm, which you can't do as a major carry. And so TSM all playing aggressively. They know Skarner's not very threatening levels 1 through 5, and so they're simply setting themselves up for the possibility of an invade whenever it might show up.
Yeah, their ward is now down, so they're not keeping track of saintvicious, which will limit the OddOne's counter-jungling options because he's not showing his face in lanes at all. So that's going to take a little bit of the wind out of Shyvana's sails, as that's one of her kind of signature moves as a jungler, is the ability to counter-jungle very easily. But the counter-jungling also going to be helped by the fact that these lanes, like you're saying, are very pushed. So that'll allow a bit more map control and ease of assistance from the TSM teammates into the opponent's jungle.
Yeah, so right now we're seeing, the junglers have made their ways back for their first buy. An early Vampiric Scepter for the OddOne, most of a Philosopher's Stone here for saintvicious. You're seeing their jungle farm almost identical here, only 2 apart. So you're basically seeing a very safe jungle here, much unlike that game 1 that we saw. But now you're seeing finally the beginnings of counter jungling. OddOne up at the top, stealing away golems. Actually will clear out the entire camp. He might be going for a... Actually, Westrice with no health, they are almost definitely... I see almost definitely as OddOne runs away from the top lane. I really expected a dive here.
Yeah, I expected it too, especially with how well Dyrus has used Vorpal Blade to just slowly pick away at Westrice's life. But in the meantime, we have saintvicious going to find him in the brush, and there comes the burnout. saintvicious going to have to run away as Dyrus makes a juke down into that tri-brush.
And that's a total tell, of course. Westrice needs to recall back soon. They know they're planning for a dive here. Dyrus will, in fact, take turret aggro again just to put the damage there. Honestly, saintvicious needs to just go up top lane and let Westrice be, because they still have no ward coverage. OddOne could honestly just continue trying to look for a gank, and there finally Westrice running very far away into that brush at top lane to finally recall himself back. He's got teleport. He won't miss out on too much, but he definitely needed to buy there.
Yeah, TSM taking an early 700 gold lead just on the strength of their farming in lane. Dyrus up, doubling the CS of Westrice so far. That's a huge difference right there. And looks like Reggie up a little bit on Orianna in mid lane. And also, because of the constant pushing by Corki, we see that Cop has lost a lot of CS under his turret and is down about 20 CS himself.
Yeah, and that is those lanes pushing also working well because they were, in fact, denying minions to the turrets. And again, they knew over and over again that Saint did not have any strong ganks early on. It's, Flash Skarner is decent, but they've all got tools to get away. Xpecial can stun or exhaust. Dyrus can dash away. He can flash and whatnot, and it's going to be hard for Westrice to pin a stun down on someone with Shadow Dash. So, they're happy to risk that aggression because it's unlikely their opponents will last hit everything under the turret.
Westrice went back. He has picked up a Doran's Blade now. Looks like he's trading much more effectively with Dyrus now that he has a bit more damage, and he's getting some more points into Empower. So he's going to be able to bully Dyrus a little more seriously in that top lane now. Trade still going down, looking real good. And at bot lane, looks like we have not much going on. The freeze is now much more favorable for Curse. They're not losing those minions, but Xpecial doing a great job of zoning Cop out away from those last hits.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty here when you get a little bit higher level in that Graves Corki lane before Sona hits level 6, is your burst starts to mean enough that you can get really, really shoved out there. And Cop's passive only adding so much armor and magic resist, he will take a lot of punishment in these kinds of situations. The Shatter is outscaling his natural armor his sort of natural armor gain. So yeah, Cop's kind of in danger territory. As soon as Elementz hits 6, I think that goes back in their favor because any all-in by TSM gets completely turned around by Crescendo. Most of the time where your armor shattered away is just nullified because you're stunned up. And Graves will have his own burst being level 6 that, his burst with collateral damage is going to far exceed Missile Barrage.
Yeah, and as you're saying, that P-Bomb Shatter combo right now doing well over 300 magic damage, so any trade definitely going to go heavily in favor if they can land a Dazzle or get him caught out.
Yeah, so we're seeing this top lane finally go back towards Westrice's favor. The initial, early stuff went really well for Dyrus. He dealt a lot more damage. Actually going to set up now. saintvicious is level 6. He's going to flash for the pull, lands it onto Dyrus. Now can they get the damage here crushed incredibly low? 1 hit to go, and that is first blood.
And I think that's, you guys have to remember, this is the Kha'Zix patch, and that
exact
the Veil is still there, where you can hit it after somebody flashes. That has been fixed in more recent patches, but Skarner's still able to do that, and it means a lot. It can mean first blood, and that's exactly what we saw right there.
Yeah, so really, really nice gank, and that's as soon as Saint hit level 6. Really, he could have ganked for almost any of these lanes and made it reasonably effective, but they said, you know what, the one we're going to go for is this long lane where Dyrus is going to be far out. Yeah, he's got dash and flash, but Impale should be enough. Westrice should get a stun, and that was the lane they wanted to snowball ahead. That actually tells you a lot about Curse's mindset, who they want to snowball ahead, who's going to be the big factor, and it's that they know to fear the Dyrus Shen split push. He's got Stand United. If he wins duels, you don't have an option against him. And so they want to make sure that Westrice will win those duels against him.
Couple early Doran's Blades, once again, along with those Merc Treads, going to mitigate a bit of the damage coming out on Dyrus with that Vorpal Blade, as well as protecting from Requiem, should that be a factor up in that top lane. Cop and Chaox still having their AD carry duel here in the bot lane. The freeze still looking pretty good for Curse at this point. It's going back a little bit into the turret, but he should be able to clear this out now that he has a couple Doran's Blades. It will be easier to last hit under that turret.
Yeah, and basically once you get, sometimes you get 1 Doran's Blade, but definitely once you get 2, you've pretty much got the very easy last hit mechanic of melee gets hit by turret twice, Castle get hit once, and then you have the easy last hit on top of that. Earlier on, you've got to rely on your support to prime those for you, and of course Elementz, a top caliber support is going to be able to do that, but at this point now he's got the damage to easily wave clear and really easily just follow last hit mechanics under the turret.
Yeah, and as we said, we did have that early 700 gold lead for TSM purely on the back of their farming, but the gap is close to 200 gold as Westrice caught up a little bit. We are going to see him going down on a Dyrus. He doesn't know OddOne is in the brush, but saintvicious going to come around. What's going to happen with this gank? Taunts going down on Westrice. Dragon Form going to go across. He gets low, going to leap strike out, and so lucky for him, he saved that leap strike, but he will go down to Requiem. No, he does not. The ultimate saving him right there.
Just enough magic resist to survive. So that null magic mantle from the Mercury Treads, exactly all he needed, and he chugged that health potion early on as well. The regen just enough to keep him alive here. But unfortunately though, TSM had pink warded that lower brush, but Chaox getting zoned away from that ward. They've still got vision. That top lane, though, great for solo mid. They've picked up the turret as well. So even if the gank doesn't turn into a kill, it might still turn into a turret, and that's still a gold lead for solo mid.
Yeah, Elementz still playing in that brush right there, and Chaox going to burst him down, forces a flash out of Elementz. So he got a little too aggressive with the footsie there in that bottom brush.
Yeah, once Corki gets a Sheen, he's got really incredible burst damage overall in a trade. You know, whether it's Phosphorus Bomb or the Missile Barrage together, you're going to put out just so much damage over your opponent. And Elementz knew if there was a Flash Dazzle, he was immediately dead. So he had to burn his Flash unanswered just because he got a little bit too aggressive there. You know, kind of, I guess, not realizing that Chaox had just invested in a lot of damage really fast. Phage and Sheen already done for him. It's a pretty scary place to be in.
So with that top turret, we will see TSM regain their slight edge that they had earlier on in this game. And still pretty passive play here. Score only 1-0 in favor of Curse, but still, again, a little bit behind in terms of gold.
Yeah, but you know, the good thing here, actually, they're actually making an attempt here at Dragon, and they've got the pink ward in range. Chaox sweeps that one out, and now they've got a lot of vision here. There's a little bit of sight here for Curse. They can kind of see in, but it's very, very difficult. The teleport's up for Westrice, but so is the ult for Dyrus. This
Requiem is down, though.
That's going to help him.
So saintvicious looking like he wants to go in on this. They are. Dragon is getting dangerously low. Will they actually make a play here? Dragon gets taken by TSM. Shockwave only hits TheOddOne. Reginald's going to go in and exhaust Elementz. Chaox coming over the wall with Valkyrie will take down Elementz, and that'll be a Dragon and a kill for TSM. Nyjacky now coming in from the side. Are they going to be able to get Reginald? Xpecial getting quite low as well. The ball and finished off with an auto attack from Nyjacky. Chaox still on the chase though, takes out Saint. Xpecial will hit the dazzle on Cop. Chaox is going to chase him down. Will they get Xpecial? But they're going to lose Cop for it. And that will be a 3-for-2 trade and a Dragon, all in favor of TSM, pushing their gold lead to about 2.5 thousand.
The unfortunate thing about that one is they actually wanted both Westrice and Dyrus wanted to show up into that fight, and they each canceled each other's teleports. Dyrus had shadow dashed in and stopped Westrice from getting in from a ward there, and Westrice the same way, using that counter-strike to stop Dyrus' stand united. So neither team really making it a full 5-on-5, but that fight just started so brutally. Reginald just got a full man mode, dove in and soloed out Elementz. The difficulty, though, was that Elementz burned his crescendo while Saint had already impaled Reginald. So Elementz got a little bit panicked there and wasted his ultimate for really no gain. It was just, you know, 100 damage and that was it. If he had landed that in a more sort of structured team fight, I think it would have been a lot different for Curse.
Yeah, also Nyjacky just totally airballed his ult, only hitting OddOne, and so that made a big difference that he didn't have that later on in the fight to do some more AoE damage to the 3 other members of TSM that were sitting there by Dragon.
Yeah, if they got all those together ultimately, if they actually landed their ultimates properly, and you've got Orianna and Sona on the same team, your ability to team fight is ludicrously good. And unfortunately, you know, they both wasted their giant area of effect crowd controls as just minor damage instead.
And everything returning back to normalcy here in this game. All players back in their starting lanes. We still continue to see Westrice trading heavily with Dyrus. Dyrus has picked up Sunfire Cape though, so it's not going to be quite as easy for Westrice's Jax to do that damage. Of course, taking the AoE whenever he gets close to continually use Empower on Dyrus, which has been his strategy for trade so far.
Yeah, and that shield really makes it a lot more difficult to do anything about it. So, you know, Dyrus, he has good sustain, of course, that Vorpal Blade being really, really important for him. And so it's actually caused Westrice to grab a Vampiric Scepter in order to stay in lane and not have to chug potions constantly to survive these encounters. No, I don't think that means he goes Gunblade. I think Trinity Force is still the option for him. But, you know, it slowed his build down even more. He's not built any dedicated damage items yet, 15 minutes into the game.
Yeah, saintvicious actually just checked Tri-Brush and didn't clear out the ward there. Not sure if he didn't see it or he's playing some sort of mind games, probably the former. But going to go back and just hit the Wraiths instead. Nyjacky and Reginald continued to farm up in this mid lane. Pretty dead even in terms of farm so far. And a little bit of a gold advantage for Reggie coming off of some of these global objectives, the tower and the dragon that TSM has managed to secure.
Yeah, so you know, ultimately TSM is happy to play the split push game because they're winning these solos. Cop getting jumped on so very hard, doesn't manage to quite hit Xpecial, but either way, Cop was forced to run away and not able to put any counterattack damage onto Chaox. Westrice in a 1v1 up top lane with Dyrus, getting dropped pretty low as well. And yeah, you can just see, you know, both from the top lane and the bottom lane, TSM are winning each of these setups.
Yep, and they are definitely looking like the stronger team in this game. They do have, they continue to widen the gap just off of CS in this game, and they've pushed it back to turret, forced Cop back once again, and this looks like it'll probably be a free turret for Xpecial and Chaox.
You know, I'm a little bit surprised. I guess without Crescendo up, really, they're just very afraid of Chaox's damage output overall. If they get that Phage proc, it just would crush saintvicious' health bar. And so, you know, even with 2 members there, they were completely unable to defend the turret. And
Chaox also getting quite fed at this point, up 3-0-0 in terms of gold right now. He is... wow, 6,400 to 3,800 from Cop, so significantly up on Cop at this point.
Oh, it's huge, yeah. I mean, not only the 3 kills and the farm lead, but by the way, an 80 minion farm lead, but 2 turrets and a dragon helps that quite a bit as well.
Yeah, so, and Chaox is, you know, the one person, if I was playing against TSM, that I wouldn't want fed. And here comes the Requiem, actually, as they catch Dyrus out, up mysteriously inside Curse's jungle by himself.
Yeah, they were going for the red steal. Dyrus started on it, and OddOne and saintvicious both showed up at the same time, and it ended up being OddOne who grabbed it as Saint's smite was down. But the rest of Curse collapsed on to that in time, and ultimately a kill is worth more than the red buff, so that's pretty good for them. But Cop on the right-hand side, just found out trying to defend his turret in a 2-on-1, a very easy kill, though it did make Chaox flash to grab it.
So this might be another tower now. Looks like we don't have enough minions in order to take it effectively, and that'll be TSM backing off that bottom turret as saintvicious shows up. Curse looking like they're reeling right now. Nyjacky being forced to flash over the wall to escape the OddOne. Exhaust now coming down. Here comes Dyrus, stand united, and that'll be a dead robot.
Wow, and so I take that back. That Lucid buff was all it took for them to keep chasing down on Nyjacky. That slow, continuing to stack up and keeping him from getting away. Still, though, pressure all around the map. Dyrus, a little bit of a fight with Westrice. Chaox now finally getting that kill on that turret on the right-hand side lane. And now it is 3-0 in turrets, and TSM has kept the pressure on everywhere on the map.
Yeah, that is really what's doing them favors right now. They're able to react very, very quickly to Curse's moves just because they have all of these lanes pushed at all times, and they're forcing Curse to, you know, when you put this much pressure on lanes, you know where your opponents are going to go because they have to get the farm, they have to get the levels of the experience, and if not, you know, the pressure just becomes too much. They get free damage on their turrets, and you can dictate at this point where Curse is going to go if you're TSM.
Oh, and yeah, exactly, because they've got you know, just once again, this is how their strategy works. They've got the split pushers, and they've got the global presence, and they're winning all of their key matchups. So exactly what you said. It's TSM able to dictate whatever they want, starting fights whenever they want, you know, getting away from engagements whenever, because they're going to outpush. They're going to, you know, they're already winning in turrets. They've got complete control pretty much everywhere.
And we saw Curse trying to go for that dragon, and there's a shockwave coming down, Crescendo coming in, but there's no one to follow it up. So they're just going to have to back off. Curse getting a little overzealous. Now their ults are down. We see Westrice jumping onto Reginald. There's the leap strike. Will he be able to take him out? They're also fighting over blue buff. Chaox looks like he's going to go down, but he already has a Guardian Angel, and so he's going to come back up. Will he be able to get out? No! Big win here for Curse as they take out, well, Cop going to go down as well. Now we're going to have to push back on Nyjacky and Elementz. Dyrus going to get the taunt in, but not very much damage there to actually clean it up. So we did see a 3-for-2 trade in favor of TSM. They're continuing to go for this, and looks like Xpecial going to die. No, he flashes over the wall. Elementz picks it up with the Hymn of Valor.
That was a bit greedy from solo mid. You know, it was unfortunate because they could have won the fight. Oh my gosh, the Requiem coming out. Is it going to be enough? No! Westrice, not Westrice, sorry, but Nyjacky surviving at the last second there with a shield. But that felt so greedy from TSM. Like, so the first start of that fight was really good for Curse. They got the shockwave, the flash crescendo. I expected it, but no one wanted to follow that one up. They could have jumped Reginald right away, but then it was Westrice, you know, slightly misstepping in that fight. I think it was the right call to jump Reginald that forced him out of the battle. But he unfortunately lost that duel. But at the end there, it was just like they dove in and just got wrecked by blue buff plus a Fiend's Orianna, who's got max cooldown reduction, a lot of damage overall, starting on her death cap now. You know, really, really great play from her, making that happen. And the Guardian Angel Rush Corki just got killed anyway. I mean, that was just a great fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So Curse still going for this dragon. We might see a repeat. Unfortunately, Requiem is down. There's Shockwave onto Reginald, pulling him off. And that'll be a steal for TSM as the OddOne gets in there with that smite. taking it away from Curse. Westrice backing off now. Reginald will die, but and you have to say that's probably worth it for TSM, even though they sacrificed Reggie.
Oh, absolutely. It's a bigger gold lead. I mean, yeah, they got the gold focused onto one of their individual members, but global gold like that Dragon is still just worth it overall. And it's not like they stole away any major buffs. I mean, okay, they burned the Dyrus ultimate. That kind of matters a little bit, but yeah, TSM, they're keeping the pressure on. Now, it is showing them that their team fights aren't undefeatable here, that Nyjacky has hit now 2 really, really good shockwaves in a row. Both of them have pushed Reginald back, making him work harder and wait longer to start dealing damage to the other team. That's really, really, really important. So I gotta say that Nyjacky's really holding the team alive in these fights. But what they really need though is someone to build a respectable source of damage, because even though Chaox has gotten a Guardian Angel, he's still got that Trinity Force. He's still going to be putting out a lot of damage. Not Chaox, but Cop needs to get himself to that same level of damage output.
Well, and the thing about when you build Bloodthirster first on Graves is that you really don't start spiking in terms of damage until you get your Zeal as well, as opposed to something like an Infinity Edge. Gives you that sustain in lane and that presence. Now, Saintvicious and Westrice going down on Cop. Reginald is rotated up into that top lane. Wall of Pain preventing them from doing anything. Saintvicious going in. Here comes Orianna. The Shockwave will get the kill, but there goes Saintvicious. Westrice going to make it out, looks like. Nyjacky also pulling
Requiem
back, and here comes Requiem. Westrice, will you live? No.
And there you go. That's 2 kills for him for 1. A really good job by Reginald showing up in time and getting down there getting up there really to defend Chaox. That was a really good initiation, that 2-on-1. But the Wall of Pain, as soon as you saw that gigantic slow land, you knew that was a dangerous situation for them. And now with map control, it's Baron.
It's a Baron. And it also looked like there was a little bit of hesitancy and a miscommunication between Westrice and Saint there, because as Wall of Pain went out, Westrice's instinct was to leave while Saint's was to go in. So they didn't quite maximize their damage properly. Crescendo over the wall, that will be Baron for TSM, however, and that'll push their lead to about 7,000.
And that's really, really huge for them overall. Even, who's the one who done? Chaox? Chaox still got the Baron buff himself as well. So, TSM pretty happy with how this all turned out. They got a 2-for-1. They just got control. The Lizard buff on Nyjacky lets him put some damage on Dyrus, but he's tanky, right? He's got a bunch of magic resist. I think Aegis might be next for him. He's got a lot of split push power. I mean, Sunfire and Ionic Spark is just a lot of minion killing power really, really fast. And with them having complete control of the map, Dyrus is going to go on his merry way and happily clear everything out and keep killing minion waves. Westrice needs to hurry up and finish that Trinity Force so we can actually start out-dueling Dyrus.
I want to go back to that Dragon fight real quick, Phreak, and talk about how in the games that we've seen Curse behind, TSM has kind of caught them with their hand in the cookie jar a couple times and really punished them for it. And OddOne picking up the smite steal on that Dragon. Just beautiful work by them. But again, Curse having an issue finishing these objectives.
Yeah. Yeah, they've not been able to steal any of them. That's actually a really, really relevant point. Game 1, Chaox stole that Dragon away, and I think it wasn't the Dragon that won them that game, but you're seeing this pattern sort of repeat itself, where OddOne is just simply outsmiting Saintvicious, or is they happen to be getting into steals where one person's smite is up and the other isn't. TSM's been just doing a better job. Outside of that early game strategy from Curse, they've been generally speaking doing a better job of stealing away important objectives just outside of fighting.
Yeah, and so again, the players just going back, they're going to pick up blue for Nyjacky. Chaox now sneaking around the jungle of Curse. They do have a ward in that brush, so they know he's there. The ball going in as well, trying to push him back a little bit. Chaox has still just has that Trinity Force. He picked up a Vampiric Scepter, but not as quite as much damage without that BF Sword or any BF Sword finished items yet. Cop's managed to pick up that Zeal, so he'll be doing a bit more damage with the extra crit chance and the attack speed.
Yeah, but he still needs some more items. He's behind Dyrus quite a bit. You're seeing 8,200 gold to 6,900 gold. That's a big difference. It's why Dyrus is winning, despite building for minion killing. He's simply, he's just simply having a stronger time in these one-on-ones.
Yeah, you can see that we just saw collateral damage go across TSM right now. Now there's a Requiem up in top lane, which will finish off Westrice. Unfortunately not getting up there for trades, and this is going to open up even more map control for TSM, because Dyrus without Westrice there, they have a choice of either losing mid-turret or losing the second tier in this top lane pretty much, because now they have even less ways to stop this split push tactic.
Yeah, well, they've sent up Cop there, which is fine. He really wants the golden experience overall, and he's got great wave clearing. He doesn't even have to duel Dyrus to stop the split push. He can just clear minions out. But being that it's a 5-on-4 with Baron buff, this is 2 to almost maybe even 3 turrets that's going to go for TSM very easily.
Yeah, and they're going to have to back off as the minion wave is going to be cleared out by Jacky's Orianna. Chaox staying around for a couple extra last hits on these minions.
Yeah, now Westrice coming back in. You know, Jacky, he's being the one big playmaker here for Curse overall, that it's got to be sort of off of him. And with you know, Reginald continuing to scale up in damage, though not necessarily durability, you know, if Jacky can make some really good moves and keep Reginald out of the fight, possibly even kill him from long range somehow by having really good long range poke, you know, TSM doesn't have a strong dedicated healing. Taric is really not someone you pick for the sustain. It's not Soraka or Sona where you're really trying to get your health bars back up. He's there, you know, to be an aggressor, and he's there for the stun and the auras and whatnot. So, you know, right now, if I'm Curse, I want to try to play this long-range game where the other team has to come into me. I've got Orianna and Skarner and Jackson on my team, and Sona, all of whom can work really, really well as counter-initiators. You know, if Curse can get some long-range gameplay going and stymie any sort of aggression from solo mid, they're going to be in much better shape. Yeah,
the one kind of weak link with that is, of course, Graves with his short attack range going to make it very difficult for Cop to do sustained damage against a team that really wants to take him out.
Well, yeah, that's going to be the difficulty overall, but it's up to him to play far enough back that TSM has to really expend all their cooldowns to start the fight, and if they start the fight, you know, and it's onto Westrice or onto Saintvicious, then Cop could just be happily 500 range behind them and just be like, great, now you're in range, and start shooting at him. And that's going to be on Cop to be in the right place. Now he's still, you know, kind of hurting for items overall. I think Dyrus is too tanky to die to him anytime soon. Not to mention his Bloodthirster stacks, which are finally full at least. They were low for a while, but you know, without a Last Whisper, without a Phantom Dancer, Cop is not in the best place right now.
Yeah, Jacky actually having to go up to deal with this Reginald problem they have in top lane. Saint coming up as well. We see Chaox also rotating up in that top lane along with OddOne and Xpecial, so they're changing their focus a little bit after getting tired of sieging some of the other lanes. Going to try their luck in top instead.
And that's going to be an okay job overall. I mean, they just have 2 secondary turrets to work with. They want to send Dyrus as far away from the rest of the team as possible because that'll pull that 5th member farther and farther away and really force Westrice to use teleport. So they have sent Westrice in that one-on-one. He does have the Trinity Force finally. He should be able to put out some pretty good damage by himself, and we'll see if he's able to stop this push well enough and if Dyrus really is able to keep pulling that attention away.
Yeah, it looks like pressure is going to continue on bottom lane, but TSM happily backing off for the moment, so they're not going to keep up the split push. They're going to go back, pick up some more items. Reggie's going to pick up a Void Staff and an Elixir of Brilliance, so he's getting truly terrifying after having a fully stacked Rod of Ages and a Rabadon's Death Cap already.
Oh yeah, he's just going to be incredibly difficult to deal with now with the enough magic penetration to crush through Jax's ultimate, enough ability power to chunk anyone heavily. Reginald's had a very good game. He's #1 in minion kills. He's #1 in champion kills. He's I mean, just having a phenomenal way with it and being a hardcore carry mage like Karthus. That's exactly where you want him to be at. So, and the difficulty though is there's no answer for Requiem. He's never going to cast that if he's ever in danger of it being canceled. Now, they can keep him out of range of Defile for a little while, but he's still got Flash and Exhaust. He's still got Shyvana and Shen on that same roster. The TSM lineup can lock Curse up long enough that Reginald can get in range and put out a lot of pain. And if you're Nyjacky, do you make Reginald wait 4 more seconds, or do you ult the rest of the team and lock them up and try to put damage output? That's a hard decision to make because, Reginald's just one guy.
Right. We also see Cop now picking up a pickaxe, looking to go for a Last Whisper, more than likely here, as he attempts to deal with the itemization that Dyrus has had. He has 268 CS and just a mountain of gold right now, over 10,000, nearly 11,000 at this point, and he's causing problems with that Sunfire Cape and all the armor and health that he has.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and he's now also, adding on to the pain because he's going for a Trinity Force here, that Phage and the Dagger spells Trinity Force to me, and that means he's once again going to get pretty far ahead of Westrice in dueling power. Now, West, he's got about 5 minutes to go until he can finish up the Guardian Angel. He's at, just 100 gold and needs, I think, 1,600 to complete the rest of Guardian Angel here, and depending on how these lanes go, that might take him. I mean, maybe he gets it in one team fight with a quadra kill, but maybe he actually has to sit there and try to chug through minions for a long time until he can catch up. And they really need that for Westrice. If West and Jacky can pair together and drop Reginald out of a team fight, I think they can hope to outdamage Chaox because Chaox has dropped 3 grand on a Guardian Angel. They can hope to outdamage Dyrus because Dyrus is going for the team fight. They've actually caught Chaox. Can they get the damage up? A lot of crowd control. The Sentinel keeping Chaox alive, and look at the kills go down. They've got nothing, and Cup's going to fall first.
Yeah, and that'll be the end of this fight more than likely. They blew all their ults. Here comes Requiem. saintvicious will fall as he gets lasered in his own jungle. Double kill for Reggie, and he'll go down, but 3 for 1, and that'll be a good trade for TSM. They should still have the life and damage to take out this Baron.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even though they caught Chaox, he tanked through Dyrus' Shen ultimate, he tanked through Guardian Angel, and he came back alive. And with all those crowd controls used, Reginald had free reign to damage everybody else, finishing him off with that Requiem. There's no hope for them to stop this push. This is going to be their Baron for sure. Westrice trying to pull a pension away. Actually, Chaox burning his Valkyrie. This could be Westrice for the kill.
Yeah, he doesn't have any mana to get any more of his abilities up, so Westrice is simply going to chase him down and murder him. There comes the double flash. Chaox, what are you doing, man?
Oh, it might get him a kill onto Westrice. He's going to wait around. He finds Xpecial here, puts the dodge on. He's actually got some good damage output. I think he's got lifesteal. So, oh, nope, never mind. Xpecial just straight dueled him.
Gets soloed by Tarek, Jax.
Oh, man. That's a little hurtful, actually. Ouch. 600 gold till GA.
So Zeke's Herald now coming up on Tarek, so that's going to be maybe a little bit helpful, actually, in that solo duel, getting a few more auto attacks and that tiny, tiny bit of lifesteal in.
Yeah, you know, maybe. I mean, there's a chance. The problem is, though, Dyrus, right, if you just look at how TSM's been playing this game, Dyrus split pushes, and now with Sunfire Cape, Trinity Force, and Ionic Spark, very few champions in this game can duel him at this point. It's going to be really hard to get rid of Dyrus here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see actually in that last team fight, what a brilliant stand united from Dyrus. He actually managed to do just a... Oh, we have some action going on in this top lane as Reggie trying to zone out saintvicious. But no cigar for the Lich up in that top lane.
Yeah, that's a good Shirelia's trigger, gets him out of there. The Wall of Pain went down. He kind of waited for it to time out, and they just simply booked it out of there. And I would too. That was not a fight he's going to be able to win, no matter how much he dodged layaways. It's still a lot of mana on a Karthus, and that Defile will hurt you for a while. So, you know, Westrice, you know, doing the best he can. He's not too far away from finishing Guardian Angel. It's going to allow him to put out a lot of damage in team fights. Now, Dyrus' ult will be back up before the next fight starts, but with Guardian Angel down, they could just do the same thing on Chaox again, and this time with Guardian Angel actually, you know, again, not available, it's actually going to be a worthwhile sort of exercise here because, you know, Westrice can take through all the damage that Reginald puts out, and if they can kill off Chaox first, then it can just be the Westrice and Cop show, and they can do whatever they want and try to clean up the team fight at the end.
So, yep, and everybody playing very passively, expected from Curse with this Baron buff up on TSM right now. They are going to head back down their lanes, desperate to not be caught out. Nyjacky will go ahead and pop that Dissonance just to get back a little bit faster. Westrice playing a little fast and loose and bot, pushing back even though the first 2 tiers of towers have been taken out.
Well, you know, it's still his job. Like, he needs to catch up in this game. He needs to get some gold. Dyrus, though, waiting on the other side. Does he not expect the recall? Or there he goes, face checks it, finds Westrice, and Westrice must run from this. Yeah,
that stun, though, and the leap strike will get him out of harm's way pretty easily, and he'll resume his blue pilling in another location.
And that gives him Guardian Angel, so that's going to be finally the item he needed. But yet, 35 minutes in is when he completes that. We'll see if he can be the threat he needs. The good thing for him is Reggie doesn't have a lot of durability. Like, he's got Rod of Ages and a Giant Spell, and I'm sure I'm going to get mocked for calling that not a lot of durability, but it's a late game Jax. Like, Jax could burn through that without much difficulty.
Yeah, without any kind of resistances really on Karthus. You know, you can get the HP, but doesn't necessarily help as much in the late game.
Yeah, and here's a chance for them to go in possibly because they've got the Wall of Pain down. Well, I guess now it's back up, so too late on that one. But, you know, they need to hope for some kind of flash pull and like crazy burst damage, right? This team can put out that kind of juice. The difficulty though is Westrice does not have teleport, whereas Dyrus does have stand united. So if TSM knows that, they've got a really good move here where they could force a 5-on-4.
Yeah, TSM should know that, but they're still playing relatively tentatively, and we have the trades still going down under turret. Dyrus easily winning these trades with Westrice right now.
Yeah, he's just so far ahead of him right now that there's no way that Westrice pushes him away.
Yeah, by the way, guys, Dyrus is about 3,500 gold ahead of Westrice. We can see right now, Dyrus sitting at 13.5 and Westrice sitting at about 10. So that's a massive difference.
Yeah.
Nearly a full Trinity Force right there.
Exactly. I mean, it's what's get him, you know, the Sunfire Cape and Ionic Spark, and he's still almost got most of Guardian Angel on top of that.
Yep, and Dyrus continuing the split push. Jax trying to pull it out, but this bot tower is getting pretty low. Only about 500 HP remaining as Dyrus is the thorn in Curse's side that just refuses to go away.
And you know, they've got to pick up something to stop that, because as soon as that turret falls, Westrice has no tools at his disposal to stop him anymore. They're actually going to dive in on saintvicious here. Yeah,
and here comes the Requiem going down immediately, trying to make this gank work. We have the Impale hitting Xpecial, pulling him under turret. He's going to take a few hits. Nobody's going to die. Everybody's gotten pretty tanky. But that'll allow Dyrus to continue his split push, and that turret now at 77 HP. One auto attack will finish it off, and that's exactly what TSM wanted. Now we have a naked inhibitor in that bot lane.
And that's going to be probably their next sort of area of focus. Baron, you know, to be up pretty soon, and honestly, heck, Dyrus still has his ultimate backup. I mean, they could just sit around at Baron, have Dyrus push bottom. They guarantee that someone defends that. And it's either a free Baron or it's a free inhibitor, because Westrice is not going to win that fight. They've got to send 2 to stop him.
Of course, and Dyrus really doing a good job. You can see the tactics here. So, of course, that bottom lane is super important because it's the lane on purple team that's furthest away from that Baron. So putting pressure on that bottom lane can sneak you a Baron simply because of the walking time distance between that bot lane and Baron for purple team. Now, we do have Westrice's teleport is up, so he'll definitely be the one trying to stop it down there. But if they can bait the teleport out, that's definitely going to, Baron will be a lot easier for TSM to get for a third time.
Oh, absolutely. And this is really like, you know, that lane choice was a conscious decision here for Team Solomid. They weren't sending Dyrus to bottom lane because it was the prettiest. They sent him there because it was the one that's far away from Baron. Right? They know this map layout so well. Of course, they've rehearsed these strategies. They know that's where they want to send him. That's where they want to get all their advantages from. And that's how they're going to split Curse away. And again, they've got to send 2 people to stop Dyrus or they lose the inhibitor.
And here we go, back to putting pressure on this mid lane. They're pushing out. Reginald now coming around, skirting his own jungle by Baron. The wards are starting to come down. Saint and Cop and Nyjacky clearing it out, trying to maintain some semblance of map control. Chaox just going to Valk in, give Nyjacky a love tap, and Nyjacky will head back to the safety of his own turret.
And Nyjacky now going for his own Guardian Angel. He's pretty much keeping up with Reginald in items overall. His farm extremely high, both of them really. And they've actually sent their full team down here to deal with Dyrus. And looks like TSM, they don't care about Baron so much. They might go in for the kill here.
Yeah, this might be some sort of kill maneuver. Let's see if they actually get some damage down onto this inhibitor. They're playing very tentatively, relying on Chaox's rockets to clear out this wave. And there comes a big 500 damage crit on Nyjacky.
And that's going to keep being the case here. They're going to keep putting the damage up. But there's Dyrus and Xpecial up in front. Reginald aggressive for the Wall of Pain. And of course, why the heck not? You're winning by so much. It's an easy push for you guys. The inhibitor is theirs without any contesting really at all. And now they've got full map control again.
And 5 seconds ago, Baron did come up, so that's the perfect time to take that inhibitor. So now the pressure on bottom lane is going to be even greater with that train of super minions rolling down bottom lane, and they're going to head over to that Baron and start the Baron dance pretty soon. We do have an Oracle on OddOne. We do have a couple wards, not a lot. So TSM needs to use them judiciously in order to maximize their vision here. And actually, Chaox, excuse me, just so aggressive here with those Valkyries trying to catch somebody out and do some effective trades as he manages to get a few shots down on various members of Curse.
I think he's trying to set up situations for Requiem here. We've seen a couple times now that Curse has sort of underestimated the Requiem damage output. There was the duel with Westrice and Dyrus, the top lane 15 minutes ago, where he got away and just dropped to the Karthus ultimate. I think the same thing here for Chaox, where he knows he has a teammate with Shirelli's behind him in Xpecial. He knows he's got this Guardian Angel, and he can always flash backwards. He's just trying to set up that one kill where Requiem comes out, makes it a 4-on-5, and they get complete. Just get the game from there.
So game hits the 40-minute mark. We do have a 14,000 gold lead for TSM. Looking unlikely that they're not going to be able to take this one home as they're just trying to set up, make it easy for them to win with an extra Baron or by forcing a fight over here. Reginald has now picked up Rylai's as well, so that is just a utterly terrifying Karthus build.
Oh, he's in amazing shape here, and they're actually going to start out on the Baron. Curse, a potential 4-on-4 here, but the rest, look at that. The rest of TSM are pushing mid, pretending like nothing's even happening, but of course, OddOne can tank that. as Reginald does all the damage. They're going to pull in. They're going to go for Chaox, but they can't. Baron goes down. Now, can they get the kills they need? Nyjacky taking a lot of pain. Dyrus shows up. There's Crescendo. Who's going to fall? Xpecial low. Chaox low. No one yet dying. And there's Chaox taking the damage. Can they do the damage? There's 1, 2 going down. Actually caught for the double kill, but exhausted. He's going to fall as well. This looks to be the fight for TSM here. They're still putting in the damage. Westrice, the last alive, reviving, but he's now alone.
And we're still going to be sitting on top of that Defile. Goes down very quickly. Ace for TSM. They have Dyrus and TheOddOne up, still able to push that, and that just shows how much damage Karthus can do in the late game if he itemizes. I mean, what other mage champion would be able to like solo Baron with just his jungler for support?
Oh, sure. I mean, there's guys like Cassiopeia there who do have great single target damage output. A late game Shyvana like this can tank it out anyway, but you know, you saw the difference there where if Reginald died, he still had Death Defiled. When Nyjacky died first, he stopped casting abilities, and that really helped TSM clean up that fight. And now, with no time left for revives, this will be Team Solo Mid taking Game 3, joining the Koreans in the winner bracket semifinals. Congratulations to Team Solo Mid.
Yeah, well played there by TSM. That game was just classic Solo Mid, showing how well they can team fight, going back to the fundamentals. You know, they are not a team that's known for crazy strategies. They're not the most inventive team, but when it comes to just fundamentals, they are just incredibly strong, and they can always fall back on that and rely on their mechanics and their team fight skills to carry them into a victory.
Yeah, I mean, that exactly, just like you said, it's classic TSM. That's, you know, a lot of their old standby champions, that Shen, the Karthus. TheOddOne, you know, he expanded his roster there. He's got that Shyvana who's been initiating fights the whole time, playing as that dedicated tank and making it all happen. I think everyone on TSM played their A game that match. It's exactly like we saw Curse, you know, in Game 2. They all played their roles very, very, very well. All of them making advantages happen in each and every single lane, and that's what did it for them.
Yeah, the handshakes now going down between these guys. Those two teams, of course, knowing each other extremely well from their years of play against each other at this point. Curse packing their stuff up, but they'll be back tomorrow for day 2 of this MLG Fall Championship here in Dallas, Texas. They're not out yet. Double elimination bracket keeps them in. In the meantime, we see TSM heading to the semis of the winners bracket.
Yeah, it's really good for them overall. And in the background, we've got Dignitas versus Counter Logic Gaming Europe going on as well. We've seen our 3 quarterfinalists, of course. It's going to be AZUBU BLAZE, NAJIN Sword, the 2 Korean teams on opposite sides of the bracket. TSM now joining them, and we're going to see who's going to be that 4th winner bracket semifinalist. Now, as you mentioned, it is double elimination. We do have lower bracket matches to come tomorrow as well. So still, this whole weekend is jam-packed with great League of Legends games.
Absolutely. And we'll be coming back with you tomorrow. But in the meantime, let's go to a quick commercial break.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. We're finally going to get underway for League of Legends here at the MLG Fall Championships in Dallas. There's the crowd. There's the signs. You see yourselves on camera. Give yourselves a wave if you can see us out there. But Jatt, this is the first game, and what a big, big game. NAJIN Sword, possibly favorites for this tournament against CLG Prime, and that is an unusual thing straight away. A Korean team coming here after such, 3-0 in the group stage. They only got knocked out by Taipei Assassins, who, well, we all know, went on to be world champions. They played brilliantly in that match, but they were very good in that group stage.
And I'm thinking back, the Koreans have had amazing success against North American teams when they've came to America, and especially now with CLG, recent roster changes already putting you at a bit of a disadvantage. Locodoco, even though their team might be better in the long run, MakNooN is going to kick their ass this tournament is what he said. So the big thing I have to predict right here early on is we're going to see either a Sona pick or ban from CLG, because Locodoco has scouted Kane so much, and he's not going to let him have Sona because he thinks that's all he can play.
So we are into the picks and bans. Let's get, without further ado, let's get things underway. And the picks and bans, well, wow, okay. Twisted Fate first ban. Bigfatlp, is he that famous for that? I mean, MakNooN just said, that bench warming position that Curse is holding seems to be, I'm sure everyone's seen the GIF by now on Reddit, but it's a fantastic picture. Maybe there's a place for GG on there shortly, who knows? But Vayne also banned out against Doublelift there, Jace and Rengar. No surprises there, Jace banned against MakNooN.
And we have to remember here, we are on the Kha'Zix patch, so it's not the patch that's played on live right now. So Jace nerfs aren't in yet. Rengar nerfs are not there. Same with Sona, so it's almost the same patch as the World Championships, but just slightly the one after that. And Sona didn't get picked or banned, so here we go. I think they're going to pick it right here first for NAJIN Sword, unless CLG's baiting it out for something else, but I can't really imagine them passing up Sona here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it, the Kane and Prey combo down that bottom there. Ezreal's Sona was very, very strong. Will they go out to start with, or will they maybe pick up Nidalee or Shen? You know, MakNoon's been playing them on top lane. They did, of course, lose 2-1 to NAJIN Shield recently.
They did, and that was that a show match or was it a tournament?
It was a qualifier, for IPL 5, and then they, you know, they didn't manage to get through to that one, so they, you know, they're not going to be there. So NAJIN Shield may be coming back at them, and a lot of people have said, you know, NAJIN Shield maybe, you know, were not as strong as they were. Maybe it was just a weakness, but the problem is this is a team that they've played against. So how much do you read into that result? Aurelian, Aethelin has been locked in to start with.
No.
Well, interesting choice for mid, because this is pre-nerf, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
It's still the old DFG.
This is the DFG, yeah.
So all my predictions getting thrown right out the window. They didn't get Sona onto NAJIN Sword, but CLG ends up picking it away. They're going with the Sona Ezreal that had so much success at the World Championships. But even in the World Championships, Evelyn was banned in the majority of the games. And when she did get through, she was absolutely devastating. So Song's going to have that Eve in the mid lane. And I wonder what Bigfat's going to have to go up against it, because that's a really dangerous and good pick for NAJIN Sword. Even in the qualifiers, getting them to the World Championships, they relied on that Evelyn pick, and then it just started getting banned away so much of the World Championships. So them having it here is big for them.
Wow, okay, a couple of globals as well in there. Nocturne's going to be diving in from long range to help out. Song is going to be on that middle. You'd assume it's going to be Song on Evelyn in the mid.
It's got to be.
Is that going to be a MakNooN? Yes, of course it is. It's going to be a MakNooN Shen, something he's also played. So it's a very strong team to start with by NAJIN Sword here.
And what's CLG going to do against it here? Because there could very well be 1v2 or 2v1 lane situations here. When you bring the Shen, he's a very strong 1v2 laner. When they're initiating with that Nocturne Shen, they could very well just Shen ult in on a Nocturne, and Chauster with the Maokai, Orianna for Bigfat. This is a very much, this is a different CLG. This is a very strong team comp. If we think back to this patch, these are really the power picks that we saw almost all tournament, and a few extra different bans thrown in, so we're getting more of the what was OP in this game.
This right here is almost the Type A Assassins team comp that CLG are trying to run. And it worked well for them.
Yeah, it worked kind of well for them,
I have to say.
Maybe a little bit.
But the question is Bigfatlp toys. Wow, these are quick picks. So it's going to be a Lulu Corki picked for NAJIN Sword. Kane and Prey going to be running that in the bottom lane, or is it going to be the top lane? Is it going to be HotShot locking in the Jax here?
I'd actually expect him to go for Jax. I don't know why he would select it.
Shen.
He wouldn't be trying to fake him out here, I don't think. Jax is good for Shen. HotShot is actually pretty good at Jax. Might not see HotShot Nidalee GG quite yet, but there might be a space for that somewhere in the tournament. And if these actually end up being the team comps, I'd have to say CLG might have a bit of an advantage here early, just based on the strength of the heroes they're playing. I don't know whether they're super practiced in it, but taking Sona away from Kane would be very good for CLG, and whatever HotShot picks in the top lane, let's hope he's comfortable on it.
Yeah, so Olaf looking like he might get locked in. Either way, it is a best of 3, remember, so even after the first game, it is not all over. So there's a lot of League of Legends to be played throughout this entire tournament. We don't know how the schedule is going to get affected tonight by the hour delay we've had. Maybe there's going to be a little shuffle around of that. Well, we'll be able to find that one out later, guys. Don't worry. We'll try and keep you posted. But as it is right now, NAJIN Sword versus CLG. And you can see the two teams locked in. Jatt, how would you favor this one?
I gotta say, CLG, I like their picks, but I also fear the mobility from NAJIN Sword. So CLG is gonna be all about trying to actually win their lanes. Maokai brings very strong ganks. Olaf loves to split push a lot. And then the Orianna is all about teamfight control. If you look across to NAJIN Sword, they're gonna be about roaming ganks. MakNooN can, if that's MakNooN on an Eve, he can come in, if he's gonna go mid lane, wherever he wants with those Eve ganks. Shen and Nocturne can pretty much all arrive, so they're very much a roaming gank squad versus CLG's laning and teamfighting.
Yeah, unfortunately we didn't get to see the Teemo, which is a shame. It's something we thought we could get to see, but nevertheless, maybe we'll see it in the next game. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pop to a commercial. We'll be back shortly. It's going to be the first game of MLG 4 Championships, NAJIN Sword versus CLG. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So we're getting underway. If you've just joined us, if you've just tuned in, where have you been? We've been delayed for an hour. You should have tuned in by now. NAJIN Sword are here as the blue team on the left of your screen, and of course CLG NA or CLG Prime, whichever you'd like to prefer to refer to them as. They are as the red team on your screen. So, Jatt, what are you favoring here? I mean, we've got a lot of crowd control across CLG. It is really a lot of crowd control, but NAJIN Sword, will they go the traditional Korean style? I call it traditional already as we go into a pause. The traditional Korean style of being ultra aggressive in the lanes. That team suits an aggressive play.
NAJIN Sword's team comps always seem to favor that everyone dives in with MakNooN type thing. So since he'll be in with Shen, it's almost everyone's going to dive in with Watch because they're going to pop the Eve with the Nocturne and the Shen. And unfortunately, we have this early pause, but you could see even very early on, it looked like CLG was going to send that Eve in the top lane, and familiar faces here, right?
Yeah,
First
indeed.
game, we get the pause.
Indeed, first game, we do get the pause, and well, I'm just looking at the minimap actually to see if there's anything possibly going to develop. Level 1 team fight, who would you really favor out of these two?
If there was a level 1 team fight, I would actually give the edge to NAJIN Sword a little bit. Nocturne can put a ton of damage down with his Q, and Eve's hate spike Q spam as well is very potent level 1. There's not really any hard CC that CLG would be able to pick off. I know Chauster could technically go his Twisted Advance early, but that wouldn't be a good choice for him in the jungle. It does look like they had very defensive formations early on, so they're probably going to start fairly standard off in the jungle. And
we know that Chauster's tactic's not going to work because they're not got the blue side.
Blue side, CLG. I think they got a little bit overblown for those guys, but it's a good joke nonetheless there. They did get the purple side once again, and luckily we are back into the game, so that was a short pause. They did, at the start of this game, see Chauster or Doublelift up in the top lane on Ezreal. It got scouted by MakNooN on Shen, and they're really just all 5 waiting in a brush, maybe hoping CLG is looking for an invade, and they try to counter that. But CLG has a very defensive formation as well, really just spreading out to all their jungle entrances and hoping to prevent an invade.
Yeah, so we're just waiting to see if they are going to go anywhere. Will they go for anything? You can see Chauster setting up, and he's going to potentially start at the race. Question is, as we have another pause, whether NAJIN Sword will be able to sneak their way in there. I don't know. They're keeping us on edge here, Jatt. That's what they're doing.
They're going to figure it out at some point, I have to think, but
yeah, so
there's a lot of plotting that can go on in this level 1.
And I can only assume it's the headset. We just saw the admins in there, and he was just giving it all the old thumbs up. That was Rusty, by the way, if anyone wants to know him, anyone sees him around. He's a busy man. He's going to be pretty busy throughout this tournament. He's the one that's got to keep people in their booths active, and of course they get them booths. They get the white noise pumped in. White nose, I know what that is. White noise, yeah, white noise pumped in, which is so they can't obviously hear.
Right. So there's soundproof booths, but they're soundproof to a point. They have to actually put artificial noise in there as well to make it so they feel more isolated from the rest of the world. You know, so they can't hear anything, and you know they're still kind of clicking around. I hope their headset issues have been resolved, because we really want to see what ends up happening here at level 1, whether NAJIN goes for a delayed invade, because all 5 of them are still waiting in that brush with the defensive formation of CLG. So what is NAJIN Sword going to do? MakNooN concentrating, look there. He actually does this before a lot of games. Always just seem to have his head down with this, just focuses in, which is in stark contrast to his super playful style outside
stark contrast to Rachel, who looks to be focused on her phone there. Oh, and a bit of advertising as well. No, I'm not mad, bro. I am not. I'm not even going to read that one. Nope. Teemo must die. That is actually a true one right there. Teemo must die. And regularly does. I think it's, what was it? However many seconds,
oh man,
how many Teemos died a minute, a second? I can't remember. It was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
I remember we also wanted to get a move speed graph, like how fast does Teemo have to run to get to this is too much. Everyone tries to create Teemo statistics, and yeah, Global Tron's pretty strong. And once every 75 seconds, actually, Teemo, we'd get the stats fed in.
No, it was more than that. It was 75 Teemos a second.
Per second?
Yes,
yeah.
Per second.
Okay.
Because, I mean, when there's 3 million games going on at the same time, you'd expect it. So, game is unpaused, and
Come on, fingers crossed.
There's going to be no level 1 fight.
No, everyone backing for NAJIN Sword as we are back in. Hop into live.
So, as you can see on your screens, we are underway, and the blue buff is going to be picked away. But this is looking straight away like a lane switch to me.
And that was evident from the very start when they got scouted up top. Doublelift is going to be up there with Sona, and they are sending the Lulu Corki directly against us. So that's going to be that 1v1 lane between MakNooN and HotShot down in the bottom.
Yeah, and wisely, obviously, Doublelift on that top lane, wasn't pushing it, wasn't farming it, which sometimes you do see with the top laners. Sometimes they'll make that mistake, push the lane a little bit too much early at level 1 and kind of camp themselves out there. But as you can see, Doublelift is keeping focus just on the last hit and in the top there. In the mid lane, it is going to be Orianna versus Evelynn. In the jungle, of course, we are seeing Chauster potentially coming round on towards Song already. They do manage to get the slowdown in him. And Chauster thought about it. Chauster, obviously the new jungler. This is the first tournament for him offline as that jungle position. But Jatt, take us through the lane slowly.
Right, so the top lane is going to be really poke heavy for both teams. The advantage, of course, I think, going to CLG, Sona can heal as well as poke, and that has been shown to be one of the most potent 2v2 lanes. However, NAJIN's sword has the potential to just keep that lane shoved into the turret, and you can see they hit level 2 first, which gave them a slight advantage there. Overall, I do think that favors CLG. I look in the mid lane, and you see Orianna against Evelynn. This is a strong matchup for Orianna. Evelynn gets most of her power once she hits 6, roaming and trying to kill. Won't really be able to kill Orianna because her shield will give her too many defenses. It's all going to be about Song roaming around on Eve. You look at the bottom lane as well. HotShotGG against MakNooN. He's gotten a blue buff very early on Olaf, which makes him a very potent laner. If he can't punish MakNooN early with this blue buff, it pretty much means he's going to lose the lane because they've invested a lot to get him that advantage. Chauster actually foregoing the buff on Maokai, who's a very mana-intensive jungler. So they're really trying to help HotShot in this bottom lane deal with MakNooN.
Trying to keep him that focus on. And of course, Evelynn in that mid lane. I guess he's just got to wait simply as soon as Bigfatlp does the attack move, then he's got to go in, try and do his damage as quick as he can and get back out again. Just try and farm as much as he can because obviously while that cooldown's going, but that's why you can see Bigfatlp with that ball above his head and not going for anything. A little bit back and forth down that bottom lane, HotShot and MakNooN poking back and forward, but nothing really coming from it. And as you'd expect, the farming will continue a little bit. Let's have a quick look down the lines.
They might look to dive bottom lane, actually. They're shoving into the turret, and here comes Watch.
So MakNooN in there, they have got a big creep wave. There goes the Ignite. They do manage to get the MakNooN's taunt on him, and they will be first blood in his Watch that picks it up. HotShot LPGG going down. And well, straight away now the top lane, there's also a lot of damage on towards Doublelift there. Doublelift trying to keep prey at bay, but Kane was there, and that is a good successful gank on that bottom lane and picked up by the jungler.
This is going to be really big trouble for HotShot in the bottom lane. So his blue buff didn't give him an advantage. It actually got him killed at his turret. That's a refreshed blue buff for Watch as well, so he's going to power through the jungle. HotShot's able to teleport back to the lane, but he's still about 1.5 levels behind MakNooN in that bottom lane, so this is real trouble. Now we also look up in the top lane. Kane and Locodoco both getting poked down. Loco's healing is only as persistent as his mana pool, which is getting low, so if NAJIN's sword can land any more poke in this top lane, they might actually start winning that matchup. 700 gold advantage already early off that first kill. This is looking pretty good for NAJIN.
And meanwhile, down the bottom, they're diving on towards HotShotGG again. He's gonna get dropped, and it's MakNooN that picks it up. The assist goes to Watch. They are camping that bottom lane out, and HotShotGG is in a whole heap of trouble now.
Chauster getting caught in the top lane, has not been able to counter gank any of those moves bottom, and that's real trouble. Chauster now running through a ward. I don't think he's going to be able to close in on Prey. And no, he's not. So this is trouble real early for all of CLG.
Yeah, and as it is, Orianna returning to that mid lane. Has only been able to get the mana in there. Just looking towards the farm in between these lanes, you can see 31 for MakNooN compared to 16 for HotShot, so already way ahead in terms of farm. In the mid lane, Evelynn is actually out farming Orianna, so wow, how is Song doing that against Bigfatlp? I just don't get it.
Really impressive play there by Song. It's just Bigfat maybe a little bit too passive, or Song is just incredibly good at last hitting at his turret. And even now you can see Bigfat's going side to side trying to control vision to avoid ganks. So actually a lot of this credit could go to Watch just being so threatening in the jungle. Also, Song's been taking Wraith camps with the repetitive ganks that Nocturne has been doing in the bottom lane. So across the board, they're actually doing really well. Even in the top lane, even farm between Ezreal and Corki. Really got to hand it to NAJIN early on farming.
I'm just overly impressed by the fact that Song has managed to out-farm Orianna in that mid lane. I mean, I know obviously once with the hate spikes, he can just farm it away quite happily. And if Orianna does keep leaving him like he's done right now, he can just farm it up quite happily. He went to go to the Wraiths as well, but In terms of jungle, we do see Chauster coming again back towards that top lane. Is he going to be able to sneak anything out? He's going to come around. He's going to get to his advantage. Kane they're going for. He manages to catch onto him, gets the knock-up, tries to get the stun, but immediate turnaround here. As you can see, the teleport coming in. There's MakNooN. MakNooN gets on towards Chauster. Chauster's going to get dropped here. He's managed to get away. Lulu tries to finish it off. No, didn't quite manage to have the reach, and they avoid the damage. Very, very nice bit of play there, but MakNooN, as soon as he hit 6, he was straight in that top lane.
Just immediate response, and even HotShot's trying to capitalize on that in the bottom lane, but all the pressure has been gone. So a great turnaround by them there. Eve as well tried to make it up there. Song ran, but was caught out. Ultimate used all the goodies. They're 1,400 gold ahead now, still out farming in almost every lane. And watch, his gank's gonna come in pretty soon on Nocturne. He's actually harassing HotShot pretty heavily there in the bottom.
Yeah, he's managing to keep it HotShot under control while MakNooN obviously went looking for that gank, so it's working very well at the moment. As it stands, there is Bigfatlp back to the mid. Didn't pick anything up. 8 minutes gone in this game. No remote attempts for the Dragon at the moment. And it's interesting to see actually the transition we've seen lately, because we were watching, obviously we covered Tales of the Lane recently, and we've seen some very early Dragons lately again. So you know, people seem to be moving back towards that, but CLG famously will never fight for them.
CLG will always want to take the turret. It's just an issue of will they actually have vision of that dragon when it happens, because with the control that MakNooN has in this bottom lane here, you can see him actually just freezing the turret and forcing HotShot, freezing the lane and forcing HotShot to go back. They need to find a way to get in there and even ward it, so if NAJIN does do an early dragon, that they'll actually be able to capitalize, because Chauster has spent all of his time this game trying to stay up in the top lane, but NAJIN actually has pink wards in the brush and is just completely controlling vision in that top lane, making it very difficult for Chauster to make his impact felt almost anywhere.
So let's have a quick look down the scores. You can see obviously HotShot has managed to catch up a little bit of that farm while MakNooN went to that top lane. Didn't successfully get anything. And just have a look through the builds at the moment, Jatt. I mean, anything really particular sort of grabbing your eye, grabbing your attention here? There's not a great deal of fanciness. We are also, of course, seeing the boots of mobility, which has kind of become a regular standard for Maokai players. Yeah,
this is actually showing that Chauster is really trying to get back into this game. It's rare that you actually see a boots of mobility rush on a Maokai who hasn't had any successful ganks. So if he continues to not have them, he's going to fall way behind. And another thing to point out here is the immense lead that MakNooN is going to continue to have over HotShot, because he's went with a Cage's Lucky Pick and a Heart of Gold, whereas HotShot has not built any gold per 10 items, already 10 minutes in. So that gold lead, which is already sitting at 2,800 to 1,900, he's already 900 gold ahead, is only going to get larger. It's really struggling for CLG to keep in here, especially with that bot lane matchup.
And that Cage's Lucky Pick, that's something we saw, obviously, it came from Stanley, didn't it? And
he was the first one I saw do it, yeah.
Yeah, the Season 2 finals. As it stands, we can see the mid lanes both returning, so we've got a bit of ability power spike for Evelyn in that mid lane, so we'll see whether Song does manage to make use of it. This is, of course, a very bursty champion, just going to slightly farmed out. So lane's continuing to farm out. Gold advantage, of course, is going to be with NAJIN Sword. The fact they did get those 2 kills, first blood, both on the bottom lane, both on HotShotGG. And as it is, hasn't really been able to reply with anything, but again, is being out-farmed. It had pushed that lane pretty heavily, and you can see straight away, MakNooN, as soon as he gets back in that lane, 20 CS lead.
So much pressure coming there, and the Deathfire Grasp is what Song is going to rush on that mid Evelyn. He's really just been farming away, 83 to 81 on Bigfatlp, so still repetitively taking those rates, and we might see the first Nocturne off the game as Watch is trying to make something happen top lane. Of course, Locodoco and Doublelift playing fairly defensively, staying fairly far back. They really want to capitalize something here. They're actually flanking around with Kane. That's kind of giving way. You can see CLG is expecting something to come in, and they may just end up backing away from this one. Chauster, of course, coming in for a potential counter gank. But when you wait that long, I feel like NAJIN Sword's going to know that CLG is responding to it. MakNoon's ult is up as well. He would be able to sweep in. This could be a big fight, or it could be CLG just playing a passive and fighting it off.
Yeah, MakNooN seems to be shoving that turret purposely. Here we go, they're diving on towards Locodoco. Locodoco gets dropped, Doublelift straight onto him. Doublelift is going to go down, he's not going to be able to escape it. Chauster's come back in, and Chauster finds himself in trouble, because here comes the rest of NAJIN Sword, and that is Destruction Derby in the top lane there.
Oh, and Eve's on it.
Wrecked it. Eve, meanwhile, down in the middle, if we can get a look on towards Orianna, Bigfatlp, you can see the Ignite was running there. Evelyn has also popped him away, so Song has absolutely destroyed him, nearly. Went straight for all the damage there, but honestly, that is danger time for CLG.
absolute obliteration by
Oh,
NAJIN.
they're diving up towards
Oh!
Bigfatlp. Their shockwave comes out, but it's not enough. Is MakNooN going to go down to a tower? The ignites on him, but it's not going to be enough, and he survives it. Great play there.
This is the diving style of NAJIN. They seem like they have came prepared and ready to play, as MakNooN was saying in the interviews. Really, Shen coming in on the Nocturne as they towered over, immediately destroying Doublelift, and then Chauster was there for a counter gank, but you can't really counter gank 3v4 when your AD carry dies immediately. He essentially just arrived to give NAJIN another kill, and then the dive came in to the middle as well. As just CLG isn't at the right place at the right time, and NAJIN is diving extremely hard. This is their style. They all follow in together, and they just go, and when it works, it is beautiful.
And the gold lead across the board is starting to stack up pretty heavily, as you would imagine. 4.5K across the board, and well, the difference across the teams, you can see it straight there on your screen. It's around about 1,000 gold per pretty much every person is 1,000 gold ahead, apart from the AD carries. So Doublelift may be the saving grace, but we've already seen Phreak switching it up. Of course, that top lane turret has gone down, so immediately you see the AD and support going to that bottom lane and just burning away that turret already. Phreak's had a good chunk of damage on there, pretty much for free while HotShot was gone.
And it's just all been NAJIN's sword across the board. They've now done the lane swap, so when they kill one turret with the AD carrying support, they'll generally swap around to the other tower. You can see some potential action brewing in the mid lane. Chauster's actually picked up an Oracle, so he's really going to put himself in a hole if he's not able to make something happen with his Oracles. Could it actually be CLG trying to group up and take a dragon? This is very much against their style. They have a hole right now where Najin's sword doesn't have Nocturne or Shen ult, and they pulled it out. Doublelift getting killed. They might trade a Doublelift kill for a dragon here.
Doublelift is in trouble. DFG went out there. They're going to get the slowdown. You can see MakNooN on him. They're going to have to flash to finish it off, and they will do. They go straight for Doublelift. It was Song that finished it off. Meanwhile, down the bottom, they've gone for the dragon. You can see the damage going on towards Locodoco. Locodoco in a little bit of a low position. I'm trying to see whether he has got Crescendo available to him. They are going to put Shockwave on towards Kane. Kane has to pop his own ultimate to try and keep HotShot away. Has he got enough? He's got the heal running. Oh. He is going to get taken down. Use the exhaust on towards Bigfatlp there on the HotShotGG, sorry, but Bigfatlp does manage to pick up the kill. So first kill of the game for CLG. They are still 7-1 down though, and they picked up the dragon.
They actually didn't even get the dragon. That was a 4v3 that they got pushed off of by 3 members of NAJIN, and overall they ended up just trading a Doublelift death for a Kane death, which I still have to say would be in the favor of NAJIN's sword because they're getting turrets out of this. Everyone from CLG had to go back, and Song just straight up took the tower, and something smart he did there is he placed a ward right where the dead turret is, so if they know where Big Fat's going to try to roam back and forth, they'll have complete control. Middle of the lane wards are becoming more and more popular. NAJIN's sword using them to the best of their abilities.
So Prey's about to take the bottom turret down as well, so that's going to be all 3 outer turrets down for NAJIN's sword, easily working the way through this one. This is the Korean style. This is something that even we've seen discussed by Locodoco and saying, perhaps this is what we need to do as CLG. It got shut down by Chauster, but maybe, you know, they are seeing it in action right here on the screens, and they are just being absolutely destroyed in lane phase.
Being down 3 turrets to 0 is a immense amount of global gold, especially when NAJIN's sword goes back and spends it. Now that they have the Shen and the Nocturne all back off cooldown, any fight that CLG tries to pick, especially when Chauster goes all in with that Twisted Advance, is going to get turned around. So CLG really can't even play in the slightest bit aggressive right now because it will just get immediately turned around and it will backfire on them just because of NAJIN's sword's lead and team composition. So if they try to go for Dragon again, that's going to get turned around. At this point, it's really just NAJIN's sword split pushing away. You can see MakNooN up in the top lane. Happily now, 2,100 gold ahead of HotShot, only 16 minutes into the game, destroying him. They have an Oracles on Nocturne, and they might actually go around and force this Dragon of their own, and that would just increase their global gold advantage, which is already massive.
Well, the difference here in the AD builds, you can see that Doublelift has actually gone for the BF after the Phage. Meanwhile, it is going to be Prey that's picked up effectively the Triforce. He just needs a couple of 100 gold, which he's probably already got. Just needs to go back and buy it, but they are going to go for Dragon here. Watch has cleared out all the wards that were in and around the area, and they're just going to pick it up as an easy 3-man. They've got, of course, the farming at the top there. They've got Evelyn locking him off. The whole team, there's no way CLG going to react to this.
Yep, they actually saw Chauster in the top lane clearing a ward from the Triangle Brush and just said, all right, there's no way CLG is going to be able to defend this. And they're just freely running. They might catch HotShot out here. He's maybe going to have to ult away. They're charging at him. HotShot actually just cruises away without having to use anything, but the map control is very clearly in the hands of NAJIN.
Question is, can MakNooN stop Doublelift farm? And he puts the taunt down on him, puts a lot of damage down on him as well. But Doublelift is going to have to back away from this one. Tries to put a couple of auto attacks into MakNooN, but he's just going to be able to keep those farmed up. Chauster coming around the side. He's going to go diving in towards that top lane. The top lane, if you will, please. Here they go, and he's going to get Twisted Advance down onto him. He should be able to walk away from this one. They've not got close enough. They didn't close the gap there. They just left Chauster to dive at him. Doublelift wasn't really reacting with him.
Yeah, they were almost scared of going in. They didn't have full vision of watch, I imagine. They might have thought the Nocturne ult might come in and turn it around. They were really hesitant. I mean, if anything, we said that they're not able to take any aggressive action. The only people they could really go for would be Nocturne or Shen, because they're the ones who can't, I mean, if you already know where they are, they're accounted for, and they otherwise would arrive from anywhere. But that just went to show how shell-shocked they almost are right now, because that was a gank that probably could have worked if everyone had committed. They might just not be on the same page right now. They're trying to split push, farm out, and maybe catch up a little bit, which is probably wise since they are so far behind here. Prey, of course, just coming into the bottom lane, and everyone from CLG has to immediately run every time they see a member of NAJIN.
So NAJIN sword very, very strong. 8,000 gold advantage. And well, you know, as we mentioned at the start of the show, coming to this one potentially as favourites for the tournament. Obviously, of course, CLG EU are here, managed to pick up 3rd place in the Season 2 finals, but they are here with a substitute. Will that affect them? They've had a 3-week break. Will that affect them? There's been other things happening. Will that affect them? You saw a very sleepy Wicked out there earlier as well. Maybe that's going to affect them, but they seem well rested. They're diving for it. They're going towards Bigfatlp. They are going to get the Fear Leash off. He has to use the Shockwave to try and keep them away, but he's going to go down. The Fear procced off, and it's Song that picks up the kill. A very easy gank there, and they have to be so careful about this. So often we see Korean teams, or even just Asian teams, picking off people. Just those slightest mistakes. They're going to go down the bottom lane. That is going to be Prey catching Doublelift out there. We missed it. Doesn't matter. He just straight up 1v1'd him. And now they're pushing on towards the mid turret. The mid turret, inner turret is going to go down. You can see Locodoco is going to try and keep them at bay. Is he going to use Crescendo to try and force them away? They have no minions, so they had to back off. But Prey is just burning down the turrets. NAJIN sword absolutely blitzing CLG here.
This might be one of those games where everyone on CLG just kind of falls silent because they don't know how to respond to a situation like this. If you're against a team with multiple globals and you do not have the global presence of your own, and you're losing all the 1v1 team fights, there's not many options for you. They're still just split pushing these turrets. That's now 4-0. They're warding up. They haven't cleared the Oracles off of watch. Every time they've used their Nocturne plus Shen combo, it's resulted in kills and turrets. They're now flanking around. There are pings going down in this brush. They might be trying to get HotShot or Bigfat. Bigfat wandering through the jungle. They're looking to pounce on him. Let's see if they can catch him.
He's going to stealth his way in there, Song, but he might get spotted if he's not careful. They are going to go for him. They've dived on towards Bigfatlp. They're going to take him down. He just got popped, and Song's on him. Now they're going to go for HotShotGG. HotShotGG's had to use his ultimate. He should be able to run away from this one with Reginald on. He's going to get dived on the turret. Is it enough? He will manage to escape. But that is desperate, desperate trouble now. CLG are in trouble. Oh, they've caught on towards Locodoco. Locodoco's going to get dropped down as well. Crescendo's has to walk away, having to use his ulti to save himself. But wow, CLG are in trouble, and they cannot afford to go for this one. Chauster's got to be careful with that Oracle as well.
And even if he didn't lose Oracles, I mean, he's going in for watch, and it just gets spell shielded away. I don't see how they're defending it here. The mid turret's down, they're down members, they're getting continually split pushed, and they are also getting picked off on top of that. So everything is just snowballing against them here. 4-0-0 on Song. He can pretty much combo any of the squishies on CLG. They've all tried to go GP 10 items, but that also just means that they don't have damage across the board. You can see HotShot, Kindle Gem, 2 gold per 10 items. Chauster went for the early boots mobility, so his build hasn't even really started. Doublelift finally getting a Bloodthirster and a Phage, but there's already a Trinity Force and a Pickaxe onto Prey. No one can actually 1v1 their immediate adversary on the other side, and the split push just continues from NAJIN. Corki all the way on his side.
Desperation
CLG
move.
Got to be a desperation Baron. They see there's no wards here. They're going to start on it, but MakNoon's on his way to check. If they pull this off, even then they'd still be behind, but this is kind of something they have to try.
Well, and they don't even have the Crescendo available, so they can't keep them all bay with that AE stun, and CLG immediately have to back away. There's no way they can do that. They had to peel off, and then, well, they're trying to try and catch them out. Song's coming up there. They're going to see if he can pick off any flailing last-minute action. Here they come. MakNoon's going to come round. He manages to land the taunt. He went on towards Bigfatlp. They're diving on towards Bigfatlp. Shockwave goes out, but it's not enough. Watch manages to pick up the kill. Bigfatlp down. They're going to turn it back on towards who they're going to go for the target. Oh, it doesn't matter. They're both up together, and this is just chunking them down. Prey comes in, rips them a new one, and Chauster gets dropped. Double kill for Watch, and well, NAJIN Sword absolutely destroying CLG Prime here.
15-1, and they're just mobbing up towards this middle lane where the creep wave is already pushed. They're going to be able to take this one down, and most likely a 22-minute inhibitor, 14,000 gold lead. Everyone just dominating right now, and I can't see why CLG would stay in this. There's a surrender.
Surrender vote comes out, and NAJIN Sword pick up the win in game 1 of the MLG Fall Championships. The winner bracket, of course, it is best of 3. It is not all over. But that surrender was definitely needed because, wow, Jatt, what an amazing start for NAJIN Sword.
I mean, we said that the Korean teams, when they've came into North American soil, have dominated. And this was just another example of that. CLG really has to regroup after that one. You can see they're actually not really yelling at each other. They seem to be taking this fairly well. HotShot's kind of going down the lists of what probably went wrong. Maybe that was an early game plan that just terribly backfired. They really have to come up with something quick, though, because that game was not even close. One of the most one-sided games we've seen in quite a while. Yeah,
and you can see the discussions going on. Chauster now giving out a few words of wisdom. Doublelift having a chat as well. And, you know, they're just like, they're just going to, you know, discuss it between each other. What are we going to do, and what do they need to do? Because they had a really good team comp there.
And that was really just about getting out-executed in a lot of ways, so it's hard to prepare for sometimes. Bigfatlp didn't out-farm Eve, all the lanes lost, and then the ganks, really the execution from NAJIN Sword just seemed to be on another level.
They did, and they managed to obviously get those kills. We talked about it at the bottom. Watch came around very early on to HotShot. They got that double kill early on, snowballed it away. It allowed MakNooN to get that level ahead. Got that stand united, went up the top lane, and then they just bullied them ever since. And it's just crazy. The actual mid lane, and I was so surprised. I mean, the fact that Evelyn was picked up A to start with, because obviously DFG is not nerfed. Wait, hello people, everyone in this tournament suddenly going, wait a minute.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops, did we forget that? And Evelyn gets picked in there and actually out-farmed Orianna for pretty much the majority of it, even pre-level 6, everything, just out-farmed it, no problem.
I gotta say, NAJIN, even though it looked like CLG had the power comp, didn't seem as comfortable on the champions. NAJIN picked very much a dive-style composition, whereas CLG picked an early-game ganking composition with Chauster on Maokai, and that doesn't fit their style. They're about split pushing. They've done the triple teleports. They weren't comfortable that game. NAJIN Sword was.
Do you think that's what we might see coming out next, the triple teleport?
They might have to go for it. That's been the thing that's worked for them most in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised if they brought it out already.
They used it recently against Ferris, didn't they, I believe?
Yeah, I think so.
They did, so yeah, they've used it a few times now. Is it going to be what comes out? That's the question. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. It will be NAJIN Sword versus CLG Prime. Game 2 coming up next. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the MLG Fall Championships. Game 2 will be underway in just a moment. Jatt, what do you do when you're in this situation? You've just lost 15-1, but we saw this. We've seen it throughout Season 2. We saw some huge defeats. We saw some huge kill scores as well. I mean, CLG, to start with, say, think of the semi-final, AZUBU Frost. They absolutely got destroyed in game 1. Moscow 5 destroyed Taipei Assassins game 1, but they came back and absolutely annihilated the opposition. What are CLG going to do? What are they got to sit down? Are we got to go, let's go with what we know, let's go with a tactic, go with some sort of cheese strat? You know, they talked about the cheese strats. They're going to have blue side, ladies and gentlemen. CLG, they could break out that secret Season 2 tactic from the... Will it happen? Have they got the blue side strat they wanted to use throughout Season 2?
First and foremost, I think they're going to just make sure to ban Eve. Like, whenever you get obliterated that badly, you have to stop the team from doing it again. Like, you can't let them do exactly the same thing 2 games in a row to you, because 22-minute losses
is not acceptable.
Or you get killed by 14 kills isn't something you want to replicate, right? So, Eve ban, the Sona picking away didn't work as well as they thought it would, really. Like, that lane didn't end up winning out for them. NAJIN Sword just so much confidence coming in. There's a bit of a disadvantage, actually, to winning that badly, so to speak, like winning that hard, because you don't have anything to improve on from game 1 to game 2, so there's no pointers, nothing they need to do better against CLG, whereas CLG is just full of ideas right now. This went wrong, this went wrong, this is what we have to improve on, this is what we have to pick and ban. But NAJIN has to kind of preemptively guess what CLG is going to counter with, which means this game is pretty much always going to be closer than the previous one, and it does give them a slight chance of coming back.
Yeah, and of course there's no reason to hide any tactics now. You know, Season 2's out of the way. You know, all before, you know, the tournaments leading up to Season 2, everyone was hiding stuff, you know. Not that anything actually... Nothing came out, though. That was the irony. Nothing fancy came out in Season 2. It was like Season 1 all over again. Strats came out. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in to pick some bans, and there it is, Jace being banned out straight away. They do not want MakNooN to have that Jace pick, as you would expect. And Twisted Fate, again, being banned out by NAJIN Sword. They clearly believe that Bigfatlp has a hot Twisted Fate in his pocket.
And maybe that's just because they won, if you think back, they won the top lane and bottom lane so hard. And one of the things Twisted Fate does so well is affect the other lanes. So they don't want Bigfatlp to be able to help HotShot in any of the lanes, because it really seemed like they keyed off punishing him in lane that game. I don't see a reason for NAJIN to change up anything that they did, really. I'd expect almost all of the same bans from them. It's really all on CLG to take the initiative and try to change this game up, because there's Twisted Fate, there's Lee Sin. Those are the same bans we saw from NAJIN in the first game. And CLG's got to switch it up here. I mean, if they don't ban Eve, then they'd have to pick it away from them, because giving that up again is just, they have to change the style.
Well, and they've taken Sona away. They've banned Sona, so they're saying, okay, we know you're going to get the Ezreal Sona possible pick this time that CLG had. So they're obviously going to switch things up. They've banned out Rengar, and the final ban coming through. So what are we expecting as a first pick for CLG here? They're going to get that first choice. There's a lot of things open. You've got the Orianna open again this time. You've got, you know, possibly supports and AD. Are they going to pick anything? Is it going to be a top lane? Maybe they're going to go straight for Nidalee.
They could go straight for Shen, too, because MakNooN did such a good job on Shen. Jace isn't available. Evelyn's banned out. Orianna didn't really work out for them.
And possibly is.
That would probably be the smartest pick for CLG. It would leave up an Ezreal, but it's not comboed with a Sona, so they're probably going to have to deal with a Lulu support once again, just because NAJIN Sword is probably going to do as little as possible to change it up. And this is just a better way of CLG disrupting their composition, because they've banned out, or they've taken away the Shen, which is already meaning that NAJIN, no way can they replicate their comp. Already there's 2 things that are gone that they couldn't pick last game.
And if you asked anyone in the world that's ever watched League of Legends, you say, how does CLG play?
Split push.
Split push, of course. And that is why I was kind of expecting a Shen to be in there. Just something, anything that was split push with. And, you know, who's the best split pusher in the game? It is Shen, of course. Can just stand united and join your compadres. What are NAJIN Sword going to pick? Are they going to go for? Is it going to be the Corki Lulu? It seemed to work very well for them in that top lane this time around.
I think the Ezreal is probably going to come out for them. It's what everyone considered to be one of the best AD picks. Not so much teams like Taipei Assassins or anything. It is pre-Ezreal nerfs. There was some Vayne and Kog'Maw that came out later, but that's not huge. I mean, I guess the Nocturne did come out really strong for them last game. They've already selected that. They're taking their time with this one. They're taking it down to the last 5 seconds or so before they're finishing this off. And you can tell there's actually a fair bit of discussion, but there we go. Ezreal, the power AD, taking it away from CLG, hoping to do something there.
Yeah, and they can leave the supports open. Now, the Korean scene generally does not agree with Nunu. Now, are we going to see potentially Vayne Nunu here? It's something that Locodoco and... oh, no, we're not. We're going to see a very, very quick locked-in Lulu and Orianna.
You could actually see Locodoco saying something very impassioned there. Yeah. And that could have actually been, let me take Lulu, because he's obviously a very competitive person, and he has a lot of scouting done on Kayn of NAJIN Sword, and he thought he couldn't play anything but Sona to try to make him uncomfortable. Clearly, his fallback is Lulu. So he's saying if we take that away, then we're going to be able to win bottom lane. This is how we're going to win our matchup. And they might do something like Lulu Civ or some kind of really fast shove comp because they're going to want to kill towers and split push, since we saw in the last game, as soon as they lose control of the map, they really just got snowballed on by NAJIN, especially when something like Nocturne is in the game. You have to keep vision control early, and they're going to try to accomplish that with a Lulu push, in my opinion.
So what will NAJIN Sword pick up here? I'm guessing, well, I mean, they could leave the AP, they could go the AP. Is it going to be MakNooN on Malphite? It's something we have seen quite a lot of before. He's quite dangerous with those AP things. I'm thinking Season 2 qualifiers where he did that. He kept doing the flash ulti through the jungle quite regularly. Leona coming out here. Iron Stylus somewhere in the world is going yampy right now.
He's pretty happy about it. And this Malphite pick, he actually goes DFG on Malphite, is one of the things he does. He plays it almost a lot like Evelyn, where you just try to go in and burst down the one target as quickly as possible. That's all about NAJIN's Sword dive, right? You put the Leona ult down, and then Nocturne and Malphite just dive buddy up and go. And that's really just how all of their compositions interact. What they put in the mid lane after that is just got to go up against Orianna. It could be anything from Karthus, any kind of safe farmer. And here we got CLG. If they're going to go for the late game split push, if they're going to go for the 2v1 lanes, if they're going to go for that, Vayne makes the most sense. Doublelift is a highlight reel on Vayne. Someone posted a clip. How good is Doublelift? Here's a highlight reel just the last week, and people were impressed with how many plays he'd made in that short amount of time. But laning up against such a strong dive composition like NAJIN's Sword, it's very dangerous to pick something as squishy as Vayne against a Malphite and a Nocturne and a Karthus assault that's going to come on right on your face.
Yeah, so there's a lot of diving. I mean, the fact that Nocturne and Malphite can be diving on top of you, you can have the full stun from Leona. It's a scary, scary possible thought. So, Jatt, team comps, who are we going with here?
Yeah, I mean, if I base it off the last game, NAJIN's Sword, even though they were denied some of their big picks, still has a very dive-heavy composition. They have MakNooN on Malphite, they have Watch on Nocturne, and they still have global presence coming in from Karthus. So they're going to be about lane pressure and dives. CLG is going to be about probably a lane swap. They don't want Lulu going up. They're going to try to get Doublelift very farmed, and they're going to try to split push with HotShot. So it's once again going to be about split pushing versus hard initiate and dive, and I have to give that comp advantage to NAJIN's Sword.
So the question is, who does the crowd think are going to win? We are going to go to commercial, and we'll find out in a moment. It is going to be CLG versus NAJIN's Sword. 1-0 already in NAJIN's Sword. We're back in a minute. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the MLG Fall Championships. As you can see, it is CLG as the blue team and NAJIN's Sword as the red team. NAJIN's Sword 1-0 up. It was about 15-1, 22-minute game. Very, very quick stomp by NAJIN's Sword, and they absolutely destroyed CLG. CLG are going to have to do something impressive to get themselves back into this one, Jatt. Level 1 looking like they're going to start poking back and forth, but a defensive start from both teams.
It really looked like CLG wanted to try to invade race a little bit and just try to get any kind of early game advantage onto NAJIN, but a very defensive formation coming out from NAJIN. And since CLG didn't decide to do any kind of 5-man grouping, they're not going to be able to invade that jungle. And it's really just going to be another, everyone starts at their area where they want to go and just good from there.
So as you can hear, the pings just going out at the moment. So are they going to go through anything? There's a lot of pings coming out. There we go. So they know that they're starting in the right places. And And it's going to be a standard setup here, Jatt. You can see it's going to be the top laners in the correct position. The bottom lane is going to be the AD support. No fancy business from either team this time around.
No, they're just very much starting in the right places here. The double Wraith start is a little curious, but that's mainly here because NAJIN Sword wants to get the Wolves for their bottom lane matchup since they know that Vayne and Lulu would start at the double golems. They're also having Chauster start with the red buff, which tells me actually that Cho'Gath is going to want to go red to blue to an early top lane gank. So once again, I feel like this could be totally wrong, but I think CLG is going to try to help HotShot out early.
So we're seeing Locodoco helping out Chauster quite heavily, which means he's going to be saving that smite. Watch has done the same. You know, they're just going to use it on the red and the blue. That's the question. We're seeing Watch heading up that way. I would expect it's going to be a fairly standard start for them. Jatt, take us through the lanes.
So top lane, of course, we have HotShotGG against MakNooN. Once again, this time Shen is on another team, and this is really, they're both pretty good at trading damage early on, so it's going to be really even. It's really going to be about the jungle ganks and who can support that better. Mid lane, Orianna versus Karthus. This is a matchup that once again should probably favor Orianna. It's very hard for Karthus to dodge the ball here. Both of them should be able to farm up very generous CS scores. It's going to be a very passive lane in the mid, and then bottom lane, Vayne Lulu against Ezreal Leona. Very aggressive lane here, neither support having sustained. Lulu with high poke and Leona with very high engagement potential. So we could see some very aggressive play bottom lane if the supports decide to do that. AD carries don't have all the control here. Doublelift's going to try to farm. Very tough matchup up against Prey on Ezreal. So if Doublelift evens farm there, they're going to be in good shape.
Mid lane at the moment, Song's pretty low. Bigfatlp is trying to keep him at bay. You can see Chauster just in the brush there. He wants to go for that early aggression, but he doesn't look like he's going to be able to have it. He's just waiting for the call from Bigfatlp to say, yep, ready, go for it. But that lane is going to get pushed right up to the tower, so I think it'll be very hard, and you can see the health pots being chugged through by Song as well, so expecting him to be fairly safe there.
And it's just been a camp by Chauster, and once again, nothing really doing for him. So while Watch has been farming the jungle, Chauster was waiting in mid lane while Big Fat pushed, so I don't really know what they expected there. Maybe he was trying to counter gank Watch, but Watch was a little bit wise for that. Now we actually see him coming around in the top lane. We might actually see Watch come in on HotShot because he's very pushed up and has no wards for this gank.
So we're seeing whether sorry, you set me off on that one. Watch is going to go for it, but the child in me was definitely alive to that one. Here we go. They're going to go in there. The Fear Leash will come through. You can see he manages to catch on towards HotShot. He does manage to get the Fear Leash. Which way will it send him? He manages to get away with it with the taunt dash, and he has avoided the damage, but it took a chunk of damage there, and he's actually trying to be aggressive, trying to force Watch back, puts the ward down. So Watch has warded up that top lane and really secured it for MakNooN, and MakNooN continues the pressure on HotShotGG.
And the worst part of this for HotShot is his lane was already pushing when the gank was there.
They do manage to get a Prey there. They managed to get the Rupture and the Silence across him, but the AD support was not there to help out. So Chauster again getting in here. This time he did catch it. Leona's turn around. Leona goes in towards it. They do manage to catch First Blood, popping down Doublelift. Sorry, it was not Doublelift. I'm so used to seeing the support down there, popping down Locodoco. And that is First Blood once again for NAJIN Sword.
That's going to be trouble because on top of that, they are getting out-farmed in lanes once again. Even in that top lane, 35 minions for MakNooN and only 17 for HotShotGG. Even the jungle out-farming. Mid lane, only advantage there. Bigfatlp with 31 to just 28. So this is kind of trouble for them. Once again, 1,000 gold disadvantage, and that's not all in the first blood. A lot of that is from the farming.
So as it is, you can see HotShot back in that top lane, having to chug through the pots, trying to keep that health up. Well, the farming, it shows, doesn't it? It's a 20 CS difference in that top lane. That's a pretty huge difference from Malphite versus a Shen.
And a lot of this just came from Watch's gank. He got HotShot to chug through health potions, he got HotShot to burn his ghost, and he made it a very conservative lane. HotShot also put that ward invested in vision control. Chauster's going to try to come up and stop him here. They might get something on MakNooN, actually.
They might do. They try and turn it around. MakNoon's just walking back and around. He's feeling pretty confident, and he just strolls away from it. That was confident play because they didn't know where Watch was. They were expecting Watch to come out of that bush.
That could have been a lot of it. And no, actually, I think, yeah, you're right. They did have complete control of that. So MakNooN now hitting level 6, where HotShot is only 5, and he's making Chauster just sit in that top lane, which gives the other lanes almost complete freedom to do whatever they want. Song can push up. Bottom lane can be aggressive. You can actually see Kane coming in around behind Loco and Doublelift, and here it comes. He's jumping right onto Locodoco. Getting shot into the tower, though. Kane might fall here.
He might do, and you can see the damage coming down. It will manage to be Locodoco that picks it up. Less than ideal. They wanted Doublelift to have that, but it's a kill's a kill at the end of the day. He does manage to get the assist goal. Meanwhile, in the middle line, they're going to go towards Bigfatlp. Bigfatlp goes down as well, and that is a straight reverse kill. And that is going to be Song that picked up the kill as well. Not what they needed.
And MakNooN making his presence felt. He'd had total shove up top lane, and Chauster was already babysitting, so he figured, I'm not going to make anything happen in top lane here. I'm going to go impact mid, really just shutting down Orianna. He's already winning top lane, still got the 20 million kill advantage, helping Song out. Requiem could come in whenever. They're going to sync that with Watch's Nocturne ult once Nocturne hits 6, and that's going to generate a lot of pressure throughout the map, but most likely in the bottom lane. So CLG has closed this out a little bit, only 700 gold advantage, even with the 2-to-1 kills, so they are sticking in this a lot better than they were the first game, but they're still in a lot of trouble.
And you can see Shen just farming out back on that top lane. HotShotGG is going to have his work cut out to try and keep that farm going. No, he's 10 CS, 15 CS behind still on MakNooN, despite the fact they tried to gank MakNooN, they tried to equalize it. Own blue buff, he's got to be careful, make sure he keeps on it. And he hasn't got Chauster to actually help him out there. Chauster's made the call. Chauster's on red buff, so you can see Bigfatlp's had to delay on that one.
And he's just going to have to deal with it in a lot of ways. Already down 0 kills to 1. He has picked up the early Chalice of Harmony, but he's getting beaten out. Sork Shoes to Song. Going to have to be very much a farm off here. You can see Song taking the Wraiths. It's going to be all about Watch hitting 6. He's probably going to get it very soon. He is a little bit behind in the jungle, in all honesty. He spent so much time with that top lane gank, and he's deferred so many camps already to Song's Karthus that he is a little far behind on Nocturne, and that can potentially be very dangerous. Of course, Chauster just camping in a ward. Does he have an Oracle's on?
It's got the Oracle.
And he doesn't see the ward.
Well, they've just put the ward in. This is the position graphic that I've seen recently, actually. Someone's talking about that position graphic. If you put it in the right spot, you can't quite see it. So Chauster, I'm not sure if he actually spotted it. He's still in that bush. There's no way he sees it. So if we can get the vision possibly of CLG, you'd be able to spot it. See whether he can see it. He can't
see the ward, but can NAJIN see him?
Can NAJIN Sword see him?
Oh.
They could.
He just backed off, now they saw him.
So, very clever play. Now, whether NAJIN Sword did that on purpose or not is another matter, I don't know. But, yeah, very clever play there. Meanwhile, we're seeing in the mid lane, actually, MakNooN going to maybe come around and have a go. Are they going to dive? They have got the Siege Minion coming in. They do manage to get the ulti in there. Goes straight for it. Bigfatlp. Here comes Chauster to try and protect it. They might be in trouble here. They're going to get on towards Song. Song will get dropped down. Defile's running. Now they're going to get on towards MakNooN. Here's the Karthus ultimate. MakNooN is going to get taken down very low. If the Ignite's running, are they going to finish him off? He does. He catches him with a rock shot. HotShotGG manages to pick up the kill. Watch has to back away. Great counter gank work there from CLG. Chauster in the right place at the right time.
Coming back big in this second game, Hotshot Shenalt coming in at just the right time, and also the Requiem was unable to pick up any kills. Everyone actually collapsing in for CLG. Gold now completely even, so they've withstood that early NAJIN Sword surge and turned the second Malphite mid gank completely around on them. Very good work there by CLG.
Absolutely fantastic stuff, and for the first time, CLG, I believe, have the gold. No,
they had it for a second.
They don't. They had the gold for a second. It was there, but no, not anymore. No, it's back to NAJIN Sword. So 3-2 down, but still with the gold lead. Doublelift camping the farm down the bottom there. Let's have a look through the item builds here, Jatt.
We actually see a Chalice of Harmony coming out on many members. You see Bigfatlp's got that. He's going to go for an Athene's Unholy Grail on pretty much everyone. And even MakNooN might be going for that item because he's going the same item path. You can see these Korean teams have identified that as, you know, maybe a bit of an OP item. They seem to really love the stats it gives. It gives a little bit love the stats it gives. It gives a little bit of everything. You look at the 80 carries as well in the bottom lane. Prey very much going towards a Trinity Force with that early phage, whereas Doublelift going with that double Dorns build. His Vayne build, he's going to want to go for a Bloodthirster. He's got a big lull here where there's going to be a power spike for Prey. They got to be very careful in this bottom lane while Doublelift gets out of this early game and gets into late game Vayne items. So right now, even though the gold is very close, the item war is slightly being won by NAJIN Sword.
Yeah, gold in the top lane. You can see MakNooN keeping Hotshot at bay. Hotshot really is being out-farmed, something I'm not used to saying. But honestly, these top laners have been very, very strong from the Asian teams. MakNooN doing a fantastic job, definitely up there in the top 3 in the world as it stands. And You know, we talked about throughout the whole of Season 2, really, how the Asian teams were so strong. They're going to have a dive down the bottom there. The Kane they're going for. Here comes the Nocturne, the counter jungle. Is it enough, though? They don't have Stan United available, so he's not able to come back in. They do manage to get one down. Chauster's taken down very low as well. Chauster does not want to drop. He's got the Oracle on. He might get burnt down. One more basic attack would do it, and there it is. Watch manages to catch it, and Chauster goes down. And an Oracle burnt, Jatt. That is not good news for CLG.
Oh, the counter gank from Watch really coming in there. Barely made it down. You could see they were planning on having a bottom lane gank, and the timing really working out for them. Also, Karthus ulti just came off cooldown, so the next fight is going to be even better. With that kill, they're also taking a dragon, and the control that MakNooN has in this top lane is absurd. 93 to 44 onto HotShotGG, just decimating him across the board. They get the dragon with that, and the game's really just turned right back around once again. NAJIN sword in control.
And he talks about that AP build that MakNooN does. He's got them sorcerer shoes in there as well. And, well, Bigfatlp trying to control this mid lane. Got a bit of pressure on towards Song there. Song, you can see, had to back away, had to spin back to bite. And maybe that's the Stein. Maybe that's just something that Bigfatlp could have that control in, but Song is sticking around. Hasn't got the blue buff, so he's going to struggle to farm this one out. Lay waste away. MakNooN, though, in this top lane is so strong. That's going to be a Song that dived on. Shockwave wears down. Should be getting him. The Ignite goes down. Song's going to drop here, but will Bigfatlp go down with it? He will. The counter comes out. Couldn't escape it. Requiem comes out in the top lane. MakNooN might get caught out here. He should. Oh, and he has to use Unstoppable Force to get away. The Ignite will not be enough, and MakNooN escapes a gank again.
So the aggression by Big Fat actually gets turned around very well by Song. Popped the exhaust as soon as he got in there, which stuck Big Fat in the turret. Requiem ended up not being of much use, and the gank by Chauster actually being pretty good. Even with that Oracle's loss, Chauster still doing a fairly good job keeping himself in this game. The big mismatch that's going to happen here is Watch has an Oracle's and CLG doesn't have an Oracle's anywhere on their team, so the map control is really going to fall into NAJIN Sword's favor here. CLG has to be very cautious in lane, and it's very hard to deal with when one team has an Oracle's and the other team does not. Whether that pays off in more lane farming, we'll have to see if CLG can handle it.
Well, we just missed it on the camera, but the aggression in that bottom lane is pretty crazy. Kane managing to catch on towards Doublelift, forcing him back. Doublelift was just trying to back off in the bush, trying to do a teleport, and then just did straight away shield daybreak onto him, got him with a stun. Didn't even have his AD carry there. He just went full on aggression, says, get out of here. Forced him out of the lane, and Doublelift just had to back off. So Doublelift returns to the lane. He's got a BF sword in there. You can see the Trinity forces slowly being built up by Prey at the moment. He has got the Sheen and the Phage in there. Hasn't gone for the... Hasn't picked the rest of it up yet. You can see he probably can't afford it. That's why. MakNooN, though, back in his top lane and just still farming it out like a champion. HotShotGG really is in trouble up here.
You can see MakNooN going full Magic Pen here. Haunting Guys plus Sorcerer Shoes. So he's sitting at around 50 Magic Pen, if you consider, and it's actually 55. He's got a huge Spell Pen Magic Book, which means Hotshot, even with Mercury Treads, is taking close to true damage. Chauster, once again, having to babysit this top lane because all the pressure MakNooN is putting on, free farming, keeping him dangerously low at the turret. With that Oracle's Watch knows he has
mid lane, they just used Shockwave on towards Song there. Bigfatlp trying to defend himself there, but Song again is forcing him back. There's a lot of pressure. You can see Watch still on the blue buff. Now having a 1-2 versus Chauster. Stand guard, Stand United had to be used there. MakNoon's going to come around. Are they going to dive into this one? Bigfatlp is in no position to fight. Song's also coming around. The rest of the team are going to have to back away. You can see they managed to get wall down. Bigfatlp has to flash away. MakNooN, there's going to be a deep, deep dive from Watch there on towards Chauster. Have they got the support? The red buff should be enough. They will pick it up. It's Song that gets it with a lay waste, and they are just going to clear
MakNooN wants
out.
to get Big Fat.
MakNooN is going deep. He's going very, very deep, and Bigfatlp had to back away from that one.
He had his flash ultimate up, and you know MakNooN was just
bottom
ready to
lane,
go.
they're diving on towards the bottom lane as well, and you can see Doublelift is in Locodoco, sorry, in trouble. The Ignite goes down. Locodoco might be able to go down here. If the Ignite is running, is it going to be enough? The health pot running, he just about survives and lives to fight another day.
And actually, MakNooN and Watch, despite being very low, are hoping that someone comes in and checks this brush. If Doublelift runs towards here...
Oh, he's going... Oh, he just gives himself away there. Song actually fought with it. Oh, Unstoppable Force! They go in, they destroy Doublelift. Well, he didn't even get a chance to face check it. He was destroyed in the lane.
That's the NAJIN Sword aggression really there. You're 25% health on Malphite, and you turret dive a full health Doublelift who has cleanse and his ultimate up, but they killed him so fast that he wasn't able to react. 7 kills to 4 now. for NAJIN Sword and really taking control of this game. That's one of the things that happens when NAJIN Sword has oracles and CLG doesn't. They can camp in positions like that, and CLG will really have no way of knowing or responding.
The question is, how has this helped out with CLG? HotShot's been farming that top lane the whole time it's been going on, and still, the actual goal difference between MakNooN is only about 500 now. So he's actually caught up a little bit, despite the fact MakNooN just picked up a bunch of assists there in that mid lane fight. He did manage to farm it out, didn't go aggressive on the lane though, just farmed it out between the lanes as he always does. So, Jatt, we've had a bit of a build, we've had a bit of a fight. How are the items stacking?
I'm just looking here. We got the Trinity Force completed onto Prey, so he's beaten Doublelift to the big items. Got to look in the mid lane, though. Song has his Athene's Unholy Grail and a needlessly large rod. When you compare it to Bigfatlp, who is yet to complete that Athene's, that is a big 2,000 almost gold advantage for Song over Bigfat. And of course, MakNooN, haunting guys Sork shoes on his way to a DFG with that Cage's lucky pick, and just back into the top lane, really just chunking down HotShot with a couple spells at a time. Big trouble across the board, and Watch still with the Oracle, still controlling. Item-wise, a lot of people ahead. Yeah.
He cannot stand there. Every time a shard comes in, he's just getting absolutely mashed. He's coming in ground slamming, and HotShot cannot stand a bang with MakNooN at the moment. Even on the turret, you can see he's down to half health. He's chugging through health pots, and MakNooN, just reckless abandon, just keeps on pushing him. And he is having dangerous problems, and that could spell trouble when we start getting to these big team fights. As it is at the moment, the Dragon is due very shortly, and you can see they're trying to leash it out. Kane is in position for it. Watch is there as well. Just trying to look at the timer. You guys can see it at home. I haven't got it on my screen, so there it is, right on cue.
And this HotShot versus MakNooN matchup, as they take an uncontested Dragon, is really hurting CLG's strategy as a whole. When you pick Shen, it's really about having more members on the rest of the map than the enemy. But since Chauster has had to spend so much time babysitting up in that top lane because MakNooN has the threat, HotShot doesn't give them an added advantage, because even if he burns his ultimate, since it's almost a 2v1 up top, it's not giving them anything, and NAJIN is able to take control of the map because of that.
And again, MakNooN just forcing the problem on a HotShot, and he just has not got any reply to this one. You can see a 43 CS advantage, 44. It just keeps on ticking, and HotShot again back on that turret, but having to play full defensive duty. A ping from CLG onto Baron there. I think they want to get it warded up because they're so worried at 19 minutes that NAJIN Sword may have such a big advantage. They could go for something like that. We're seeing Bigfatlp making his move towards MakNooN in this top lane. Is he going to go for anything? Is he going to be able to sneak in there? We've also got Locodoco actually passing by. They've gone for him. They've got the shockwave down on MakNooN. He's going to have to unstoppable force. He manages to HotShot and flashes out of it. And again, MakNooN just avoids all the damage. Very well played.
That was brilliant. He actually didn't go max range with his ultimate because he wanted to knock out
down the bottom, they're diving towards Prey. Prey's in all sorts of trouble, completely caught out of position now, and Doublelift just absolutely destroyed him. Stan United used over HotShot. He desperately needed the assist.
All right, so that was actually something positive there for CLG. They might be able to take the top turret off this as well. Never mind, they have to ping run away because 3 members of NAJIN Sword just flew through a ward, and they might look to turret dive CLG right here.
They're going to cut them off, and Kane is coming around, puts the ward down, gets the vision, pops the ultimate down. There's Bigfatlp they went for, catches the stun on him as well, and he is going to get dropped there. Meanwhile, you can see on the turret there, now Locodoco is trying to go aggressive on towards MakNooN. Has he got enough? No, his passive came up, and he manages to survive. And can you believe it? Song picks up the kill. Double kill there for Song. Wow.
17 health left for MakNooN, and that was one of those instances where he tanked the turret for his team and then tried to disengage. Cut it a little bit close, but he was able to pull it off. A good, crisp double kill response to HotShot using his ultimate bottom lane, allowed them the freedom to turret dive Locodoco and Bigfat, and again, an immediate counterpoint by NAJIN Sword anytime CLG tries to take any action of their own.
We are going to see Chauster possibly go down towards this bottom lane. You can see Prey is a little bit far forward. Is he going to be able to catch him? He has to get a good rupture on towards Prey here. Of course, he can arcane shift away from it. There's the rupture. Manages to catch him, gets the silence. Have they got enough damage? That's the question. He's going to be able to pop. He does, and Doublelift manages to get the kill. A saving grace possibly for CLG Prime.
Bloodthirster being completed there for Doublelift, and it's all about trying to get him the farm in this lane. Chauster picking up another Oracles as well, which really aided them in getting that gank off. He has to protect this one, though. We saw what happened last time they had an Oracles mismatch. With how hard NAJIN Sword roams, they really need to know exactly who and where they have the vision coming from. NAJIN coming around to get the blue buff. HotShot having to run away. They're going to lose this top turret as well. CLG trying to stall with the split push, getting the bottom lane turret with Doublelift Vayne is going to be good for them.
Doesn't manage to get the steal there, unfortunately, for Bigfatlp, so that is going to be Song walking away. Are they going to go for Baron here? They've just pinged down on it. They've started off the Baron, and, well, the crowd cheering will certainly manage CLG. The question is, can they respond to this one, Jack? Can they go aggressive?
Oh, they peel immediately off.
They caught Locodoco out, and he's going to walk away from this one. They don't want to burn too much on him. They have used an exhaust here. The rest of CLG going to try and come around. Locodoco now is in trouble. Prey comes around. Prey drops him down there. HotShotGG did manage to take down Watch, though, so Watch got pinned out there by CLG.
Watch actually kept aggro on Baron for far too long. He was one hit away, and HotShot just finished him off with a Vorpal Blade. So that's an Oracle's loss by NAJIN's sword. That's going to hurt them. Either Watch is going to have to pick up another one, or MakNooN will have to get it on his own. But with that magic penetration, DFG Malphite coming in, Doublelift will have to fear for his life. There's no magic resist coming in from Doublelift. In team fights is going to be extremely difficult for him to withstand any kind of heat that gets put on him. HotShot with an Ionic Spark as well, looking down the items, trying to pick up the split push. They're extending this game much more successfully than they did the last one, but they still have to deal with NAJIN's sword's fearless aggression. They've done an okay job so far.
Done an okay job. Pings go down on the HotShot, which means MakNooN is going to return back towards that top lane. Is he going to get anyone else come through there? We've got a 3-stack in the mid lane as well. The pressure back on towards HotShot. MakNooN realizing he actually, there's a lot more damage coming out from HotShot now. He's got the Ionic Spark built up. Song with a brilliant spot in that mid lane has been absolutely farming. 6-2-1 currently. Oh, MakNooN trying to interrupt on that top lane. Back down the bottom lane. Doublelift, is he the saving grace? He has managed to get the kill. He's got good farm, 200 CS, only 5 CS off Prey. Prey coming through there. He has picked up that BF sword. They were trying to camp him, and Prey is going possibly a little bit too aggressive. Can they catch him out? No. Doublelift has shown himself, farms it out. And they are pinging to stack in this mid lane. MakNoon's making a move in this mid lane, Jatt.
This is something they really like doing. They like to put the pressure on and force the issue. They realize that Doublelift is starting to creep up and farm with that fully stacked Bloodthirster, and they're just actually tanking some turret hits, going straight down for that turret and getting a huge chunk of it down. They probably got it right here.
They have, but they managed to take it down, and that's the inner turret giving up without a fight. And CLG unable to react to this one because HotShotGG is off farming on that top lane. He's got to be careful they don't collapse on him here. They are heading north. He has to react to this one. Surely he knows it's coming. He has got Stand United available if he were to just have to ulti out of there. Doublelift and Bigfatlp were trying to catch in there, and he has stayed in that lane. You can see Watch is just below in the tri-bush. Here comes Watch. Here comes MakNooN. They're going to go in towards that bush there. As soon as they find his position, he tries to shampoo away. Can he avoid the damage here?
CLG's trying to make a fight out of this too.
He's now got the stun coming around. Here comes CLG. They're going to catch on towards Song. Song gets silenced. Song's in trouble, but they've immediately turned around and dived. Shockwave goes out. It's not enough. The Stand United going on towards Doublelift. They're going to try and void it. Locodoco's going to go down to the ultimate here. There's going to be one. It's a double kill for Song once again, and that's all you need. And well, they do manage to make it a triple. Can he go for any more? It's going to turn it straight to a Baron.
Over aggression there by CLG. They really tried to follow up, and NAJIN is pretty low during this Baron. But they're just going to happily take it because no one on CLG is able to contest that. Everyone getting low and escaping with the sliver. Good thing they had Karthus, triple kill, and the Baron commanding lead in this game now.
Absolutely fantastic stuff, and I mean, the last thing you want is the AP champion just picking up the kills, especially when it's Karthus and he's going to global ulti your face and just melt it. And as it stands, they're going to go pick up a dragon, extend that gold lead yet again. It's going to go to 10,000 gold. How are CLG going to react to this one?
And Karthus is one of the worst members to be getting all those kills. 9 kills already on Song, 9 of the 13 for his team. You look at his gold right now, 11,900. The highest earning member of CLG is Doublelift with 7,900, so 4,000 gold less, 50% less gold than Song. Unbelievable lead here for Song, just overall 3,500 gold when he goes back to shop here. This is huge. They have one outer turret down. They're probably going to try to sweep through the rest of them. CLG really has to turtle here. So difficult to split push once you're behind by this amount. They really have to try to turn around a dive from NAJIN here. But we know how good NAJIN is at diving, and they won't wait long to do this.
They won't wait long, and now they've got the Baron. They are going to go aggressive. Looks like they might even go just straight up that mid lane. push for the inhibitor. Do you feel they can have it enough in them to just dive and fight on the turret?
From what I know of NAJIN's sword, yes. They would very much be willing to go in, led by MakNooN, and here, if they catch Doublelift out, which they do with that one mystic shot.
And here comes MakNooN. MakNoon's coming down as well there, because the Requiem, they want to get the assist. Is it going to be enough to finish him off? They tried to give it to Song there. They thought it was enough, but it wasn't, and Phreak picks up the kill.
It's a 38-second death timer for Doublelift, and they're just going to charge down on these turrets. Only down the Requiem is their only ultimate. Expert play here by NAJIN's sword, catching Doublelift, again, just trying to keep up his farm there, but he should have known they were too far behind to be able to sustain that type of slit pushing. Waiting for the creep line here, flanking around the back. There's no way CLG can hold this turret. They're going to have to hold at the inhibitors.
And they just tank it up again there, and that's the second turret they've taken down. The inner turret they've camped and tanked it up. HotShotGG at the moment is off at the blue buff, so unable to come and defend this one. He's going to have to use Stand United if he wants to get involved. Still 4 seconds on Doublelift. Doublelift not going to be able to help this one out. They're going to go into the inhibitor. There's the rupture. There's the silence, but there's the unstoppable force. Locodoco is going to go down. The HotShotGG now does come in. Stand United. Song might get dropped down here. They do manage to catch onto him. Shockwave was not enough to finish him off there, and he avoids the damage from HotShot. He continues to avoid the damage, and he survives the fight. And now they're going to take the inhibitor down. It's a 3-for-0 exchange, and NAJIN Sword are just destroying CLG once again.
They don't wait long when they know they have an advantage. They just go, and you see they pick the champions to do it, and they have the model to go. They're just going straight in. They are not wasting any time trying to take down this inhibitor.
Well, Phreak wants to finish it, but everybody else is backing off. So Phreak on his own at the moment. He might get caught out here, a bit too aggressive. MakNooN had backed off. They were just going, saying, let's just finish off, get those global objectives, take down the turret, take down the second inhibitor, because it is so hard for the turrets to come back. So, sorry, for a team to come back from a double inhibitor down.
I don't think we've seen a double inhibitor come back since before the World Finals, so CLG really got their work cut out for them now with a 14,000 gold disadvantage.
And another inner, wow.
Clean sweep coming here from NAJIN. They're really, no one died, and the Baron buff is providing them enough regen that you can see Song, who was an inch away from death, already back up to half health. They might just continue this push. MakNoon's ultimate's up again in 5 seconds. They might just go for this again if CLG tries to hold.
And that will catch them all. Unstoppable Force is back available. Are they going to go for it? They're just going to bait them out. HotShotGG very close to being caught out there. It's just one of those carries if they show themselves a little bit too far. Phreak is not shy of tanking it. There we go.
Goes.
Flash Unstoppable Force. They catch him out. The True Shot Barrage comes across, and that's going to be surely a triple kill. Here comes Requiem. It's a triple kill. And there it is. Surely CLG are all over. Chauster goes down. That's Matt Watch that picks that one up. Phreak manages to get the turret down. The Nexus is going down. It's going to be 2-0. NAJIN Sword versus CLG.
NAJIN Sword, so aggressive. They just go immediately. Everyone low, doesn't matter. 2-0 quickly for CLG. Neither of these games making it to 30 minutes. Total domination. CLG before here thought, hey, if we can beat the Korean teams, we might make it to the finals. We got to beat NAJIN Sword first, because they just got destroyed.
Wow, big, strong victory. 22-7 this game, 15-1 in game one. And honestly, they are two very strong performances from NAJIN Sword. Are MakNoon's team, MakNooN and boys, are they going to be able to take victory in this tournament? That is the question. They've set the stall out. They've set their goal out. Everybody has seen them now, and they realize this is a real team they have to beat in this tournament.
And how do you deal with them, really, with how aggressive they are? Like, what turtle strat can deal with that? CLG EU would be the only team to think of to deal with that kind of aggression, because I don't feel like anyone can match it in this tournament, at least not that we've seen yet. Is just so much dive, so much coordination. Maybe AZUBU BLAZE, we haven't seen them in a while, but what a way to start out, because this is just a statement by NAJIN Sword early. That was really impressive.
Really impressive stuff, ladies and gentlemen. There it is, 2-0. NAJIN Sword, very strong. We're going to go to commercial, guys, and the next match will be underway shortly.